Recently, I became the rank 1 Olaf player in solo queue, so it's only fitting that I make the best Olaf champion guide ever created. So today I'm going to be breaking down everything you need to know about how to learn and master Olaf. That includes itemization, the laning phase, team fighting, and even going through literally every single matchup one by one, and breaking down exactly how you should play it. So if you want to truly embrace that 1v9 raid boss playstyle and add Olaf to your champion pool, then let's get started. Now, we're going to be starting off by going through Olaf's rune page, which is extremely straightforward. As you'll notice, I said rune page and not rune pages. He only has the one, and that is the Conqueror page. You're going to take this every game because Olaf is an extended trading champion in lane, and if you don't have this page, you do 0 damage in teamfights or skirmishes, so I highly recommend just taking what you see on your screen. And every game on this page, I take Triumph, Alacrity, and Last Stand, but if you're still learning Olaf, I'm talking your first 0 to 100 games, you can take Presence of Mind. And I actually took this rune most of my games last year. I really liked it. The reason why I swapped over to Triumph, of course it scales a lot better, but this season it's a lot easier to sneak off recalls, get back to lane with the new home guards, so in my opinion Triumph is better now, but you can take Presence of Mind as training wheels because Olaf has horrible mana problems early game, so it can definitely help you while you're learning. Now for the secondary runes, Inspiration, Cookies, and Approach Velocity, I take this every single game as well. Approach Velocity is mandatory on this champion, you can never swap this out. I see some more beginner Olafs go bone plating into Jax and stuff like that. That's a new bait, do not fall for that ever. You need Approach Velocity on this champion. It is just so important. Now, other than Approach, Cookies is the main one, but some Olafs do like to take Triple Tonic. I'm personally not a fan. I feel like Cookies outperforms, but if you do want to take it, it's good in matchups where they're probably going to take Ignite. So matchups like a Riven or a Set where you can go for a level 6 all-in with the Elixir at level 6, that can definitely be powerful because Ignite will cut the cookie healing. But the reason why I just run Cookies anyway is there's going to be timings where you have a cookie and they don't have Ignite that you can go for an all-in, and Olaf's just a low HP fighting king when you can proc Cookies, your normal potion, passive lifesteal from low HP, your W. He's just the king. The more you have stacked on top of each other, the better. You're pretty much unkillable from low HP with it, so I'm a big fan. And also, I like to go Rev Hydra more often, so not having the max HP from Cookies, you definitely feel extremely squishy. Now, for the rune shards, I used to go double adaptive, but I swapped to attack speed, and the main reason is a combination of Olaf's passive, the lifesteal, and wave control. So with attack speed, you can actually save more mana because you can just keep bashing the wave down instead of utilizing Qs. So you can save a bit of mana there and you just keep proccing the lifesteal. One thing I noticed when I watched a lot of the good Olafs before I became the best one is I was underutilizing the lifesteal passive bit. They're just bashing the wave, bash the wave, bash the wave, and get all of that healing back. Definitely a very powerful tool. Some of the games I'll even crash one wave, not the very first wave, but let's just say a random wave 5 or whatever, just so I can hit it the entire time, full hit it to get a bunch of HP back from D-Blade from being low HP with lifesteal, and the attack speed rune really helps with that. But you can take double adaptive if you're already used to it. It's of course going to be good as well. Now adaptive force, of course, and then flat or scaling HP, but it should be flat HP most of the time. The only time you should take scaling is if it's a super passive lane like a Nasus or a Mundo or a Malphite, something like that. But most of the time, to be honest, even when I verse Malphites, I still take the flat HP because Olaf, the 1 to 4 is the most dicey, the most volatile. If you get through that, you're going to be in a really good position because Olaf can really start to ramp up extended trades around level 5, 6, 7. So I feel like taking scaling is just way too greedy because getting punished early is of course going to really slow you down, and the best scaling in League is winning your lane and doing well early game. So flat HP on Olaf is the best most of the time, but again, freebies like Nasus or Mundo, you can take that scaling. Moving on to summoner spells. Now, Olaf's lack of mobility makes him one of the most summoner spell reliant champions in the entire game, so you're going to be taking Ghost and Flash in almost every single game that you play. You never need TP this season, there's no situation to take it, Ghost and Flash is your default. The only exception, the only times where you wouldn't take this page, are there are certain situations where Exhaust Flash will actually outperform. Now, there are some matchups where Exhaust is very impactful, the two biggest ones being Riven and Rengar. It can make a massive difference in those lanes, so you can take it into them. Some games I'll go Ghost into them anyway if I feel like I need Ghost into the rest of their comp, but purely for 1v1 Exhaust is a little bit better. So if I feel like I can get away with that extra lack of mobility because their comp is relatively short range, then I will go Exhaust to give me a bit more laning agency. Now another situation where even a matchup where I don't need Exhaust, so Jax for example, if the rest of their comp means I don't need Ghost as well. So into matchups like Jax, Exhaust and Ghost are both perfectly fine. I like Ghost a bit more because it scales a bit better and you can win the lane without Exhaust anyway, but in this game here, I'll show the example. Jax, Vi, Leona. 3 melees that are running straight towards me, and if I can absorb their burst, I'll just outperform all of them. And then their carries, Phase Rush Ryze, unkillable even if I have Ghost, not catching that follow. Champ's too broken, and then Israel as well, doesn't do any damage, pretty slippery. So it's not like they have a Jinx that I must kill, and without Ghost it gets a lot harder. That type of comp, you can just greed the exhaust if it's good for your matchup as well. But if you're ever in doubt, Ghost and Flash, it's good every single time, so don't feel like you need to take exhaust, especially if you're still learning the champion. Moving on to the item builds, and to be honest, whenever I coach somebody on a champion, I don't like talking about item build too much. I feel like people worry about it way too much when gameplay is the most important thing. And even though I still believe that for Olaf, the item build is very, very important on him as well, because there are 3 extremely impactful builds on him that are really important to know when to build each one. So I'm going to break down the build in detail, starting from the beginning, starting with the starting item here. Now, if you're an experienced Olaf player, you're going to be going Doran's Blade every single game. Even in the hard range matchups, D-Shield doesn't give you breathing room, because you're not a short trading champion. The best defense is a good offense on Olaf, so you need to find a window into those Kennens, into those Auroras, to get an extended trade and either kill them or chunk them and burn their flash. But if you have D-Shield, you just don't have enough damage to do so. So I recommend going Doran's Blade if you're experienced, go Doran's Shield if you're still learning into those hard range matchups I just mentioned, because you're not going to know where those windows are, and you're not going to know how to conserve HP before you get to that point. Now, for Olaf's boots, there are only 2 options, Tabbies and Ionians. If you ever build Merc Treads or Swifties, you should be reported, because Olaf's ulti, you cannot get affected by CC, of course. So Tabbies and Onions are the only option, but always default Tabbies. If you ever don't know, do not ego ninja Tabbies is the rule to follow. Olaf's survivability is really, really important. Now, cooldown boots are best in games where you've got Stride Breaker and you don't need Tabbies at all. The reason why, with Rav, I pretty much always go Tabbies, even if I'm versus an AP top laner. If that's the case, I won't go Tabbies until maybe even after my second item, but I will go it eventually. It's because Stride Breaker doesn't give haste. So Stride Breaker and Ionians make a lot of sense, and Rav Hydra squishier than Stride, so having more defensibility from the Ionians is really from the Tabbies is really important as well. So never ego Tabbies, just go cooldown boots in games where you don't need Tabbies at all. So if you verse Kennen top, Lilia jungle, or something like that, and you've got Stride Breaker, which you should, then you can go cooldown boots there. Now, for the first buy, most of the time on Olaf, you're doing a small buy. So either 1 sword refill or 2 swords refill. So that's going to be your default first reset. Other than that, if you do get a big buy off, you can go Ninja Tabbies in 1 swoop. That's only if the lane kind of goes to a level 5 or 6 and then you get a solo kill. That can happen. So Tabbies in 1 swoop's amazing. I don't really like Boots Cloth by itself. So 2 swords, 1 sword, or Tabbies. And then you can go a full Hex Drink if somehow you get 1300 versus like an Akali or something like that. So the time where you go Hex Drinker, the matchups, Akali, Rumble, and Gwen, or if you verse a AP carry, top jungle. So don't just feel like, oh, Gragas top with an AP jungle, I need Hex Drinker. No, you do not. AP carry. So Gwen, Rumble, Akali are the top 3 that come to mind. Anything else, you don't need to build it there. And one more important thing to keep in mind when building Rav or Stride is your order of components. And the best order for Rav is always Tiamat into Vamp into Cauliflower Hammer. I see a lot of students want to go Vamp Scepter or stack Longsword so I can freeze and run my opponent down one more time. But keep in mind, most of the time you get Tiamat, or Vamp in that case, is after your second base, which is going to be around level 5, 6, or 7. By that point in the game, Grubs is sort of coming soon. You just want to maintain priority, proxy whenever you want, make sure you can secure resets to get your mana back, and you can also use Tiamat as a poking tool, stuff like that. So I definitely recommend just going Tiamat most of the time. The exception is maybe into like a Kayle. If you want one more rotation to freeze and run her down the lane, I can see that. I'm not a fan, and every game I play, I go Tiamat as my first component upgrade. It is definitely the best there. Now for Stride Breaker, it's similar. You go the Tiamat into Phage and then Dagger as the last one. That one's relatively straightforward. Don't ego Tiamat as the #1 rule here, because being able to maintain priority base whenever you want, access to proxying, being able to one-shot waves without using any mana from your cube, very important on Olaf. Now for your first item, Rav Hydra versus Stride Breaker, and I will talk more about the full builds later on, but in terms of the starting item, the rule of thumb to follow: 3 melees equals Rav Hydra, 3 range equals Stride Breaker. That is the rule that you can follow. The exception is if top jungle is melee, always go Rav, and if top jungle is range, always go Stride Breaker. So that's a really good rule. So a quick example, if I verse Cassante top, Silas mid, and Norla support, I will go Rav Hydra. If I verse, let's say melee top, make it harder. If I verse Jax top, but they have Graves jungle, Hui mid, and then Zeri Lulu, I'll go Stride Breaker. So it's a kind of easy way to follow it. And then more as your first item is to upgrade the Hex Drinker in that Akali, Rumble, Gwen type of situations. Now, another thing to keep in mind is you have to differentiate fake melees from real melees. So I don't want to overcomplicate it too much, but it is important to know. So a real melee champion is a champion like Vi, who has to go in and stay in to be useful. She's going to fly on in and you can beat the shit out of her and lifesteal, use her as free HP. A fake melee will be like Talon, where he's just going to go on your dumb AD carry, one-shot him, and jump 400 wards away from you. So you can't really auto-attack fake melees. So like Evelynn or like Talon or like Kiana, you can't auto-attack them unless they're bronze and first time in the champion. So try to classify fake melees as range champions as well. That'll make it a bit easier for you. But I'll just say, if you're ever unsure, if it looks perfectly even, just go off your lane opponent. If it looks like you can go both, but you're versus Cassante or Malphite, go Rev Hydra. If it looks like you could build Rev, but you're versus Kennen or Jayce, go Stride. That can be an easy kind of way to settle the coin toss there. Now, for our second item, I'm a big fan of Hexplate this season because it really opens up your options later on. Sundered Sky did get a nerf, so I'm not as big of a fan of it. And just sort of the way the meta's shaping up, I feel like Hexplate is just a bit better here. So second item, Hexplate, I go this most cases after going Rev Hydra, and a lot of cases after going Stride, especially if they're playing a mobile comp. You really need the threat from this item. The exception is if you just need armor or MR. So there'll be some games where I need more really badly. So especially with Stride Breaker, more often I'll go more or Distance. With Rev Hydra, more often I'll go Hexblade, because with Stride Breaker you already have the utility from the Stride Breaker, so you don't really need the Hexblade as much. But Rev Hydra, it doesn't give utility. It's just sort of damage, haste, and lifesteal. So Hexblade makes a lot more sense with Rev Hydra, and it opens up the crit build as well, which we're going to talk a bit more about. But if you ever need more, do not ego more. If you need more and more Morbius, don't ego it. So some games I'll go Rev Hydra into more, especially if they have some really strong AP assassin threats. Really powerful there. Champs like Rumble as well, you just get one shot without it, so that's going to be good. And then as a second item with Stride Breaker, I'll go Death Stance or more Death Stance, more or Randuins a lot of the time. So Death Stance is straightforward if you need the armor, if they're mainly AD. Randuins is straightforward if they have multiple crit champs. So if I go Stride Breaker and they have like Yasuo mid, Tristan AD carry, Randuins will be a better second item there than the Death Stance. They're a lot cheaper as well. But for Rev Hydra, I pretty much always go Hexplate second item unless I desperately need the more there, then I can build that. Or if I desperately need Randuins, I'll do that as well. I don't really ever go Rev into Death Stance because you don't have enough effective HP to really make work of it. But with more, it just feels a lot better than Death Stance as a second item, even with Rev Hydra. So that's sort of the rule of thumb that I use. And the time where I'll go Stride Breaker and Hexplate, very rare, but if I just don't need anything, if I don't need the more, if I don't need the distance, then I can go Hexblade second. So I'm going to go through the third items here. So pretty similar. A lot of time you want to, if you have Hexdrinker second, you want DD third. You kind of want one armor, one MR item. There's an easy rule of thumb to follow with Stride Breaker, but with a Rev Hydra game, I like to prioritize Spirit Visage as my MR item to really get use of that extra healing and shielding on your kit and the item. And especially if I have like a Soraka or a Yuumi on my team, I'll go Spirit Visage instead of more. But if I don't have any of those guys, or if I'm a Stride Breaker Olaf, I will just go more as my MR item. You can also build Hexblade later on if you feel like you want a bit more threat and damage. Now, Bandle Pipes is pretty rare. This is just a really cheap item that you can just slam in a hurry if you got a big Baron fight or a Dragon Soul fight or something like that coming up. And it's really good with the Stride Breaker build. I'll never build Pipes with Rev Hydra, but with the Stride Breaker build, it can feel quite good. But HP, but a Split Resist, definitely a good little buy there. And then for Fiend Hunter Bolts, I'll talk more about the crit build when we get to that section. But this is the third item if you are going for that crit full threat Olaf. And for our fourth and fifth items, we'll just mainly talk about the Rev Hydra and Stride Breaker default builds, not the crit ones. It's pretty standard. You just go DD more if you need it. You can go Jaxo as a final item if you need a bit of survivability. You can go Sundered Sky later on if they have a bunch of melees. Bandle Pipes, same reasoning as before, or you can go into the Blood Mail in games where you just need more pure damage. But I almost never build this. I don't think I built it at all this season. It's just there are some, maybe 1 in 200 games where I would, but very, very rare. If I wanted to go more damage, I'd probably just go the crit build anyway. So now I'm going to be going through the full build examples for each of the 3 builds. The Rev Hydra Bruiser, Stride Breaker, and Crit build. And I'm going to start with the Crit build because it's the most fun of all, and a lot of you are probably skipping to it. So the Crit build here. So most of the time, the crit build is built with Rev Hydra, because the crit build you need to be versing low mobility sort of melee comps. Because if you build the crit build with Zeri Lulu, you're not going to hit shit, so it's completely useless. So that's why it's very, very rare I'll go Stride Breaker crit build. But there are some options where I would, and I'll go through that shortly. But just keep in mind the standard build with crit is Rev Hydra, Tabbies. You don't want to have Ionians with the crit build, but very rarely with Stride Breaker you can. And then you go Hexplate, Fiend Hunter Bolts. So this is the core. Hexplate Bolts is the core of 3 items for crit build. If you don't have that, you don't really have enough survivability or mobility. So you can't ego the Hexplate there. And then after that, you go Lord Dom's Mortal, or IE. Now, IE is definitely more fun, but I hate crunching numbers, but every time I do, the Lord Toms or Mortal just outperforms, which is cringe, so normally you just do that as your 4th item. Mortal if you need healing cut, Dommies if you don't, and then round it off with IE or a defensive item. Don't feel pressured, I'm going crit, I need to go full damage. Some games I'll even just chill on the Fiend Hunter bolts and go like a Death Stance or a Maw, especially a Maw. Remember our number 1 rule, do not ego MR. If you need more Mortis, you need more. But sometimes I will just go Fiend Hunter into Maw or Fiend Hunter into Rangers if I feel like I need the survivability. If not, you just round off with full crit items. And then one thing to keep in mind as well, so the Stridebreaker build. It's very rare when I go this, but I'll talk about when to build the crit build as a whole, and that'll sort of make you understand. So the main time to go crit is in games where you're snowballed. You need to be snowballed. You cannot build this if you're poor. You need to be a rich guy to build this. So when you're snowballed and in games where you need that extra threat, you need to be able to one-shot their AD carry. Maybe they have a Feared Jinx, a mobile kind of AD carry like that. This build is really, really good for that. There's been plenty of games where my AD carry is complete dead weight and their AD carry is Gumayusi's son or something like that. And if I don't build the crit build, I can't really one-shot them in time. That's what the situation where it feels best. Or just in games where they have a lot of champs diving. So if they have like Vi, Yasuo, crit build feels amazing because you just kill them as quickly as possible. Job's so easy versus those champs because you just kill them before they kill your team. And even if they engage on you, they can't really one-shot you anyway. So to melee carry divers, it feels amazing. Or in games where you need a one-shot AD carry, which is why there are games where Stridebreaker is a thing. So let's say I versed a Jayce top and I had to go Stridebreaker for the matchup. I always ban that fella, but let's just say we left them up for no reason to ban Graves off of our own junglers or something. So I'm versing a Jayce top, and their AD carry is Gumayusi's son. My AD carry is Gumayusi's blind son, and he can't right-click properly. We need to kill their AD carry or we can't win. So in that game, maybe I'll adapt my build and say, okay, there's such a big AD gap. Even if I build Death Stance, I'm not gonna be able to tank him. He's so fed here. The strong Aphelios Lulu. My best bet is just to flash in and one-shot him with double sums and carry a Baron fight. That's happened more often than you'd think. So definitely that's when you'd build that. But to be honest, 99%, maybe 95% of the time, if you're going crit build, you need to have Rev Hydra because it's those games where low mobility, low range, stuff like that. Not low range, sorry, just low mobility. And there are a lot of melee divers coming onto you. That's when crit build is best. And there are a couple of examples as well, just to make it easier for you to visualize. Now, for the regular Rev Hydra Bruiser build, so it's going to be Rev into Hexplate. The reason why I really like this build as well is very flexible. It's the same 2 items as going crit build. So you're not locked into one or the other. Some games I might initially want to go Bruiser. I'm having a really good game, really snowballed. I can just go for the Bruiser, for the crit build there. But you can see here, it just looks the same, except DD, more. If you ever don't know which one to build out of Dance and more, just go Death Stance, it's a better item. But because you're already getting armor from the tabbies, most of the time, not most of the time, a lot of the time the more will be better here, just because you need MR. So Death Stance more, and then you can finish with like Jaxo or something like that. Some games I'll even finish it with just going Fiend Hunter bolts last item, because the best defense is one-shotting the AD carry. And one more as well, the Stridebreaker build. So the final build here, Stride, Tabbies, Death Stance, more. This is kind of like the standard Olaf build if you're not an Olaf player. If you just saw someone carry on Olaf in LCK and you want to play him, or if an LCK player has to play like Game 5 Olaf, this is sort of what they'll build. This is just the stock standard build. It is best in slot some games, but I'm not a big fan of it in general in solo queue, because your carry potential is just lower. Your threat is lower, your agency in the game is lower, but there are just some games where you need it. And those games are where you need Stride, like we talked about, 3 range champions, or range top jungle, or something like that, or a lot of fake melees running around. Stridebreaker into Tabbies or Ionians, then into DD more or more Death Stance. Then after that, when you've got that armor and MR locked down, then you can go for Hexplate or just Bandle Pipes if you need a cheap buy straight away and stuff like that. And you sort of round off your build with the examples you see on your screen here. So just to quickly summarize, I just shoved a bunch of information down your throats on 3 builds. Just to quickly summarize, if they have a primarily melee team comp, you can build Rev Hydra, especially melee top jungle. Primarily range, especially top jungle, you can build Stridebreaker. The crit build is best in games where you need to one-shot their low mobility AD carry. I'm talking Varus and Jinx and Aphelios. I'm not talking their Zeri, Lulu, that type of slippery champ they're not going to hit. Or in games where they have a bunch of melee carry divers like Vi and Yasuo or Yone and stuff like that, and you just want to one-shot them before they one-shot your team. That's when you go the crit build. The standard build is when those conditions aren't really met, when you went Rev Hydra because it's maybe Viego jungle, Cassante top, but they have a normal, let's just say Zeri Lulu, they have like a normal comp and you've got Rev Hydra, then you can just go the Bruiser build. So that's sort of the time where you would build each one. So hopefully that really clears it up for you. And if you're ever unsure, remember, just default to, okay, top jungle, looks like I can bash them down and lifesteal off them, Rev Hydra good, looks like I can't Stride Breaker good. That's sort of the easy way to visualize it. Moving on to ability tips and tricks, and starting with Olaf's passive, which gives you bonus attack speed and lifesteal based on your missing HP. And the cap is 70% missing HP, so around 30%, that's when Olaf does his best work. And the combination, my number one tip for this rune, is the combination of having a cookie going, a potion going, and even your W from below 30% HP. You can win pretty much any low HP versus low HP all in, so make sure you're trying to leverage all the extra HP regening things that you can alongside Olaf's passive, and don't hesitate to go for these low HP all while you're learning the champion. Moving on to Olaf's main ability, his Q, and it's actually a little bit more complicated than it may seem at a glance. Looking at this ability, it seems like hit them with Axe, pick up Axe, chuck it, and you're good to go. But it's really important that you understand how the cooldown reduction actually works. It's based on time elapsed since the ability landed. So let's imagine you hit your Q and you flash on it straight away. So you're picking it up after 0 seconds. The cooldown's going to go down to 2.5. It's based on time elapsed since the Axe landed. So the maximum value being 2.5. So if you wait 1 second and then pick it up, the cooldown's 1.5. If you wait 2.5 seconds and then pick it up, which is the maximum, 2.5 or longer, you get the Axe fully refunded down to 0, which is really important to know. There are a lot of trades where I'll hit them with my Axe and not go fight them straight away. Because let's just imagine, for the sake of the argument, I hit them with Axe and pick it up instantly. That's 2.5 seconds where they can fight me back, where I don't have my Axe. But if I hit my Q, keep my distance, chill a little bit, do the stanky leg a bit, and then go in and pick up my Axe after 2 to 2.5 seconds, my Q cooldown is way lower. It's also good to know how the Q slow duration actually works. So if you hit somebody with the shortest Q possible, it lasts 1.5 seconds. If you hit them with a max range Axe, it lasts for 2.5, which is really useful for catching up to people. So the thing to keep in mind as well, the slow amount is the same every time. So I always prioritize doing the smallest Axe possible so that you can min-max picking up your Axe and get the most Axes per second instead of chucking it too far for a longer slow, but it being harder to pick up your Axe. Another thing to keep in mind on top of this, you also get 20% armor pin if you hit someone with your Q, and that combined with the true damage of your E is why you basically never build armor pin items like Black Cleaver on this champion. The Q also gives vision for around 0.5 seconds, so it's really nice for face checking bushes. Make sure you lead with your Axe before your character goes in there. Now, a less useful tip, but just something to keep in mind when you're doing camps on Olaf, or if you get filled in the jungle, when you use your Q, nearby monsters get ghosting for 5 seconds, which means you can run through Gromp or Golems, whatever you want to be farming, very easily, and the Q also does bonus damage to monsters as well. And the final tip for Olaf's Q is in a skirmish or a team fight, try to think ahead a little bit in terms of your target selection. If you're fighting somebody and you know they're going to die, go for that collateral. Try to hit your Q on the guy you're fighting and the guy behind him, because remember, max range Q, 2.5 seconds slow, plenty enough time to catch up to him, get your approach velocity going, and kill him after you've done with his teammate. Moving on to Olaf's W, and the number one tip for this ability by far is the shield is based on missing HP, capping at 30%, just like Olaf's passive, which means a lot of your best work is done at 30% and below. Never use the shield just for the attack speed and an all-in when your opponent can ever fight you back, because the base shield, and I'm not exaggerating, is 10. If you W at full HP, you're getting a 10 shield, which is completely dog shit. You only want to be using this W for the shield. That's the right mindset to have in an all-in, in a team fight, skirmish, anything like that. I see a lot of students use the W and they tell me they want the attack speed. No, if there's any chance your opponent can fight you back, you don't want the attack speed, you only want the shield. You can use it for attack speed if you're chasing a Cho'Gath down the lane and there's a 0% chance they can fight you back or something like that. But a lot of situations, just holding that W for 30% and below, that is the number one rule to follow. And other than the shield, the spell also gives a big chunk of attack speed, so make sure you're using it for extended trades, hard pushing minion waves, and even taking towers. And the final tip for your W is just to make sure you're always trying to use this ability as an auto attack reset, no matter what situation. So instead of Q, run at them at W, try to get the auto W. So make sure you don't press W when they're far enough away from you that you cannot auto W them. Really, really important you utilize that. And I do recommend using your E before auto W. It feels a lot smoother and it affects the E cooldown as well. Next we have Olaf's E, and this ability is pretty straightforward. There are some things you need to know about it, however. It's a point-click true damage single target ability, but the important thing to note is it has extra range over your auto attacks, which is really important for poking them when they go for CS, and they can't really hit you back unless they also have a long range ability themselves. And the best thing about this ability in lane is it doesn't cost mana, it costs HP instead, which is perfectly fine. We got built-in lifesteal in our kit, so always try to spam this on your opponent pretty much whenever you can. If you can hit them with it when they go for a CS, it is not going to be a bad thing. Also, keep in mind, if you kill something with your E, the HP is refunded, so you can use this for last hitting if there's no way your opponent can punish you when the spell is on cooldown. And to bring it back to the extra range on this ability, this is very important when comboed with your ulti, because your ulti, if you auto or E them, it will keep the ulti going, and sometimes they're out of auto range, but they will be in E range, so it's sometimes when it's an opponent that might have a movement speed boost or try to kite me away, I'll lead with autos and sort of hold the E and wait for them to dash away, because the extra range will help me reach them. And the cool thing about Olaf's E is every time you auto-attack a champion or a minion, pretty much anything, you get 1 second knocked off that cooldown, which is a big reason why we max this ability second, because you can get so many E's down into 1v1, skirmish or teamfight, especially when you have a bit of haste. So I always recommend leading with E kind of as early as you can, because you don't want to auto-attack them 3 or 4 times and then E and lose 3 or 4 seconds off that cooldown. Also combining that with the auto-attack reset from W, you always want to E and then auto-W, because if you auto-W then E, you lose 2 seconds that you could have shaved off that E. And this cooldown reduction is also doubled to 2 seconds when you're attacking a neutral monster, which is why Olaf has such a good Baron take, especially Rev Hydra Olaf does Baron extremely quickly. And a couple of final tips for this ability: you can cancel your auto attack animation with E. So the first thing you do when you're chasing somebody, you want to use it straight away, use that extra range and get the cooldown going, but when you're right on top of them, it's good to do an auto E instead of kind of auto, wait a bit, and then E when you could have auto attacked. It's just a lot less efficient, so you usually go for an auto E in that type of situation. You can also E then flash, which is not very useful, maybe if you're E flash fade awaying, but other than that, not really recommended to do this. And finally, we have Olaf's ultimate. Now, this ability, you cannot get CC'd or silenced or anything when using it. Very, very powerful. You also get a brief amount of bonus movement speed. But my first tip for this spell: don't use it for the movement speed. The movement speed is very, very trash. It only lasts 1 second, so only use this ability for the CC reduction. It's pretty much never worth using it for the speed alone. Now, even though you can use this ability while CC'd, you still want to use it ideally before you get hit by it or just as it hits you, so that you cut down on that 0.5 seconds that you could have been moving. But this especially applies to knockups, because even though you can ulti while knocked up, it doesn't cleanse the knockup right away. Olaf ulti will cleanse like a Tarek stun or a Varus ulti, but if you get by Alistar combo, and then you ulti, you're still going to be in the air. It's very, very annoying, so you always ulti before getting hit by the Malphite ulti, Alistar, anything like that. Knockups are really annoying, so always try to ulti before it collides with you. And even though this ability only lasts 3 seconds, you can extend it by hitting an auto attack or an E against an enemy champion, which means you can keep this ability going indefinitely as long as you're always autoing or Eing people, which is extremely important. You do not want to use Olaf ulti to cleanse a max range Varus ulti when you're not in range to hit people. You only want to use it when you're stuck in the middle of the fight. And then make sure you're always trying to keep it going, hitting champions, Eing as much as possible, because when your ulti drops, you are a cannon minion. You're no longer a champion without the spell. Now, those are the big 3 most important tips for this ability, but other than that, there are some champ-specific ones that are important to keep in mind. First of all, Camille ulti, your R, you can't run out of it. You're stuck there, which is why versus Camille, you better be tracking the jungle very well. Also, versus Jax and Shen, it's very important to know how your ulti works against them, because auto-attacking gives you your ulti extended timer, but against Jax E or Shen W, it doesn't actually count, because it's blocking your auto. So versus those champions, you need to be Eing them to keep your ulti going, and also your auto attacks won't reduce your E cooldown by 1 second, so you always try to auto attack minions, near them when Jax is Eing or Shen's Wing, stuff like that, to get that E cooldown going, and your lifesteal on the wave as well. Really important to try to keep your ulti and your E cooldown cycling against these annoying champions that counter auto attacks. And against Urgot ulti, you can actually use your ulti to not get pulled in by his, but don't get fooled. If he hits you with R straight away, don't press ulti, because Urgot can hold his ulti for a while, so you have to make sure he pulls you in. So if you press R as it's coming towards you, before the chain connects with you, the R2, then you're not going to move. But if you press R while you're on the way to him, you're going to get pulled all the way in next to him, which has caught me off guard before. So just make sure you watch out for that. Don't rush your ulti, but also you need to make sure you're reacting to his R2 very well if you don't want to get pulled next to him. And against Mordekaiser, you want to make sure you ulti before he presses R on you. You used to be able to press R and cleanse his ulti and just jump out of the realm. You cannot anymore. You need to press R before he ults you, so make sure you do that. You can also use this to jump out of Tahm Kench's stomach if he ults you, which is quite nice to know. You'll just jump out of there straight away, so make sure you don't get caught off guard by that. You can just keep bashing his head down even if he eats you. Now, because Olaf doesn't really have combos, I'd say, instead we're going to be breaking down his lane trading patterns instead, his most important ones to keep in mind. The first one being my favorite of all time, when to go for a solo kill in lane. And the best way to explain it is going for an all-in solo kill on Olaf is exactly like fishing on a boat. When you're going fishing, a nice day, you're there with the boys, you don't jump into the water, pop your ghost in real life and go hunting for the fish yourself. You're just sitting there with your fishing rod out, waiting patiently for a bite to come in, and then you commit, and then you wheel in the fish. Exactly like laning on Olaf. When the wave is on your side of the map, you just chuck out your hooks, you chuck out your axes. If one misses, you just sit there, grab a bear with the boys. Second one misses, grab another bear. Third one hits, boom. Pop the ghost, pop the ulti, run him down, and then you get the kill. You do not want to be popping ghost, running at them, desperately trying to hit your axe. You want to lead with axe, and then get the ghost and ulti involved secondary. Now, a key trading tip that separates the great Olafs from the good ones is using your approach velocity spacing. You can instantly tell if an Olaf is not a extremely good Olaf player if he doesn't have approach velocity on, because using this for spacing is very, very important. So up against a champion like Jax, if you hit them with a slow and your approach velocity, you can space out their E, you can space out Darius auto attack, stuff like that, and not give him an extra bleed stack. You want to be using this approach velocity spacing well, because Olaf, even though you can just bash people down sometimes, in a lot of close all-ins versus an Ignite Jax, versus Darius, versus Set, you need to be kind of spacing in and out, juggling Qs, juggling Es, because you're a very cooldown efficient champion. You don't just want to take your hand off the keyboard and right click them. If you can use approach velocity well and space them, you can get a lot more Qs per minute down than if you just right click them and bash them and tank all of their damage. And a very big tip for poking your opponent down with your Q in lane is you want to reposition yourself. You want to Q and get last hits and hit the enemy champion at the same time. So it's kind of like a mini dance up against good players where you're circling around the wave and they're trying to match it, and you want to be positioning yourself so you're at the left, minions in the middle, them at the right, that type of thing, if you can visualize it. So your Q's getting collateral, getting 1 or 2 last hits and hitting the champion as well, instead of just picking one or the other. Also, if you're scared of the wave pushing out, maybe you're on weak side or something, try to make sure your Q doesn't hit the entire wave. You can aim it so it only really hits 1 or 2 minions maximum if you're actively trying to, and if you have to position yourself to hit a back minion so that happens, that's perfectly fine. And another big trading tip, it sort of ties back to our abilities that we talked about with the Q, is not just going for the Q and go. You want to do a Q, chill out, then pick up Axe and go if you can, because you want to make sure your Q comes off cooldown. Remember, 2.5 seconds, you get the Axe fully refreshed, so if you can chuck a pretty long range Q, so that you get a 2 to 2.5 second slow, and not going straight away, wait a little bit, and then go grab it with the slow still on them, with the approach velocity still on you, and then you get a new Axe. You pretty much get a free Axe at the start of that all-in. And a key thing to keep in mind is Olaf's Q and E are ranged abilities essentially, so these are really good for punishing CS. And matchups where they can't really fight you back like Nasus, yes, you can just bash them down, but versus Ignite Set, versus Jax, with Lethal Tempo, you need to use your range advantage as best as you can. So using Q and E as short trading tools is fine. Remember, Olaf is an extended trading champion, but if you just QE someone and click away and you take 0 damage, of course it's going to be a favorable trade. So trying to use short trades, 100 to 0 trades are perfectly fine. In volatile matchups, use that range advantage to your advantage. And you can actually combine this tip with one of our previous ones, combining this with approach velocity spacing. If you want to go for an all-in against your opponent, but you're not that strong where you can just beat them down, a lot of the time I'll do max range QE and Q juggle. So kind of QE, pick up the X, click away, hit the Q again, click in, click out, and just sort of juggle it like that, so you're not just taking their full combo. So sort of combining, spacing them with QE, with using your approach velocity and keeping your distance. That's a more advanced level tip for when you're later on your Olaf journey, but very, very useful against champs that can fight you back. Another trading tip that may seem quite small, but on Olaf in my opinion is quite big, is using Tiamat to poke. You rush Tiamat most games on this champion, so if you can use Tiamat max range to poke them down or break their bone plating especially, really impactful. A lot of the time I'll hit somebody with Q under tower, and then I'll try to go for a Tiamat poke max range every time they CS. So with Q, Tiamat, and E, you kind of have 3 mini range abilities, which is very, very impactful, so make sure you don't sleep on the Tiamat poke. And a tip for kind of later on in your Olaf journey is a sneaky auto W, because I mentioned it before, you only want to really use W for the shield or for extended trades, but there are certain situations with the waves on your side, and you can sneak in a quick auto W for that quick burst of damage early game. It can be very impactful, but I only recommend this if you're super confident they can't fight you back, because Olaf without W is very, very vulnerable. You need to make sure the wave's on your side, or they have no chance of actually fighting you. Now, before we go through some examples of myself laning on Olaf, it's important that you understand the laning reference points, which are essentially a set of guidelines that you can follow in lane that'll make you a very consistent Olaf player if you can execute on them, even when you play matchups you're not that confident in. So the first one is, you must have an extended trading mindset on Olaf. If you take short trades, especially early game, especially 1 to 4, 1 to 5, if you take short trades versus Ambessa or Zahin or Rumble or most champions in the game, even like a Gwen or a Camille, you are going to lose, or you're going to run out of mana. because all of these Doran Shield, Second Wind, or Grasp abusers, they are going to outperform you if you only take short trades. You must play for those extended trades and get multiple rotations of your cooldowns and your Conqueror, utilize them. Now, that also applies to level 1. You don't want to take short trades level 1. You want to take an extended trade level 1 or no trade at all. If you do take a trade level 1, it must be an all-in to make it worth the mana. Yes, sometimes I might just Q auto someone and click back into the bush because you start the game with full mana, you have mana regen, so if you don't use at least one X, you're kind of making your mana homeless. You don't really give your mana regen a job to do. But I would say most of the time, I'm either taking an extended trade or just playing for the wave. It really depends what they do. If they walk up and I know I beat them in the long trade, I'll go for it. If they're sort of playing their range on Ambessa, just max range queuing me, respecting me, I'm not going to chase them down the lane and, do a short trade. I'll just play it mainly for the wave there. So on Olaf, normally we like to base for an early sword refill. So in most games where you get priority, that's an important distinction. Most games you get priority, you're basing after crashing wave 3 and cheater recalling, crashing wave 4, so a wave 2 into a 4 crash, or wave 5, a 3 into 5. But not to overcomplicate it, just keep in mind either after crashing wave 3, 4, or 5, any less than that and you're too poor. After crashing 3, 4, or 5, a lot of games we're basing because you just don't have the mana to play a bounce back or extend the lane for too long, and you don't really have amazing sustain either. So most games I'll base after that. The exception is in matchups where I cleanly crash wave 2 and my resources are amazing and their champ's not that strong early game. So let's say we verse a Nasus. You can crash wave 2 and you're probably still going to be high HP and mana. The wave will come back towards you and you can run them down when it's on your side of the lane. It's a really good strategy there. So you can do that then, or just in games where they get pushed. If they get priority, then you don't want to base after they crash wave 3, of course. So then you might stay in lane a little bit longer. But most games you can get priority, and most games you don't have the resources needed if your opponent is playing the game to stay past 5 waves. So a lot of games I'll base. Some games I'll even crash wave 4 and proxy, or wave 3 and proxy, and base after that too. So your Q is not a poking tool until level 5. This is one of my favorite reference points for Olafs. Your Q is not a poking tool until you're at level 5 because the damage it does is not really worth the mana it costs. Yes, there are exceptions. Sometimes if I'm hard crashing wave 2, I'll use my Q and hit the whole wave and them at the same time. So I'm mainly using it for a hard push, but also poking at the same time. So it's not black and white, but just keep in mind, don't just toss your Q off cooldown at them. It's not worth hitting the 65 and then they just mana Doran Shield that HP back. You will go Your Q is for extended trades. The reason I say until level 5, the Q damage starts to get really high around level 5, 7, 9. You should have Tiamat a lot of the times there, so you can force a reset whenever you want there. And to bring it back to our earlier point about securing an early reset on Olaf, your two main strategies are either going to be that, secure an early reset, come back with longsword refill, and run them down on the bounce, trying to get level 4, of course, before you do that. Or it's going to be a wave 2 crash and to let the wave come back towards you and then run them down. That's best in strategies against matchups, champions like Rumble, who are pretty weak level 1 but broken level 3 if you only take short trades, or champions like Kayle or Nasus who are just weak level 1 to 5. That can be a very good one because they can't really poke you down and make you low during the first 2 waves or even when the wave's coming back towards you. Where if you try to do that versus a champ that's relatively strong, let's just say like a set, you use a bunch of mana and HP to crash wave 3 or wave 2 and let the wave come back in, level 4 ignites it, just going to stand in your wave and his wave and kill you, so it doesn't really work against them. You really need that item and resource advantage. One really important thing to keep in mind as well, on Olaf, this is probably one of the most important reference points. Your back timer is your top priority. This applies to all champions, but on Olaf times 10, because you are very, very mana hungry and you only really can win extended trades. So if you're low HP or low mana, you can't get extended trades, which means you can't play the game, and you don't have TP as well, so you can just get really easily choked down. Your recall time is your top priority. You really want to have good back timers and look to make your 1 to 5 very consistent. Olaf, I would say Monday Olaf is not about running them down level 1 and solo killing them like he was back in the day. Olaf is more so consistent 1 to 4, and you normally get your kills around level 5, 6, or 7. In my opinion, that's sort of the best time to look for plays. So 1 to 4 is more about good farm, maintaining good HP, good mana, consistent resets, and then when your Q actually does damage, 5, 7, 9, especially with a combination of ulti and certain matchups where they peel you off of CC, that's when the magic happens. Try to get that 1 to 4 as consistent as possible. And I really want to talk on axe management. Olaf axe management is one of his most important kind of champ mastery skills. So try not to just throw your axe into outer space every single time. This is what most Olaf players do. They just max range it, toss into the galaxy then, and you never see it again. You need to make sure you're throwing your axe only as long as you need to. If you go for that extended trade, you pick it up really quickly. You don't want to chuck axe through them and they go on you, or you go on them and your axe is so far away you're sort of trying to walk towards it and then they just walk the other way. It's very, very awkward there. Only throw your axe as long as you need to. Sometimes you'll throw it a little bit too shallow and just miss them while you're learning. That's just part of the process there. And touching on Axe management, your Q is your offensive and your defensive tool. Your Q is your sword and your shield. If your Q is tossed into space and the Jax Qs onto you, you are going to get obliterated. So you actually can't just toss your Axe far away and give them range. If I max range, let's just say level 5 vs 5, Olaf vs Jax, if I max range Q him to poke him, which is still good sometimes, I'll run away. I won't give him Q range. I'll wait patiently for that Q to come back off cooldown before I go anywhere near the wave. You need to be able to have your Axe as a defensive tool. That threat of Q pick up, Q pick up, Q pick up, that's why they can't just go on you and kill you. Best defense is good offensive mentality, applies on Olaf probably the most out of any champ in the game. Proxying. So proxying is definitely an important skill on Olaf if you're more confident. The top 2 times to proxy is for a high tempo recall. So just basing and not losing anything. Really, really important, especially if their jungler's pathing down or whatever. Or in non-interactive lanes. So if I verse Gragas, Malphite, Cassante, I proxy probably 5 times more than if I verse Gwen or Fiora or Riven, which are very interactive lanes. So in boring tank matchups, proxy attack mid, proxy eat camps, proxy reset, item advantage. That is sort of the best strategy. Just maintain perfect CS and look for plays around the map. And our final point, when your ulti is on cooldown, you are a free kill. Olaf is not a champion without ulti. Kind of similar to Mordekaiser in a way, where Mordekaiser without ulti is just a free kill to any gank. Olaf's very similar. It's impossible to 1v2 most combinations of top jungle without your ulti. So if your ulti's down and the enemy top laner pings it and the jungler or the enemy jungler sees it, you are a free kill. So a lot of games when even if I just solo killed my lane opponent, I get back to lane, I'm super strong, I'm chilling. I'm waiting for my ulti. The cooldown's pretty short anyway. You don't want to make a play and get punished. Of course, if you see the jungler bottom and you win 1v1 without it, play the game. You don't have to think about it too black and white. But when your ulti is down, you're a free kill to gank. So you have to completely change the way you play the champion, not just in lane, but the entire game as well. Next up, we're going to be breaking down some examples of the laning phase, starting with the Ambessa matchup, which is one of the lanes I've studied the most this season because every game it feels like I versus Ambessa or Rumble. And this is actually Summit playing Ambessa, so definitely a very, very good lane opponent. So my goal in this matchup is to get priority. That's really important. I'm sort of fishing for a Q there. If it doesn't land, it's not the end of the world. Just to get a bit of damage in. I'm trying to bait her to use her Q. I'm sort of clicking in, out, in, out, in, out. You can see permanently. Trying to bait her to use Q. She's doing the exact same thing to me with my Q, which is why I did miss that first one. So you can see it's like a mini game where we're both trying to bait and dodge. It's actually kind of funny to look at here, but that's the mindset. I keep going in, fake minion, fake last hit, trying to bait that Q. And then he commits it, and then I dodge the Q2. So after he hits Q1, of course, Ambessa will use Q2, and you'll try to do it out in the open space so a minion doesn't block it. So I sort of fake left, and then juke to the right here, manage to dodge that Q2. And then while his spells are on cooldown, that's when you strike. It's a bait and punish matchup. It's not a punish matchup, you have to bait first. So now that his spells are down, pick up the Axe Bomb Q, and long trade. We want short trade, we want long trade, she wants short trades. Beat the shit out of her there. And then going back. Now, do we have to crash wave 2 or wave 3? Definitely a wave 2er here. So boom. You can see again. She knows I want this last hit. Boom. Fake in and boom. Click out. Dodging that Q1. And because she hit she missed the Q1, her Q is on cooldown now. She doesn't have Q2. Now watching this back, I actually shouldn't last hit that. It's better to give the 14 gold than tank and auto. But it did not end up mattering that much. So just bashing the wave, keep lifestealing, keep full committing auto attacks. Keep healing as much as you can. If you're going to miss a last hit because you keep autoing, just use your E on it. Not the end of the world there. Like that. So 10 out of 12 and a really good level 1 trade. Relatively happy with that. So here I awarded that the normal bush, just in case the enemy jungler is eating our blue. Normally I award the tri-bush, but because my Lee Sin's eating their blue, their jungler could be eating our blue. And then I wanted to pull a creep out. So I go down here, catch that fella slipping, and pull him out down to the lane here. And again, baiting Q. Constantly, it's a baiting Q matchup. It's a mini game. You should be sweating by the end of this matchup. There's no time to chill. So bait the Q out. And then there. The reason I didn't last hit that minion is I didn't want to tank her Q2 or auto Q2. She's guarding it. If you auto attack this minion, I'm going to auto Q to you. She's doing that type of body language. So I just Q it for the last hit. Dodge her Q2. And now bait and punish. So get the E onto her. So far, I would say, other than that one auto attack and that one miss Q, pretty perfect display so far. So Q that, because I know I'm going to base soon anyway. I don't have to worry too much about using that mana. E auto. And then kite out the Q2. And now, I must get this wave in. I have to get this wave in. Hit the Q onto him. I know she doesn't have her W right now. So after I got this trade, because she wanted the cannon. Again, like she guarded her cannon, I'm guarding her one, my one here. If you touch this, I'm going to go. So Q, E auto. Because E has longer range, you can E first, just in case she clicks away. And one more Q. And now I've realized, okay, she doesn't have W. I have an opportunity to punish it. No, right there. Her next W. So she goes in, auto W, E. And now I realize, okay, she has no W. I've got level 4 advantage from that last minion. It's a really good opportunity to dive. So pop the Ghost, Q, auto, max range E, and we get that kill there. Even a little slap on the tower on the way down. So double long swords. No, okay, I've got flash and she doesn't. Good thing about Olaf, if you can leverage one sum and burn their one, they only have one mobility sum most of the time. That's really, really important. It's actually a lot harder for Olaf to verse champs that take Ghost and Flash, because you can't do the 1-for-1 special, because now I have Flash and she doesn't. But it's still important to note when the wave is coming towards you, you must chill. You must be very, very respectful when the wave is coming in, because if she goes on me right now, I can't get an extended trade and fight her in that big-ass cannon wave. It's way too difficult. So cue the cannon, let the wave fully crash. I'm not strong enough to fight you in this big wave, level 4 versus level 5. And I think a lot of players that play Olaf and Darius fall into this trap where long lane detected, I must all in. But if you verse a strong meta champion, if you're not versing Cho'Gath or something like that, you're versing Ambessa, Rumble, Jayce, some strong boys, it's pretty hard to fight them in a big-ass wave. So slow pushing this wave here. You can see I'm last hitting pretty gently for the most part. You can see I let the tower shoot the minion 3 times. It's called milking the tower. That's what I call it. Shoot the tower, the minion 3 times before you last hit it. You'll see here. That one I want to get a bit of lifesteal going. But it sort of keeps your wave here for longer so that you can start your all-in from here. So I want to all-in him on my bounce back, on my wave going to him. That's the best time to go because he doesn't have a big minion wave or XP advantage. I do. So here we go. So it's a 2-part process here. It's kind of like versing phase rush in a way, where you do 1 trade to bait the phase, 1 trade to kill. Versus Ambessa. So boom, 1 trade to bait her Q, she Q1'd, I dodged the Q2, and now I feel confident to go for it. So now, hit the Q, no, missed the Q, sorry, there, she E'd in, hit the E auto, now, okay, she E'd forward and has to W away, I'm confident here. Hit the Q, and she's dead. I don't even need a flash here. Just go on her, go on her, go on her. So I would say I didn't bait her either, watching it back. She more so just used E onto me. But because she used a mobility spell towards me, she has to use one to get away. So I felt confident I could go for this all-in here. And you'd see that summoner spell discipline. You actually don't need to be that disciplined in the early game. It matters more in the mid game, but still a good habit to have. And now the lane is completely cooked for him. Next we have the Olaf vs Volibear matchup. So one of the hardest types of lanes to verse for an Olaf is stat checky Ignite champions. So champs like Volibear, Set, Garen, they can be a little bit tough, so I wanted to showcase one of that. So level 1, my game plan is to bash the wave as much as possible and get priority, because Volibear level 1 is not strong. Volibear level 3 is very strong, but level 1's pretty bad. So I want to just hit the wave. If he walks up and hits it, I'm going to dodge his E and go for an all-in when the shield is on cooldown. That's sort of my plan. So if he went a bit earlier, if he didn't do the 3 CSE thing, if he just tried to E me level 1, I'll dodge it and then go on him. Pretty much. That's why he's respecting here. He knows it as well. This Volibear one trick knows that Olaf will win the level 1, so he doesn't want the smoke there. So I'm just trying to get priority here, but I'm not rushing it too much. I'd rather a 3-wave crash this game because he didn't walk up. If he walked up and I beat the shit out of him and I bothered the wave, I'd go for a 2-wave. But because he played quite respectful, I just went for a wave 3. Remember, you have to be very adaptable with your wave 2 versus wave 3s here. But the rule of thumb is, if you beat the shit out of your opponent and you make the wave angry, you can do a wave 3. But if you want more info, I've got a lot of videos on this topic here. We're pushing the wave, and wave 3 comes, time to hard push. So I'm just going to nuke this wave in. So beat this guy up if he goes near me. And then while his spells are on cooldown, this is my time to just bash the wave. So there's quite a lot of damage there, which is why a lot of people hate these types of matchups. But I don't mind them. It's all about creating that long trade window when their spells are down. So 1 shot and base and cheater recall. So 18 out of 19 CS, not too bad. And we come back with a item advantage. But he is Volibear, he's a good wave clear. So he also matches my reset. But we're still in a pretty good position, I would say. How many CS did we miss? If we go back to it, we miss 1 CS from that base. Perfectly fine. And no XP lost. That's a good benefit if they are playing a champ that can one-shot the wave, is you lose less XP because they're killing the wave off you. Okay, so my plan here, I want to bait him to all-in me with Q. And then punish him when his Q is down. Because Q guarantees E. But if he doesn't hit Q, I'm never going to tank an E. It's impossible for Volibear to hit E on me if I'm not stunned. So I'm trying to bait him to use Q. So I Q E there, click backwards, and wait out the bite. Wait out the bite. You cannot give him a fight where he's got the bite on you. So kite it out, and now trying to bait the Q. Boom. He Qs in, I click back. I don't want to stop in Q, because Q self-CCs you momentarily, so I'm waiting it out, and now. Now his Q and E is down, it's time to go. So I pop the Ghost, and of course we win the extended trade here. Boom, boom, boom. You see how my W to the very end. Nice clean kill. Bait and punish mindset. Versus Ambessa, versus Volibear, versus heaps of champions. The bait and punish mindset is the way you go. It's not as easy as just pop, hit them with Q, pop goes, run them down, unless you're versing an easy matchup. So base, come back to lane. Watching it back, I probably should have based a little bit earlier, but not the end of the world. So playing it slow here. Remember, if you miss your Q, call it off. It's like a red alert, like a red alarm bells in my ear. If I miss this Q, call it off here. If I hit this Q, I could probably go for him because he just uses W. But I miss, so I have to chill. Your Q is your sword and your shield. If your Q is on cooldown, you cannot approach the wave. Imagine I went and last hit that, and he just QEs me. QE autos clicks backwards. I'm going to be 60% HP. I cannot afford that because I cannot take short trades. I'm a long trading king. So now I'm trying to hunt for a Q, and boom, hit the Q, and time to go. Ulti is Q, and of course, we win long trades, he wins short trades. And once you have ulti, this matchup gets a bit easier because his Q becomes irrelevant there. So kill him, one-shot the wave, and now this lane is completely cooked as well. Next up, we have a ranged top matchup playing up against Varus, everyone's favorite top laner at the moment. So the thing to keep in mind about Varus is he's pretty weak level 1. Because he needs to stack his W and then proc it with E or Q. But he can't do that with one ability, of course. So what you want to do is try to get your priority. So you're mainly playing for the wave, but if he steps out of position like that, you can go for it. So why is he out of position? What spacey mistake did he make? He stopped to hit me right now when he should have been clicking away. So that's a red flag, you're not allowed to do that, so I'm going to bash this guy's head in. So we got a pretty good extended trade there, one more Q for the fade away there. So we hit the wave, but to be honest in this situation, I would have rather have gone for a wave 3 crash, so it actually would have been better for me not to take that trade and primarily play for the wave there. That's still going to be fine, I just had to do my least favorite thing, and base after wave 2. Not the end of the world, but not amazing. So in future, against this matchup, I will be crashing wave 3, that's worked better for me in other games. But the reason I showed this one, not other ones, other games, I got jungle help, so I thought this would be a little bit of a better example, even though my opener wasn't as strong. So bashing the wave, slow push, really big slow push, and now you're hunting. Level 3 with the wave on your side. Remember, if you only take short trades, he's going to poke you out and then you can't long trade him. So you need to create an extended trade while you're healthy, while the lane is long enough to do so. So I'm going to be really hunting to hit him with Axe and ghost him down the lane, but he knows it too. He's playing really respectful here. So I'm just going to slow push this one, hard push this wave. And initially I wanted to go for a proxy, but he looked like he was kind of guarding it a bit. I didn't quite know. Actually, I do know where the jungler is, but the timing's just a bit off. I didn't make it in time, which is fine. We rotate down just in case there was a fight, and then back to top. But because I cleanly crashed that previous wave, it bounces right back to me, and we can go for this extended. So boom, level 5. So see what I did there? Is I hit my Q. I didn't go straight away. I quickly got my level 5 and then got ghosted because remember, like we talked about, if you pick up your axe after a couple seconds, boom, you get the full reset. So you can Q straight away. And I led with E because I know I want to be auto-attacking this guy multiple times. There's a good chance I can get a second E down. I don't remember if I did or not. I think I did. Yep, that second E. Where I noticed amongst a lot of Olaf learners, people that are still learning the champ, that they hold their E for a bit too long and then you don't get multiple E's off. So I hit him with I picked up the axe and then EQ, auto, and you can see how close this was, but because I'm Olaf, I know I win the long trade, we're able to win, even flash just in case he released that Q there. So it's all about manipulating your wave in a way where you can create that extended trade with your sums. So Tiamat first buy, so I can have more control of the wave and base whenever I want. But I'm trying to get one more timer where the wave comes into me and I can go for an ulti kill. Because level 6v6 is pretty nice, because your ulti counters his ulti, of course. So I'm a big fan of this matchup. And boom, there we go. So at the axe, beat him up, waiting for his ulti, and now I ulted. So the reason I held my ulti here, you don't have to, it's just a little bit more advanced, but the reason I held it is there's a chance that he flashes my Q. So if he just flashed my Q and didn't ult me, then my ulti would be wasted. If you just flash my Q like up here or something, then I'll try to click away and try not to use my ulti. Just try to dodge his ulti and not use mine. It's a little bit more like min-maxing, but using ulti here is fine, of course. So hit the Q and beat him up. I win long trades, you win short trades. As long as the trade goes for long enough, I am the king. Use my W at below 30% HP, and now the lane is completely over for him as well. For our next matchup, we have Gwen, and this Gwen went for Ghost and Ignite, so definitely a very, very volatile setup here. So getting priority is of course really important here. You'll notice I get priority in most of my games. Olaf just gets priority in a lot of matchups. Some that can get priority against him would be like Trundle or something, but it's pretty rare that you don't get push. So here you can see I'm trying to put pressure on Ozona from XP. My level 1 is a lot stronger than her, so I really want to make her pay for it. It's really hard pressuring here, making it very uncomfortable, make her pay that price for XP there. But as long as I don't miss XP myself. You'll notice if you look at my XP bar, halfway, we didn't miss any XP. So my top priority is not missing my own. But the second priority is zoning his. That's why I moved to the left here. As my minion died, you can see around here, just to get that last XP. And this is really good. Even though we're both half, we can just bash the wave and lifesteal down. We get priority, we have level advantage. We can base before, all of that good stuff. So here I'm going to go for a 2-wave crash and then try to make the wave come back to me to make her leave the safety of her tower. Just for hitting the wave, getting as much lifesteal as possible, and of course trying to Q her and the wave same time, get that collateral going. So 9 out of 12, we gave the first 3 though from the zone, so I'd say perfect CS for a game where we zoned XP off her. And then the next wave comes in, catch a minion. I love the wave 2 crash into minion pool. For those of you who don't know, just step ahead of the minion, catch the first one, auto attack him for good measure, give him a little slap on the bum, and then take him out to the center of the wave here. So now I'm going to get level 3 before her, and I can stack wave 3 and 4. Now, if she played perfectly till this point, I would attack her every time she farmed, stack wave 3 and 4, and probably base myself if I used a bunch of HP and mana during the trades. But here she made a mistake, I'm pretty sure. So QE, here we can see, just a little short trades every time she walks up. That wasn't too bad of a mistake, different game I'm thinking of. So we hit the Q, click backwards. You can see I'm cleanly crashing wave 2, cleanly crashing wave 4. Olaf, it's really important because if you don't cleanly crash your waves, you can't create extended. So you can see every single game we've watched so far, I've cleanly crashed every wave that I've pushed towards them. Not one wave at a time, but you know what I mean. Every time I've crashed a wave, it has been clean. Here's the mistake. If you touch this minion, I'm going to go. You can see I'm trying to bait her Q as well. Part of this matchup is baiting, just like the Ambessa one. Bait and punish, bait and punish. So I'm trying to bait her to use her Q. But she didn't fall for it. So I go in the bush, Q her from the bush so she can't see it. Quick to the side. You can see I'm using my approach velocity to dodge the center part of her Q. That made it so she had to use E to hit me. So now she doesn't have her E available. EQ, auto, hold the W, tell them a bit lower, and then Q, auto, W, or auto there. Nice, clean, solid kill. So all in the wave control, but watch a bit more of the lane. So Hexdrinker first recall. We talked a bit about this versus Gwen, and yes, this game it's obvious they have Gwen and Nidalee, but even if there was Lee Sin jungle, I'd still go Hexdrinker. I've just found this matchup so hard, even with a lead. You just get one shot at level 6 with ulti ignite if you don't have Hexdrinker. Some games I won't, maybe, you know, they have a Pantheon mid, so maybe actually if they had a Lee Sin jungle, I wouldn't, but I actually would have in this game, because I based on exactly 1300, so it's just way too juicy of a buy. So last hit. Gwen, Rumble, and Akali are the big 3. I really don't like to ego Hexdrinker, or only ego it if my lane opponent's really terrible or something, and they're solo AP. So again, another day, another hard push. The reason I need to hard push this wave, if you want to get into more details there, my wave's just so big. If I slow push this one, it's going to end up around here where she's standing. So it's better for me just to hard push this one here and go for a juicy crust. So I always try to get proc approach velocity before I go for the crust. It's easier to space in and out and get that tower plate. So proc approach, and they're slowed, it's harder for them to sort of punish you for it. So there I was trying to bait her Q at the end. Here, boom, 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 trying to bait that Q out. Again, we're going to try pull a minion. So right here, I'm going to try to catch the ones off to the side. There we go, got him. Pull him back out here. So I can create an extended trade. So you can see I'm pre-warding, kind of planning for my all-in and guarding the minion. If you touch this creep, I'm going to Q and beat the shit out of you. It's all in the mindset. If he doesn't really touch it, I'll just let the wave come back towards me. That's what I did here. She didn't really play that aggressive, so I just let my wave come back in, let it come in, let it come in. trimming it a little bit as it comes in, and now my time to shine it. Remember, we're going fishing. If we hit that X, you are dead. Boom. Hit the X, pop the ghost, and good night to you. Pop my ulti after she ults, and dead. Just face tanking with that nice Hex Drinker. Didn't need it there, of course, but still a really, really good kill. So you can kind of see big learning from this game and all the other ones before it. Hard pushing your wave really important. If you feel like that's something you struggle with, slow pushing versus hard pushing, definitely a really big thing for you to work on. And for our final matchup, we have Olaf up against Jax. And I'm actually going to show two versions of this one. One versus Grasp Jax and one versus Lethal Tempo Ignite, as it's pretty much two different matchups. So in this matchup here, starting with the Grasp Jax, you want to get priority. So Olaf versus Grasp Jax, Olaf will get pushed because if Jax takes a trade and he's on cooldown, Olaf can run him down, but you can't quite do that versus LT Ignite Jax. So you can see level 1, I'm trying to bait him to use his E. I don't want to tank a extended trade on his E, so I'm kind of fake ordering him, and you want to fake order at a time when you proc your approach velocity. When he's slowed and you're fast, this is the best time to go. Right now, 403 movement speed, this is my best time to go. So I fake auto and click out, and space out his E. And you can kind of see I actually did a little S key at the end there to not run too far away. So I actually S keyed here because I don't want to run too far out of his E. Then I come back in, and now it's time for that extended trade. When as he's on cooldown, he can't really touch the wave there, but because he tried to, it's bash time. So I pop the ghost, good little sidestep by him though, but I still got an extended trade, which I wanted. Now I get control of the lane here. So second E will come up very shortly, so I'm trying to get my level 2 ASAP here. And boom, get level 2 and hit him at the same time with my Q, get the E, and walk into the bush to make it so he can't auto, even buffering my Q through his stun as well. So pretty good stuff there. Now I need to get this wave in because we can't really 3-wave crash because we pushed too quickly, so I crash wave 2. Now, not the most pretty crash of all time. Pretty good, but not the best. The reason why it's okay is because we've got such good trades. So even if your wave control is not pixel perfect, like him, as long as it's not hideous, it's okay as long as you got some good trades as like a trade-off, right? If he respected and I didn't trade onto him, I'd have more time to make my wave more beautiful there. So now you can see if he goes in, I'm ready to trade onto him with E. So E and then buffer Q again. I don't want to Q straight away. I want to Q kind of at the very end of his stun so that when I come out, he still CC'd. So you can see I even use the approach velocity there. Of course, he could have cut his E early, but I use the approach velocity there, click away, come back in, and start autoing his head off. So Q him, and now I did a little special trick where I went 2 points in E just for this flash auto E. So nice clean kill there. So you can see versus the Grasp Jax, it's all about the bait and punch and getting priority. Kind of similar to the Ambessa matchup in a way. And if you can successfully bait out his E and space it with that approach velocity, you have a massive window to get an extended trade and get full control of the lane. And here we have Lethal Tempo Ignite Jax, so pretty much a completely different champion. The biggest difference is the Jax will get priority if he takes a setup, because if you try to get priority and try to bait his E and punish, like I just did, even if I perfectly bait and punish his E, he can just sit in the wave and beat the shit out of me and pop Ignite on my head, and it's not really that favorable for me. So here you can see I'm playing primarily for the wave here. Now it's really important not to let him get behind you. So you can see what he's trying to do there, get behind me and make me run through him to get back to tower. So I'm sort of tethering him, staying just out of his auto and E range, but trying not to let him get behind me and just sneaking in as many autos on the wave as I can here. I'm still trying to bait a Z. You can see that little movement there. Right click onto him, click backwards, trying to trick him to use that E so that I've freed him to farm and maybe take a little trade. And there it goes. The second or third time I tried it, we did successfully bait out that E. So fake auto, click away, and buffer Q through the CC. So perfect right there. But if right now, if I pop Ghost and Q onto him, he actually could just sit there and fight me. So that's why it's a lot harder if they have Lethal Tempo and Ignite. But I'll show you exactly how to win it. So I'm sort of trimming the wave here as it comes in. You can see I queued all of the minions and him. That's intentional because I want the wave to be as small as possible. Of course, respecting the level 2. You can see I'm only 1 minion off level 2. I didn't really give him hard priority. I've committed a lot of damage into the wave, which makes it very hard for him to crash this wave cleanly. So I'm chilling, and now I can just keep trimming the wave from underneath the tower and block the caster minions from crashing. I walked out there. You can let the melee minions hit tower, but not the casters. You need the safety of this tower. Most of the time, Olaf is an extended trading champion. Versus Lethal Tempo Ignite Jax, you mainly actually play for short trades in the early game. And I'll show you those right now here. So Q, And I'm fishing for ease here. He's spacing it well, but I'm fishing for ease this whole time. Look, my mouse keeps flicking to him. I'm fishing for ease here because he has extra range over an auto. So I'm fishing, and he can W you when you E, but that's perfectly fine trading 1-for-1 with him. So here we go, boom, QE, click backwards. It's a nice little short trade. I'm using the Q and the E extra range there. So bashing the wave for lifesteal and E cooldown, so I can look to E him again. So it's coming by really shortly. Just keeping your wave here is the most important thing. So boom, EQ, click away. Keep bashing the wave as much as I can here. I'm going to go for another one really shortly. So it's all about trimming the wave, poking them with your E and Q range advantage, even though he can trade W for E like that, which is fine, and just slowly chipping away that health bar. Now I did something a little bit risky, but the risk isn't that big. I snuck in an auto W. Good Jax players are really good at holding their E, so sometimes you can actually use that to your advantage here. It's kind of like that pyramid, the roller coaster thing. Terrible Jax players never use E. Really good Jax players don't use E, and everyone else in the middle, they just kind of use it really easily. So here I snuck in an auto W to get a lot of extra damage there. So now I'm going to be hunting for the trade. You see I'm still actually respecting a little bit because he can just pop that ignite and beat me up with E. So I do have to be quite careful. You can see also I went 2 points in E. I really like to do 3 points E in the Jax matchup. So hit him with Q and just keep hitting the wave, keep lifestealing. I'm planning this all in, but I want to be a little bit healthier before I go for it. So really in that lifesteal pumping. I know he doesn't have TP, so I don't feel a lot of pressure to go straight away. But I really didn't want him to base with the wave coming to him. So chuck the Q out, and now we gotta chill, wait for our Q to come back off cooldown, and now I can face check him. I feel healthy enough. Walk in, E, click away, pop the Q, pop the ghost. You can see I'm really spacing him, kind of keeping my distance here. I'm ordering the wave as I walk past to get E cooldown back up. And boom, flash E, nice, clean solo kill there. You can kind of see a really big difference between Lethal Tempo and Grasp Jax. It's all about how you play the waves in the early game versus Grasp Jax trying to get that priority, versus LT Jax really trying to let the wave come in, take nice short trades, chip away at him. And it's important that you register what setup they took in loading screen so that you can play your lane accordingly. Moving on to the matchups, and it wouldn't be a Coach Chippy's 3-hour champion guide movie if I didn't go through every single matchup one by one. So we will be doing that and timestamping it all down below, exactly how you should play into those lanes. But I also wanted to go through 2 matchup tier lists for Olaf, so that you can have a good understanding of which matchups you should be winning, or what matchups going even is a big win for you. So I'll start with the high elo matchup tier list. So this is the objective way the matchup should go in challenger games. So the hard ones, you can see a lot of fun up here. Akali, Rumble, Aurora, champs like Teemo and Jayce that can take phase rush. It's really up to them to make the mistake. And these matchups is mainly playing for high CS, playing for waves and punishing their mistakes. If Jayce procs phase rush onto you and then walks up and you hit an axe and you're level 6, of course you can ghost him down. But a lot of these matchups you have very low agency, so I'll just play mainly for good farm and backtimers, all of that good stuff. Now for opponent favored, these matchups are not quite to the same level of no agency as the one above, but they have all the options here. They have a lot more threat onto you. A lot of them can take ignite. A lot of them can just space you out well like Cassio or Ambessa. So these matchups as well, they will have the upper hand. But if I were to face any of these, I'd be relatively happy because that means I'm not versing something like Rumble. So I wouldn't be too pressed about these ones. Some of them can be very scary early game, like Riven, like Pantheon, like Irelia, but there's little tricks you can do, which I will go through when we go through every matchup one by one. Now for the skill matchup tier. So skill matchups for me are pretty much matchups where I'm very, very excited not to verse something super cringe. It doesn't mean it's a free win though. You do have to have a really good understanding of the opener, who gets priority, how the trade should be looking, who wants short trades, who wants long trades. So definitely this guide will really help you understand that. But these matchups can go either way. Sometimes I'll lose them if I'm versing Darius King or something, he can beat me on Darius. Or sometimes, you know, most of the time I'd say I'd win the Jax one, but I'll win the Jax one, Jax vs Olaf as well. So it's really skillful, I'd say a lot of these, and it's really snowbally as well. Whoever gets the first kill, if you die once to a gank, if it's like volley bear with ignite or set with ignite, it can get very, very brutal, and same for them. If you get an early kill or get a gank or something, you can just run them over. So these matchups are very snowbally either way. Now for Olaf favored, so these are ones where you can just get 10 cents per minute, you have all the agency on your reset, you win long trades into pretty much all of them. These matchups are great. Some of them are hard at certain situations, like level 1 ignite Yasuo with lethal tempo can be hard, stuff like that, and some of them are quite happy, like Mundo, to sit under tower. So even though it's Olaf favored, Mundo is a good example. He's relatively happy in that one because it's pretty much because he's not visiting like a Gwen or something. Same with us, we're happy that we're not visiting a Rumble or a Teemo or something. So you can kind of see that. And then for free, these are matchups where you can pretty much solo kill them every single time, no matter how good they are. These matchups are extremely high kill threat for you. If you don't die to a gank or do anything too crazy, like miss a back timer, you're pretty much guaranteed to get early kills into those champions. Now, for our general matchup tier list, so this applies to all elo brackets in some way. Of course, there are going to be some differences. So, for example, for Akali, in Iron or Bronze, this matchup would be a lot easier than in Diamond or Emerald. So, of course, they're not going to be the exact same. But I would still say, from my experience coaching a lot of Olaf players, even when they're playing in Gold or in Platinum, Akali still looks really brutal for them. So these matchups are just ones where if you don't pick your moments extremely well to go in, you're either going to die or get bled out. So it can be very tricky for you. And opponent favored, they just have so much kill threat, especially if you're low. If you make one bad trade versus Garen level 6+, he's going to kill you on the next rotation. Same with set, same with volume. So these matchups, your spacing does need to be relatively good. And that's a hard skill on Olaf to learn. Spacing with approach velocity and your Q. Using the speed backwards and forwards to sort of keep distance, to juggle axes a little bit, and then actually committing to the all when the time is right. It's not as simple as hit axe, right click them, they're dead. These, especially these matchups up in opponent favored, you need to be a little bit more elegant with it. Now for skilly, I'd say for these ones, for Gold, Platinum, Emerald, all pretty similar. The better player will usually win these ones, whoever plays the lane the best, if we don't include jungle interaction. There are some where I feel like Riven, for example, in Diamond will probably beat most Diamond Olafs, but maybe in Silver, most Olafs, Silver Olafs will beat Silver Rivens. So there are some sort of variables like that there. And then for Olaf favored, I'd say a lot of these matchups are you hit axe, you can run them down, you don't have to be as elegant. The Teemos in Silver and Gold and Plat, they never really know how to build Swifty boots or never know how to take phase rush. So I feel like you just have so much kill threat against them. Against good challenger Korean Teemo players, it's unplayable. It's so miserable, but against a bad Teemo, you just hit axe and he's dead. So it's a lot easier down there. Now for free, kind of similar to before, it's weird because there are some matchups where they can pressure you really hard early game like Urgot, but they just don't. At lower ranks, they just don't pressure you. And especially at level 6 versus Urgot, versus Cho'Gath, versus Maokai, hit axe equals dead if you pop that ghost. So a lot of these matchups you will have a lot of threat and agency in. Next up, we have everyone's favorite part of these guides, where I'm going to be going through every single matchup one by one and breaking down exactly how you should be playing the early lane. I'll also include some itemization and summoner spell tips, all of that good stuff, so that you have the best preparation possible heading into game. I'm also going to timestamp all of these matchups down below, so you can open up these matchups in Champ Select and head into that game ready to dominate your opponent. First up, we have the Aatrox matchup. Now for this one, you're going to be taking the standard Olaf setup. And if I ever say that for any of these matchups, I mean just running this exact rune page with Ghost, Flash, and Doran's Blade. Now, you must keep priority in this matchup no matter what, but I always want you to hunt for an extended trade. If Aatrox is playing super far back, respectful, max range queuing you, all of that stuff, you can't really do it. In that case, I'd recommend doing a wave 3 crash. But if he walks up, if he wants to play the game, you want to get an extended trade, and that's going to bother the wave, which means you have to do a 2-waver. Now remember, we always dodge in, not out. So if you hit him with Q before he Q1s you, you get that slow, you get that approach velocity, and you close the gap inward so he doesn't hit the sweet spot of Q1, you're in the golden zone. Beat the shit out of him, bash him down, keep cycling Q, and then sort of run through him in erratic directions, because if you dodge the center part of Q3, you will dominate that trade. Now after that, you crash wave 2, making sure to auto attack the wave the whole time, so they constantly lifesteal, and then you kind of stack wave 3 and 4 together. At this point, you'll be getting a little bit low, so normally we crash wave 4, base, and head straight back to lane. If the Aatrox player played really safe and you couldn't get that good trade, crash wave 3 and base, it's the same thing. Come back, longsword refill, and we go for this Ghost Flash all-in kill with our D-Blade longsword refillable potion as the wave comes back towards us. If you crash wave 2 and you're really healthy, high HP, high mana, not the end of the world, you can just stay instead of basing, let the wave come back in and run him down level 4. It's pretty similar, just without the sword, perfectly fine, but you're always aiming for kind of that level 4 kill. Maybe if he ends 1 or 2, you can take him out, but most of the time, your best work is done level 4, and that's where you get him. Now, keep in mind this matchup, your Q usage has to be quite disciplined later on because of his E. If he dodges the Q of your E, it becomes very, very uncomfortable. So normally I will never go for an all-in until I start it by hitting a Q, pop that Ghost Run at him, pick up the axe, and then I'm just bashing him, waiting for him to dash, because if you Q as he dashes to the side and you dodge it can be very uncomfortable. I also recommend Rev Hydra more often than not. Of course, if it's Aatrox, 4 range champions, we have to go Stride Breaker, but I'd prefer Rev, and don't go Healing Cut until your Rev or Stride is done. You can go Healing Cut after that, go Xyz, but don't build it before it, it's not worth it. For Akali, the two most important things is first of all getting priority. You must get pushed no matter what. Second is rushing Hexdrinker. So for this lane, usually I would like to play quite slow early game. If she does something dumb and I can get an extended trade, I'll take it. But most Akalis won't do that. So mainly you're just building wave 1, 2, 3, crashing wave 3 and cheater recalling. I really like cheatering in this matchup. If you obliterate your level 1 and you have to wave 2 crash, not the end of the world, but I really like wave 3 crash in this one. Come back to lane with longsword refill, because that means you can extend the lane for a while, and then on your next base you can build a full Hexdrinker from scratch. It's pretty hard to stay in lane for a full 1300, so normally one early base, and then second base, which is around level 5.5 to 6, you get that Hexdrinker just in time before she can one-shot you from full HP. Now, this matchup is all about you need to play around her W very well. You sort of try to bait her to use W. So you Q, walk towards her, fishing for an E. If she gets a Shroud up, click away instantly. Call it off straight away. It's more of a bait and punish matchup. If you can bait her to a Shroud and then go on her when it's on cooldown, that is your best bet, because you don't want to be standing there sitting on your hands with your ulti going, standing on her Shroud, and she just waits you out. She can wait out your W, she can wait out your ulti. It's very, very hard matchup, one of Olaf's hardest, so this one is mainly for farm. When I play into good Akalis, it's less about killing them. It's more about high CS, good back times, because you have such good wave clear, and with Hexdrinker you can survive her burst. It's all about just weathering the storm there, staying out the early game, getting that Hexdrinker built. You can fully upgrade it to a Maw if they have a bit more AP elsewhere, that's perfectly fine, but this matchup mainly played for high CS, basing, poking her down while farming at the same time with Q, that type of thing. Don't make this one too volatile. If you're both low HP, it is 100 times better for Akali. Next up we have Ambessa, and I've played this matchup about 1,000 times this year, so definitely one of my most experienced ones. So for this one, you must get priority. You want to take priority with the standard setup, and usually in this one I'll go for a wave 2 crash, because if you try to milk a wave 3 crash versus a good Ambessa player, they are going to perma poke you down, because the problem with a wave 3 crash is you get level 2 at a similar timing, so they don't have to respect you. So for this one, I try to bait her Q level 1, still doing the stanky leg in and out of her Q range, baiting her, especially if I can hit a Q first, get that approach velocity going and run at her, because in top lane if you hit your opponent they always want to hit you back, so you hit that Q, you step in, step out, step in, step out, dodge Q1, try to dodge Q2, and then you go. If you hit an axe on her when her Q2 is just used and she doesn't have hops anymore, you can even pop Ghost, but sometimes you just run at her, bash her down, get that extended trade. She wants short trades, you want long trades. That is this matchup in a nutshell. So we crash wave 2, wave 3 bounces out, we stack wave 3 and 4, crash that bad boy, base, come back to lane, and then you run her down on that level 4 timer. That's a really good way to play this matchup. Or even sometimes if I crash wave 2 and I'm healthy, I'll stay healthy, I'll respect her when she gets level 3 before me, try to trim the wave a little bit by axing her in the wave at the same time as it comes in, and then when the wave's outside my tower, especially when my jungler's pathing up, I'll go for a level 4 all in there. But don't just hit an axe and pop Ghost on her. This champion came out very recently. Keep that in mind, very OP, so still a bait and punish. So what I'll try to do is try to bait out the Q, or even tank the Q if I don't bait it successfully, and then she walks up the farm, then I hit the axe and go, while her Q is on cooldown, or any spell really, because if she only has W and E, you can stick onto her, but if she has Q1, Q2, W and E, and flash, very, very hard to do so. So that's sort of the essence of this matchup, the bait and punish. And for this one, you can go Rev or Stride. I like Rev way more. I mainly like Rev way more into most matchups, but for this one, if it's Ambessa with like Vi, Leona, just go Rev. If it's Ambessa with some slippery jungler, like a Talon or Kindred or something, just go Stride. That is okay, but Rev is a little bit better for the 1v1. Next up, we have Aurora, so another one of Olaf's least favorite matchups. And for this one, you're going to be taking Stride Breaker as your rush pretty much every single game. It's very unlikely they have Vi, Yasuo mid-jungle with a Yasuo AD carry and you can go Rev, if that's the case, of course. But 99% of the time versus Aurora, we go Stride with Ghost Flash. And I'd still recommend going Doran's Blade, but if you're still new to Olaf, you can go Shield. Now, keep in mind this matchup is not winnable from Olaf. Your goal is to get Stride Breaker and only be down 20 or 15 CS. Because at Stride Breaker, you can just 100 to 0 her with no mercy. You can completely obliterate her at that spike. So that's really what you're aiming for. Before that, it's all about baiting her abilities. Not to bait and punish, the champ's not punishable, but to bait and sort of chill. Bait and dodge the spell, and that gives you breathing room to farm. So she will get priority in this matchup if she's good, because if you try to get pushed, she'll poke you down way too much. So you mainly play the bushes, stay healthy, let her push you in, and then normally level 3, I'll look for an all-in. It's not going to kill her, probably, but it's going to buy me space. So if I hit an X level 3, pop the Ghost Run at her. If you can dodge her E-slow, amazing. And sometimes I'll trade Ghost Flash for her Flash to get her low. So if she's low HP, then you can crash a wave and base. So you're sort of using your sums, level 3 or 4, to give yourself a base. That's the really important part of this matchup, because if you just sit there, getting poked down, getting poked down, getting poked down, eventually you're going to be too low to ghost her down, and you'll get dove by the jungler, or you have to base and lose an entire wave. So I conserve HP early in the brush, stay healthy, hit that X level 3 or 4 when her wave isn't that big, when my wave's bouncing back to her, pop that ghost, as make sure you got a lot of Q discipline, because she has 2 dashes, the E, the W. It's really cringe, but with ghost you can kind of catch up to him, burn her flash or chunk her to 40% HP, and that buys you a lot of breathing room to crash the wave and get yourself that first reset. And then next time your sums come back up, then you can kind of go for a kill. But if your ulti, she's going to ulti and jump away. So again, this matchup's all about that Stride Breaker spike. You're mainly playing, apart from that level 3 crazy strat, apart from that, you're mainly playing for Tiamat Rush, Crash Wave Base, Crash Wave Base, Crash Wave Base, and try to get through that brutal early game. Moving on to the Camille matchup. Now, this is definitely a lane that you want to play more so for your level 5 to 6. I'd say early game, you don't want to interact with her that much. Sure, if she walks up and baits her passive and gives you a long trade opportunity, take it, because you win every long trade, she obliterates every short trade, and make sure you're trading when her passive's down. Camille passive actually blocks Olaf E. It's very, very cringe. So you need to make sure you're mainly playing early game for clean wave crashes. I like to go for a wave 3 crash in this matchup, and then base because she's going to W a little bit and E off the wall on level 2. So you mainly just want to play the crash wave 3 base, come back, longsword, D-blade, and then when the wave is by your side, it's hard for her to E, then you can go for that long trade. But a lot of the time in this matchup, I find it's quite difficult to get an early kill. It's mainly level 5, 6 onwards, where you can chase her with ulti and then flash follow her E against the wall, because if you have your ulti going and you flash against her on the wall, she can't go anywhere with her E2. So then you can easily get that long trade and kill her. But if you don't have ulti, her ET is going to bump you back, and then she'll just walk away. So very, very awkward. So mainly this matchup, you can't really kill her until 6, unless she does something dumb. Just keep in mind, early game 3-wave crash is the play here. And make sure as well, if you can Q her, just as she goes for a W, and dodge it in or out with approach velocity, amazing. Especially if you dodge in, and then E her before she auto-attacks you, before her passive could block it. Really, really good. So there are some finer details for that matchup to watch out for. And also, when it gets to the Camille zone, make sure you respect her off the wall. Don't let her E auto QQ you. You're going to take too much damage. So this matchup's more about good wave states, good recalls, setting yourself up a wave in the future to get that all in, especially around level 6. Next up, we have Cassiopeia, and for this one, I do recommend going Stride Breaker pretty much every time, unless they have a full melee comp. Now, your goal in this one is to get priority, because Cassio's level 1 is terrible, her level 2 is very, very broken, so you want to get priority, and for this one, I normally just go for a wave 2 crash, and let the wave come back towards me. If she gives you an opportunity to run her down level 1, take it, but a lot of casters will go phase rush in this matchup, so it's very, very difficult, and this matchup is just a skill shot dodging mini game. You have to pretend to farm click back, pretend to go on her click back, and constantly bait and dodge her Q. Luckily for you, there are only about 3 Cassiopeia players on the planet that can play her well in top lane, so it's unlikely you run into them unless you live in Korea. But just keep in mind this matchup, it's very, very hard if they have phase rush. So when they do have phase, you mainly play for 1 trade to bait phase rush when it's on cooldown, 1 trade to all in. You can go Hexdrinker in this matchup if you like. I'm not a fan of it unless they have Lilia or Zyra jungle with Cassiopeia. Other than that, I will just go Stride Breaker straight away. So get priority, crash wave 2 or 3 depending on what the Cassio player does, and you're mainly playing for a level 6 all-in, where it's a 2-round cycle, sort of 1 to bait phase, 1 to kill. If she's Conqueror, you can win a full HP versus full HP all-in, so don't hesitate, you got this. Make sure you kill her before you get too low. If you're like 50% or 60, then she can win. You want to go for that full HP versus full HP all-in around level 6, that is your best time to go. Sometimes you can do it level 4 as well. For the Cho'Gath matchup, this one's pretty straightforward. It's all about creating a long lane. So what I like to do is go for a wave 2 crash, let the wave come all the way back towards me and go for that all-in. Of course, level 1, if he tries to walk up and farm minions like an idiot, I will run him down and beat the shit out of him, but most of the time Cho'Gath sort of chill and farm with Q, so you bounce away back to your side, and then you sort of stand between them and the wave. There's a little bit of a Q dodging minigame going on. If you can dodge his Q, then you don't take any poke. If he takes one of your Qs, you pop that ghost, you can kill him. Make sure you're reacting to Cho'Gath's stomp. His little stomp animation comes out before the Q AoE, so you react to that to dodge it. But this matchup's pretty easy, especially at level 6. If you hit a Q onto him and the wave's by your side, he's just dead. So it's mainly about wave control. Don't just keep pushing in wave after wave after wave against him. Bounce it back to your side. Look for that opportunity. And later on in this matchup, I'd say level 7 onwards, level 8 onwards, you can just go for Proxy City with Tiamat. That's really effective as well. And I definitely recommend Rav Hydra in this one, unless they have a full range comp, because Rav Hydra into Cho'Gath, you can pretty much just stand there and right click him, and there's nothing he can do about it. Next up, we have the Darius matchup, and for this one, I used to recommend taking Ignite. I'm not a fan anymore. I recommend just the standard Ghost Flash, standard setup here. Now, this is matchup's probably one of the closest in top lane in terms of who gets priority, but I'd say Olaf has a slight edge if you hit every axe. If you miss even one axe early game, concede priority. Fully chill, fully give it up. You have to be really careful, and you can't go and fight him and his casters, but he can't go and fight you and yours. It's one of the closest of all time. So just bash the wave, bash the wave, bash the wave. If he comes to fight you, you can go on him as long as you hit every single axe and you drink your potion extremely early. I'm talking 90% HP, because this one is a close one. So whether you get priority or not, it really changes the matchup. If you get pushed, just make sure you get an early reset off, get that longsword refill going. If he gets pushed, make sure you try to conserve HP. Respect his level 2. One really important thing to note is when he's pushing towards you, you need to be willing to give a couple of creeps, because if he pulls you in, E or WQ, you're going to be too low to play the bounce, and that's a checkmate scenario. You have to give a couple creeps. Sometimes you can farm them or poke him same time, let the wave crash, and then attack him on your bounce back. That's okay. This matchup level 1 is okay. 2 to 5 is Darius favored. 6 onwards is Olaf favored, so we're mainly playing to get a clean even level 6, because if you hit an X onto him, when you have ulti, he no longer has access to his E, so you can win that all in. But it's all on the axes. If you hit most of your axes, you'll win this lane. If you miss them, you'll lose this one. So it's really important that you have that discipline, hold your axe, see what way he's juking, and make sure you don't toss it into outer space. Now, for the Doki Mundo matchup, this one is a little bit boring and non-interactive. You're not going to be playing really for solo kills, mainly for perfect CS. So you put a lot of your mental stake in towards farming, go for a 3-wave crash in this one. If you're healthy, you can proc the tower plate and the tower crust and stay. If you're low HP and mana, you can base, perfectly fine, and you're mainly playing to maintain priority. I don't really feel this is a matchup where I like to crash a wave, let it come back into me and run him down. It's mainly about stacking 2 waves at a time, proccing crust, getting a proxy angle if I can, invading the jungle if I can, because you have perma pressure. Get that Tiamat as quickly as possible, and perma look to attack mid, attack jungle, proxy, break tower crust. It's really little about the 1v1 in this one. And of course, go Ravenous Hydra. If you want healing cut, build it after your Rav Hydra is done. Don't build it before. It's not worth building it before. But this matchup, again, is more of a mindset shift. Put a lot of mental stake in towards having really good farm, wave control, basing, less about that 1v1 before the 1v1. Don't make it easy for him to hit Q. You want to hit him with your own axe, and then you run towards him, juke to the side. Make it hard, make it unpredictable for him. And if you dodge, say, a Q of his, you can get a free E onto him, which is really important there. And also, don't take any unnecessary damage from his E. If it looks like he's going to walk up and last it, sort of move in a way where he's not just slapping the minion and hitting you. So you have to walk kind of, not parallel to him, but in a way where he's not directly facing you with his line of sight as he is a minion. Don't take any unnecessary damage if you can avoid it. You want to use your HP kind of as a resource to break tower, because when you hit the crust, he's probably going to hit you a little bit, but if you're full HP, not the end of the world. Next up, we have the Fiora matchup. Now, for this one, some people like to take barrier. I'm not a fan. I like just going the standard setup. You can also go for Bramble Vest early on. That's definitely okay. It really depends how much gold I base with if I go for it or not. Most games, I'll just go straight Rev, but Bramble is definitely okay. Now, for this one, if she has PT Ignite, she will get priority level 1. So it's all about conserving your HP early game. She's a better champ than your level 1. You're stronger than your level 3 if you're full HP. So you mainly want to play for that level 3 all in. It also gets a bit better level 5, 6. So level 5, especially 3 points in Q, that's sort of the best timing to go if I had to pick one. Level 5v5, you hit that Q, pop Ghost. And keep in mind, she's going to try parry your E. So you want to Q her, run at her with Ghost, and then sort of juke to the side and make it hard for her. If she misses the W attack speed onto you, the attack speed slow, you will win. So it's really good to go level 5, because with ulti, it's really easy for her to proc all 4 vitals if she's a good Fiora player. So level 5 is the best timing because points on Nuku aren't as powerful as yours. So usually in this matchup, I'll let her push me in, stay healthy, stay healthy. If she fails her wave control and I can block the wave and poke it down with Qs and Es, I'll do that. If she doesn't, I'll kind of look for a level 3 timer on the bounce back if she makes a mistake. If she walks up and I hit Q and the vital is on my self side, meaning she can't hit it very easily, I'll go for an all-in. And I'm always trying to pop Ghost with approach velocity to dodge that W of hers, because if I hit you, it's going to be a very, very bad time. But don't feel too pressured to make this lane volatile early game. The pre-first recall is very Fiora favored. After you base once and have longsword refill level 4, level 5, that gets a lot better for you. So early game, you're going to play a little bit more conservative and go for these level 5, 6, 7 all-ins as opposed to being too crazy 1 to 3. Next up, we have the Gangplank Matchup, and this one's all about creating that extended trade. He only wants short trades. You want a long trade when you're both healthy. So what I like to do is go for either a 2 or a 3 wave crash. A 2 wave if he walks up and lets me beat him up. 3 wave if he sits really far back. Go through a 3 wave crash and base, or 2 wave crash, let it bounce back in. And when the wave is by my tower, it's time to go. I don't really trade that much in this matchup before the wave is near my side of the lane. So that if I hit that Q, I can pop that ghost and run him down and make it very, very hard for him. Now, if you tank a few barrels, it's not the end of the world. You don't have a dash, you don't have movement speed, but steroid, so you can't dodge Gangplank barrels, but just make sure you only tank 2 at a time. So if you have to double barrel to hit you, that's fine. It's too efficient if he hits you with 1 at a time. So what I like to do is if he has a barrel down, hit him with Q, run him, just step in the barrel and then step backwards and sort of bait him and trick him to use it. Then when the barrel's down, I'll pick up my axe again, hit him again with it, and then you can get a really, really good trade. That's your best timing to go. So remember, this matchup's all about the extended trades, and I highly recommend going team at first base, because this champion, when he has Sheen, is very, very painful. So you mainly just want to play to stack waves and crash, and base whenever you want. This lane, if Gangplank plays really well, you're not really going to kill him, but a lot of situations when you have the wave on your side, level 4 or level 6, you can get that extended trade going. Next up, we have the Garen matchup, and for this one, you definitely want to play for early game priority and securing that first reset. He has such a big sustain advantage over you with Garen passive, with having no mana, so usually I like to do a 2 wave into a 4 wave and base after that, and then come back with D-Blade Longsword, because even if he one-shots wave and bases, Garen doesn't really like small resets, like a 1 Longsword refill like Olaf does, so I normally like to force an early recall. Then level 4 or 5, I try to go for an all-in because Garen ulti is completely overpowered, so you always try to go for that all-in level 4 or 5. Remember, he wants a short trade, you want the long trade. So early game, I don't really look to trade that much. I mainly play him for getting the wave under tail, wave 2 into wave 4, and then basing, and that's when I go for the long trade. Because when you get back to lane, the wave's coming back towards you, hit that Q, pop that ghost, you can get that all in. Now, if Garen takes phase rush, it's a 2-step process. So 1 trade to bait the phase, 1 trade to go for the kill. If he has Conqueror, you just need to go for a full HP versus full HP all in. So I really recommend trying to get 1 before 6. After 6, you can still win, but it has to be literally full HP versus full HP. If you're like 70 or 75%, you will just get 1 shot. You have to be very, very careful for that. Now, for the Gnar matchup, I always look to get an extended level 1 trade and try to cheese him. So I always try to take over the 3rd lane bush and try to get behind him and get that extended trade, because Gnar's one of the weakest range top laners in the game at level 1, so you always try to get that trade going. And then after that, of course, if he makes a mistake, you punish. If he doesn't, you mainly just play for a wave 3 crash into base, come back to lane, and then try to run him down the lane when the wave's on your side. Try not to run him down when he has good Mega pre-6, because he's just going to stun you and jump away. But post-6, you can go for an all-in when he has Mega. It's actually a lot better. So pre-6, respect Mega. Post-6, go for an all-in when he's swapped into Mega form. Don't go onto it when he's like 99 Mega and he can double jump away. Remember, Mega Knight can't double jump, so if you hit an X onto him, pop that ghost and you have ulti, so he can't fling you away. It's a free kill, so you always look for kills on that timer. Pre-6 is all about getting that extended trade, and you want to watch out and not let him double jump off of you. So if you hit the Q onto him, pop ghost and run at him, don't just run through him. He's going to double jump off your head. So you sort of Q him, and then if he starts walking towards you, click backwards, try to space that out. Do not give him that double jump no matter what. For this one, you can go Stride Breaker. It makes it a lot easier later on, but if it's Gnar and a bunch of melees everywhere else, I will go Rev, but Stride Breaker is the default. For the Gragas matchup, you definitely want to move a lot of your mental stack away from the 1v1. You do get priority and you are stronger than him, but a phase rush Gragas is borderline unkillable if he doesn't do anything stupid. So you only really play in this one for CSing, getting perfect farm, tracking the jungle, getting good back timers, proxying when you can, really shifting their mental stack away from the 1v1 and more about high CS and a stable early game. Now, I always like to proxy early game in this one, so I usually go for a wave 3 crash into proxy wave 4. I'll usually ward the jungle as well level 1, ward the enemy buffs, I can see where he starts, because if he's pathing down, I can very easily get that proxy off. Some games I'll do a wave 2 crash into wave 4, and then proxy wave 5, because wave 6 is a cannon wave, so it's really easy to base after wave 5, get back and not lose anything. It's hard for him to crash that wave, so it's a really impactful way to play him. And against Gragas, the goal is sort of to keep him stuck in lane. So try to proxy to get a free reset over him, have that long sword, and then by then his mana is going to be a little bit low. So you want to keep him permanently stuck under tower, not really giving him any breathing room. Play for tower crust if you can, play for proxy and get that Ravenous Hydra. Tiamat Rush, you can permanently keep him stuck under tower, and you mainly play for getting as close to perfect CS as possible, and roaming mid jungle or proxying whenever you can. Next, we have the Gwen matchup, and for this one, you need to be very flexible. You will get priority, but whether you wave 2 or wave 3 crash really depends on the Gwen. If she plays quite gentle, quite reserved, just chilling, ease away from you when you go on her, you can just go for a wave 3 crash. If she plays quite aggressive and you get an extended trade level 1, go for a wave 2. Now, I always look for an extended trade level 1 before she stacks up her Q, so I'll cheese in the third bush, let the wave settle and try to zone her from XP, and make her fight you. Because level 2, level 3, she has a lot of outplay against you, more mobility, but level 1, if she starts E, she doesn't do that much damage. If she starts Q, she can't get away from you. So I always look for that level 1 trade, make it volatile, and then secure that first reset. Now, this matchup, I always rush Hexdrinker, even if the rest of their comp is full AD, because versus Gwen, even if you have a kill, she's going to one-shot you from full HP with level 6 and Ignite, so it's really important that you get Hexdrinker as soon as possible. So first base longsword, second base Hexdrinker, and then you can go for that all-in. Now it's really important to use your approach velocity and ghost well to dodge center part of Q. So when I go for an all-in, it's not just hit Q, pop ghost and right clicker and take my hands off the mouse. I always try to pretend to run straight at him and then dodge to the side. And even if I don't dodge the entire Q, if I dodge the center part, you're going to win most high HP versus high HP all-in. So that's the way to go. And if she does a really good kind of EWQ trade onto you, so she's in her shroud, just chill. It's completely chill. If you X her and she W's it, or if she EWQs you from her side of the lane, click backwards, fully wait for the W to run out, wait for your X to come back up, and then go for that trade. It's not worth trying to desperately walk into the W while you're getting snipped. That can be the difference maker in a lot of 1v1s. Now for Illaoi, it's good to try to get a solo kill pre-level 6. You can take Exhaust in this matchup. I'll take Ghost Flash if their team comp relies on it, but if they have a pretty short range comp that comes towards me, Exhaust is quite good for this one for later on, level 6 onwards when she ulties, take Exhaust and Ghost. Now you get priority, that's really important, and you usually try to get an extended trade level 1. If she's sitting back by her tower, camping your tentacle, then just play for a 3-wave crash. If she walks up and tries to farm like she owns the place, get that extended trade and go for a 2-waver. So you usually in this matchup, maintain early game control, crash wave 3 or 4 and then base, get back to lane, and you always try to get a kill on that timer. So make sure you ward, of course, you don't want to get ganked on that key timer, but a level 4 all in with the wave on your side. If you're full HP or 80% plus, you will always kill her, you'll always beat her, even if she has Conquer Ignite. So you always look for that, because once she gets level 6, you have to be a lot more careful. Now make sure you abuse your approach velocity and Ghost in this matchup. It's not Q and right click her, it is Q, run towards her, and just as you leave the safety of the minion wave when she wants to E, boom, sharp cut to the left or sharp cut to the right, and make her miss her E, and then you can kill her. And one thing to keep in mind for this matchup, a lot of my students hate Illaoi, but you can dodge every tentacle pre-6 if you're thinking about it. So you want to prioritize dodging tentacles from the wall over min-maxing your autos. If you stop to auto her, you cannot dodge them. So it's really important that if you have to decide between autoing and dodging a tentacle, you choose dodge the tentacle, and with approach velocity and she's slowed from the cube, you can dodge it every single time. I know it might sound like Korean advice, but I guarantee if you actively try to dodge it, instead of actively trying to min-max your autos, you can dodge them 9 times out of 10. Now for Irelia, this is definitely a difficult matchup, so you can feel free to take Exhaust in this one. I'd still go normal sums if their comp is very slippery, but for lane, Exhaust is definitely better, so if you can get away with it, it's going to be really strong. Now, the number one important reference point for this matchup is finding her level 1. So I always ward level 1 the river, so the fairy lights if I'm on red side, the tri-bush if I'm on blue, and then I look to stand in the third lane bush and find her. If she comes from river, pop that ghost, run her down. If she comes from lane, try to zone her from XP. Because Irelia with 4 stacks and Ignite, really strong champ. Irelia with no stacks, very terrible. So you must find her and must get that extended trade, or very much try to zone XP before she can really ramp up her stacks. Now for this matchup, I usually try to go for a wave 3 crash. Of course, if she walks up and hits the wave like an idiot, and I run her down the lane, I have to wave 2 crash. But if I can wave 3 crash, if it's a good Irelia who plays quite respectful level 1, then I'll do it so I can base and come back with that item advantage. Because the problem with a tour is when the wave's coming back to you, Irelia is really strong. She'll have 4 stacks, she can get level 3 very quickly, and the lane is kind of near her tower. It's very awkward for you, so I really try to avoid that window if I can. So usually wave 3 crash into base, or stay if I'm high HP, high mana, is the way to go. And then when the wave's on your side, you can go for a level 4 vs 4 if her stacks drop off, but a full HP if she has Ignite is pretty scary, so you mainly just kind of ping-pong the waves, play for good farm. This matchup gets a little bit better later on. Level 6, 7, 9 is a little bit better for you before she gets bulk. Level 9 bulk, not good, but before that's pretty good. And if you can rush tabbies in this matchup, is good. So first reset, you can go sword refill. Second reset, if you stay in lane for a long time, tabbies are really, really good for this one. And make sure you use your approach velocity to dodge her E. Don't just Q her, right click her, you Q, you run at her, you look scary, stick out your chest, dodge to the side. If you dodge that E, she loses a lot of agency, especially pre-6, so you always look to avoid that with your approach. Next up, we have the Jax matchup, and I actually broke down 2 examples of this one in this guide in the laning section, but to quickly get you up to speed in champ select, in this matchup, if he has lethal tempo ignite, he gets priority. If he has grasp, you get priority, so make sure you use that reference point. Now, your goal level 1 is to bait his E. Hit your axe first, so he's slowed and you're sped up from approach velocity, and use that to space out his E. If you can Q him, walk towards him, pretend to auto attack him, click backwards and bait out his E, now you have a lot of room to play the game. Even if he has lethal tempo, if he does have lethal tempo, I wouldn't recommend running him down, just because he's on cooldown, he'll just pop ignite and hit you, but that kind of gives you freedom to hit the wave a bit. And if he has grasp and you bait out the E, then you can run him down with Q, so I definitely recommend following that pattern. Now, this tempo is mainly about using the range advantage of your Q and E, poking them down, chipping away at them. I really like 3 points E in this matchup, so that you can just get free point click damage essentially, and just really start to get him lower and lower and lower. You need Jax low if he has lethal tempo ignite. You can't go for a high HP versus high HP all in. He will win that. If he has grasp, you do want the high HP versus high HP all in. So manipulate your wave in that way, because you get the first reset off, but you will get chunked. So usually versus grasp Jax, I'll try to get a base after wave 3 or 4, and then play that bounce back versus lethal tempo, chip away at him, respect his level 2 advantage, respect his level 3 advantage, try to block the wave outside your tower if you can. And then once he is low, kind of below 40%, depending on your HP, then you can go for that all in, but make sure you're always baiting a Z. Q, proc that approach velocity, step up, look scary, click backwards. When his E's down, he is a free kill. When his E up, very, very difficult to do anything. Also, as well for the Jax matchup, keep in mind if you auto attack him during his E, your ulti doesn't get extended. So you need to hit him with your E during his E if you want your ulti to keep going. And also, if you auto attack him, your E cooldown doesn't go down. So usually, if he's Eing, I'll hit the minions next to him to get my E cooldown going down and lifesteal a little bit off the wave. But it's really annoying if you don't bait his E first because you're not lifestealing or getting E cooldown or doing damage to him. So definitely I try to bait the E first and then punish second. Next up we have the Jayce matchup, and for this one you want to play to give him priority early game and conserve HP. So let him push you in while staying healthy, utilizing the bushes, and then if he doesn't slow push correctly, if you can kind of trim the wave a bit, and you get level 2 at the same time as him, you can go for an extended trade there, hit the Q, walk at him, don't ghost, walk at him, he uses hammer E, and then if you hit an axe while his hammer is on cooldown, then you can pop ghost and sort of make it volatile and chunk him a little bit, because Jayce level 5 onwards becomes really, really OP, but 1 to 3, 1 to 2 is quite chill, so go QW level 2 and go for that all in. But if he slow pushes perfectly, you know, warding the bush and not giving you any agency for that cheese, then you just let him crash his wave 3, you farm under tower, and then same thing. When the wave is bouncing back to him, hit that Q, go fishing, debate his hammer E, and then go for an all-in on the next one. If he has phase rush, a lot of the time you have to go for a 2-round trade, 1 to bait phase rush, 1 to all-in, and level 6 onwards, it gets it's harder and easier for different reasons. It's easier in the sense where if Jayce makes a mistake, he's dead. If he walks up with no phase rush and you hit axe, he's just dead. But if he plays really well, and he uses phase rush well, he starts to do a lot more damage. It can be quite difficult. So if he has phase rush, make sure 2-round cycle. 1 to bait phase, 1 to actually pop your sums and ulti and kill him. If you have double sums, he's got no phase rush and you hit an axe, he is just dead every time, as long as you're not too far behind, so I definitely look for that. And try to get tabbies pretty early in this matchup. It definitely makes a big difference with absorbing his poke and also the extra mobility as well. And stride breaker as your rush, 100%. Next up, we have Kayle, and if the Kayle player sits really far back and doesn't interact with me, I'll go for a 2-wave crash, let the wave come all the way back to my side, so barely interacting with it as the wave comes in, just getting perfect CS, maybe a little QE trades if she gives it to me, and then when I'm level 4 or 3 with the wave near my side, hit that axe, we pop that ghost, that's when we run her down, because even if she flashes away and lives, trading flash for your ghost, you've got the wave frozen still, you trim it. That's why I don't like playing too volatile early game, because when the wave's coming back, you don't want to be 60% HP with 40% mana. You want to be high mana, pretty much high HP, 80% plus, so you don't want to be too crazy. But of course, if she walks up and tries to slap the wave, you hit that axe, you can beat her up, but realistically, the Kayle players will play safe, and you want to try to get a kill before she gets 1k gold, because Swifty boots Kayle level 6 is actually a really hard matchup for Olaf, but if you make her base for a shitty buy, like Amtome or tier 1 boots, then you can play the lane for a lot longer. So 2-wave crash, really recommended. Try not to burn too much mana on it, just full hit it. Wave come back in. When the wave is frozen and trimmed outside your tower, that's when you just zone her from farming, zone her from XP, go fishing for axes. If you hit that, you can send it. Definitely good to go. And then take Stride Breaker in this matchup pretty much every time. Highly recommended. Next up, we have Kennen, and this matchup is very difficult versus great Kennen players and relatively easy versus bad ones. So I recommend giving him push early game, utilizing the bushes to stay high HP, and going for a level 3 all-in if his E is on cooldown. So when the wave is bouncing back to him, if you hit an X, walk towards him, sort of bait him to use his E without using your ghost, and then if he walks up again, you hit that Q, you can go for him. But to be honest, this matchup's more about weathering the storm 1 to 5, staying healthy, not taking too much free damage, and then level 6, you go for that all-in. Sometimes I'll go for an all-in level 4 or 5 to get myself a recall. So pop Ghost and sort of chunk him if he makes a positioning mistake, so I can get myself a base. But then after that, level 6, you have a bit more agency. If he's got Swifty Boots and Phase Rush and all that anti-Olaf technology, then there's just not much to do. You just rush Tiamat, one-shot waves base, one-shot waves base, and play for later on, because it's Stride Breaker, he is just a free kill, of course, so you don't want to play it too crazy. So the problem is 99% of Kennens will make mistakes, so if you hit X onto them with Ghost Flash and ulti, you can kill them. So definitely look for that. I don't want you to stay away from it, but if you're playing in GM Chow lobbies, you should definitely watch out, especially if they have Phase Rush. If they have Phase, it's a 2-trade cycle. 1 to burn the Phase Rush, 1 to go for the kill, and make sure if they have Swifty Boots, if you hit that first axe and you go pick it up, you're holding it for a couple seconds. You're being very disciplined with your next axe usage, because if you miss the second one, it's going to be very, very difficult. But in modern day, Kennens take Ignite in most of the matchups against Olaf, so it can be tricky. I found in this matchup, if you finish it, just down a plate or 2 and down 10-15 CS, you are very, very happy. So don't feel like you need to explode this lane or anything like that, unless the Kennen player is making clear mistakes. Now for the Kled matchup, make sure you get priority in this one. This matchup's essentially a Q dodging minigame for both of you, but if you hit your Q first, you have that approach velocity, it's very easy to dodge Kled Q. Hit him with Q, run towards him, chest stuck, you stick your chest out, juke to the side, and then go for an extended trade if you dodge the Q. If you get hit by it, click backwards and break the rope, because he's still slowed, you're still fast from approach, so you can't break that Q pretty consistently. Now, usually 1 to 4, my game plan is to make it super consistent. Level 6, you have an ulti, and he doesn't really have a good one for a 1v1 against you. But with ulti, I found you can just kill him from full HP. If you get an extended trade, dismount him, because Olaf cooldowns are quite short. But 1 to 3, your Q doesn't really do enough damage for that type of thing. Sometimes level 1, you can kill him, because he doesn't have access to his W to remount yet. But I'd say on average, this matchup is mainly about securing the first reset, having item advantage, playing for good farm, baiting, dodging Qs, taking little trades with QE, not making it too volatile. Level 3 versus level 3, you're both half HP, he's got Ignite, it's always going to benefit Kled. So 1 to 4, at 1 to 5, I play quite disciplined, try to use my range advantage on QE to poke him down a little bit, and then at level 6, it's a really good time to strike. You can also go Tabby's Rush in this matchup as well, it is definitely impactful. Moving on to K'Sante, who's essentially the brick wall of top lane. So I don't really play for individual solo kills or anything like that against this champion. I get priority, and I put a lot of my mental stack towards CSing. Of course, if he does something dumb and I can run him down the lane and kill him, I will, and it does happen kind of maybe half the time or 40% of the time. But versus a good K'Sante player, you are playing for high CS, proxying when you can, getting Tiamat rush, you can just one-shot waves proxy him, and trying to avoid his level 6. His level 6 is actually really scary. You'd think Olaf level 6 would have an advantage, but it doesn't. The K'Sante ulti is just way too much damage to deal with, too much mobility, very, very difficult for Olaf to really do anything and beat K'Sante up. So usually I just play purely to either crash wave 3, and then proxy wave 4, or a wave 2 crash into wave 4 crash, proxy wave 5, that type of thing, get that first reset. There is one time at level 4, when the wave comes back to your side, that you can play for a kill, if K'Sante makes a mistake and overextends himself or something like that, but a lot of the time I do just play for really high CSing, jungle tracking, proxying when I can, spreading that lead around the map, because this champion's very, very difficult to get an individual lead against, especially level 6 and Bramblevest. He is just completely full built at that point, so you're mainly playing to scale up. Moving on to Malphite, and this is another one of those meatball brick wall champions where you're mainly playing for a CS gap. So Malphite has really bad mana problems, so what you want to do is just try to burn out his mana pool early game and keep him trapped in lane. Now Olaf also has mana problems, so I like to do 3 points E in this lane and just sort of chip away at him. So for this one, your kind of goal is to just slow build big waves, proc the crust if you can, and keep him stuck in lane for a long time. If he starts getting low on mana, just keep pushing, stacking 2 waves at a time, hitting the tower, maybe sneak in a proxy and a reset if you can. I haven't really found this being a good matchup where crash the wave, freeze outside your tower and run him down. It's kind of awkward. It's just better to keep him pinned, get perfect CS yourself, make him miss a bunch of farm out of tower, and bleed out his mana pool, play for that crust, that type of thing, and Tiamat rush for sure, because proxying level 7 onwards in this matchup is very, very effective. Next we have the Maokai matchup, and this one is complete free win for Olaf, level 6 onwards. You can 1v2 pretty much any top jungle combination if they are Maokai. So just be careful 1 to 4 of getting ganked. So put a lot of mental stack to where's the jungler starting? Let me get vision down. Maokai is actually pretty hard to kill 1 to 4. So usually I just play for CSing, proccing the crust if I can, keeping him stuck, burning out his mana pool, and getting that first reset off. This matchup I actually like to extend a bit, not getting an early reset for longsword or anything like that. I mainly play for just perfect CSing. If I get into proxy angle, I will, but double longsword refill, level 5 feels a little bit better, because then the wave's coming back towards you near your level 6 timer, hit that Q, pop that ghost, he's dead. Some Maokais will take phase rush, so if that's the case, it's 2 trades. 1 to burn phase, 1 to kill. But once you have that free setup, level 6, there's literally nothing you can do, so definitely a great matchup. And Rev Hydra, you can pretty much 1v2 top jungle the entire game. Next up, we have Mordekaiser. Now for this lane, I recommend getting priority, really important. And if you can get an extended trade when his Q's on cooldown, or if you dodge his Q of approach velocity, very, very effective. Now, one really important reference point for this matchup, you need to ulti now before he presses ulti. Back in the day, it was so easy. If he ultis you, you could ulti second and still break his round, but now you have to ulti before he presses it. So if you hit an axe on him level 6, and you want to ghost onto him, pop that ulti early. Do not risk being in his death round there. Now, for this one, you can go Hex Drinker. I'm not a fan. I found Riot Hydra to be way more effective, but if you feel like you're still learning the matchup or you struggle a bit, Hex Drinker will definitely make the 1v1 a lot easier. And remember, don't fight him like a caveman. It's not hit Q, right click, and just bash him down. Use your approach velocity. He has 2 skill shots, and that's a lot of his damage and the way he stacks up his passive. So you hit your Q, and you run towards him and dodge to the side. If you dodge even one ability, it makes a big difference. Even though you might be thinking, I've got ulti, why don't I need to dodge his E? Don't give him the free damage or the free stack. Makes it very, very effective. So definitely this matchup's one where you look for that extended trade. Sometimes I'll do short trades if the wave is near his side. So Q, run towards him, dodge that E, or dodge his Q, and then slap him on the head with my E. That can be quite good. But when the wave's on your side, definitely it's long trade city. And some Mordekaisers will take phase rush. So remember, 1 trade to bait phase rush, 1 trade to kill him. Don't just pop ghost on him when he has phase. It's going to be very, very awkward and hard for you to stick onto him. And also make sure to respect his ignite as well. If you're kind of both half HP and below, it can be a little bit tricky. So you want to go for a high HP versus high HP all in if you can. Now for the Nasus matchup, you can pretty much do whatever you want, but I found the most effective thing to do is to play for an early proxy. So warding the enemy jungle can be quite effective level 1 to see where he starts, and then go for a wave 2 crash into 4, into proxy wave 5. I'll do that if he walks up level 1 and I trade onto him, but if he sits 2 screens away and just ease the wave, then I'll crash wave 3, proxy wave 4, base and come back, and then that's your timer. Level 4, when the wave comes back towards you, that's when you go for that first solo kill, because level 6 onwards, he's actually a human champion, so before that, you do want to play for that kill. But the wave on your side, if you've got vision of the jungle, and your Fairy Bloom, and you hit that axe onto him, you can kill him. Just remember, if he has phase rush, 1 trade to bait phase, 1 trade to kill, but you can pretty much zone him from XP level 4, so it's a very effective way to play, because your D-Blade, Longsword, double refillable potion, is really hard for him to approach the wave and farm at all there. Now, for the Ornn matchup, I don't really like to trade or interact with him that much. I mainly play for a good farm. So just getting perfect CS, tracking the jungle, proxying if I can. Yes, I'll still play for the classic Olaf timer, where if I get a first reset off, come back, and I'm level 4 versus 4 with longsword refill, I will go for that extended trade, that all in down the lane. But most of the time, you're mainly playing for good farm. Put a lot of mental stack towards CSing. You don't want to miss any free ones, because interacting with Ornn is kind of difficult. At 6, you have a bit more agency. So level 6 onwards, if I get a freeze, I will go for that kill. But pre-6, he's quite a lot of self-peel, and you're kind of running into his QWE, and it feels very, very awkward. Sometimes he'll just QW you and then E away. So most of the time I'm waiting for 6 before I play for any type of kill. Or even then, if he's playing well, I'll just play for proxying and trying to attack jungle, proxy eat camps, proxy attack mid. That type of playstyle versus Ornn is really good, so Rev Hydra is very effective. Now, pre-6, of course, League's not that easy. You do have to interact with your champion, enemy champion, if they are playing the game. So make sure you use your approach velocity to dodge his spells. If his Q's on cooldown, you can dodge W every time with approach, and he can't hit E onto you, so make sure you bait and punish. Q him, step towards him, dodge the Q, and then you can really hard pressure him. Or if he just Qs you for poke or Qs for a CS, you can kind of look for a trade on that timer. That can be very, very effective trading tool against this champion. Next, we have Pantheon, and the number one rule for this matchup by far, wait until level 6. Yes, versus bad Pantheon, sometimes you can kill them before that, but at level 6, he doesn't have an ulti, you do, and he doesn't have a W anymore. So level 6 is extremely important in this matchup. So I always like to play very chill 1 to 3, stay healthy, give him priority, and just sort of really slowly farm, try to dodge spears of course. So pretend to go for a minion, click to the side. Pretend to go onto him after hitting a Q, click backwards, that type of thing, and bait his Q so you don't take unnecessary damage. But his Q cooldown's so short, it's not really a bait and punish matchup. So I just found for this one playing purely for farm and staying healthy, and then going for a level 6v6 all in. That is your best bet every time. I strongly recommend that type of playstyle against Pantheon. If you can stay in lane for an extended period of time, all the way till 6, and then you have to base, grab tabbies, they really helps with this matchup as well, kind of weathering that early game poke. Just keep in mind this champion's terrible past 6 against Olaf, the Pantheon matchup. 1 to 5 is the hard part, so you definitely need to do your best before that. And then after 6, if he's playing well, you can just get maintain priority, crash waves and base whenever you want, not the end of the world, and it really stops him from roaming as well. Next up, we have the Poppy matchup, and this is another meatball lane where I like to play mainly for good farm, good back timers, good jungle tracking, less about the 1v1, but a lot of Poppies do play quite aggressive, so if you can bait and go on them at a timer when their Q's on cooldown, you can get a good trade. Remember, the 2 rules against Poppy for any champion: never tank Q2, so always prioritize moving off of Poppy Q and not getting hit by the second portion of it. You can never get hit by that spell if you're trying not to, so always prioritize dodging that over hitting, and never give her a wall stun. Even when you've got ulti, it's not great to get stunned and have to use your ulti, unless it's kind of by your side, it's more okay, but pre-6 definitely never give her that wall stun. You'll just take way too much unnecessary damage, so playing around that, getting priority, and getting the first reset. Poppy has quite a lot of poke, and you don't have enough poke to really chew through how tanky she is, so normally I like to base after wave 3, 4, or 5, depending on how she plays it. And then I can look for a level 4 all in. That's kind of your main timer. But after that, it does get a bit tricky, especially if Poppy goes Swifties and has W movement speed. So mainly I'm just playing for good farm, tempo, backs. The stuff that doesn't really relate to the 1v1, just getting perfect CS and spreading my power across the map. Next, we have the Quinn matchup. And this matchup is pretty much unplayable if she has Phase Rush. But if she doesn't, play for level 6. So play the bushes, stay healthy, and look for a level 6 all in later on. If you have to use your Ghost to sort of force yourself a reset, that's okay. You go for an all in that chunks her when you hit your Q and her E's on cooldown. That can be okay. Trading Ghost for Flash is good. But versus a good Quinn play, you're mainly playing to just stay healthy, get as much farm as you can. If you can get Tabby's first reset, amazing. If not, it's not the end of the world. And then level 6, when you can just ulti her E, that's your best time to strike. But if she has Phase Rush, it's a 2 trade cycle, 1 to bait phase, 1 to kill. So make sure you always play around that as well. Now for the Renekton matchup, this one can be quite brutal if he takes Ignite, but level 1 to 2 is not that bad. So you get priority no matter what. If he walks up and starts Q, get that extended trade onto him. If he walks up and starts E, Q him, auto, he dashes through, click away, he's just going to space you out, so make sure you play around depending on what ability he starts. But level 3 with good Fury and Ignite, he can one-shot you from 60%. It's very, very annoying because his W breaks your shield. So mainly in this matchup, I would like to do either a 2-wave crash into a 4, or my favorite is a 3-wave crash in this lane if I can. The exception to 3-waving is if I get a really good trade level 1. Then I'll go for a 2-wave into a 4, but if he kind of plays the level 1 well, I just go for a wave 3 into base, because you do not want to be 60% HP with the wave coming in with a Fury Renekton with Ignite. And then don't get fooled. Most matchups level 4 versus 4, you can run them down the lane. Ignite Renekton with full Fury, you cannot. So when you get back to lane, you kind of let him crash, farm out the wave, and then you have a big wave advantage. You get level 5 first, you can use that to get a push. So it's kind of ping-pong. A good Olaf should not kill a good Renekton, and vice versa, a good Olaf shouldn't die to a good Renekton. So it's mainly just sort of respecting each other and playing the waves well. But of course, if Renekton walks up like a dummy with no Fury and you hit that Q level 4, you can just kill him. You do have to respect Renekton's Mega Bar very, very hard, and Renekton's ulti is way better than Olaf's ulti in an all-in. So level 4 or 5 is kind of your best time. Level 1's your best timer. Apart from that, level 4 or 5 is your your best timer. Other than that, you mainly play for waves, and I like to get tabbies really early in this one, so I don't get one shot from full HP, because I'm not a fan of that personally. Now, the Rengar matchup can be quite tricky, so I do recommend Exhaust in this one. Of course, if they're Rengar and 4 range champs, you need Ghost Flash, but Exhaust is really good for the 1v1. And level 1, you need to hold your ground. You need to pop that Ghost and Q onto him and exhaust him if he goes onto him, because the matchup gets a lot harder if you just let him go in and out of the bush and out the bush and poke you down. You need to hold your ground early game. Tabbies early is really good in this matchup if you can get a convenient amount of gold for it, but mainly for this one, it's about holding your ground, getting that high HP versus high HP all in, and abusing your exhaust if you can. And the Riven matchup's another one that I like to take exhaust into, and you have 2 game plans for this one. The first one is when she goes on you with Q1, not Q3. You pop exhaust onto her and just go straight down the lane. She flashes away, you both kind of get chunked to half. It's a little bit awkward. The second one is conserve HP early game, let her push the wave in, and then go for a level 3. I prefer the second one personally, because both of you being half, it feels very awkward, because your champ's so easily gankable, especially using subs at level 1. But if the Riven overextends and kind of comes onto my caster minion side, and she uses her Qs badly, then I will go for that all in, of course. So it really depends how she plays it. But normally respecting her and staying healthy is the better move. And then level 3, if she goes on you, Q3W and dashes away, if you hit an axe onto her, when her full combo's on cooldown, you can chase her down. And then when her combo comes back up, because that champ doesn't have cooldowns, you can use exhaust then. That's a more consistent strategy. But no matter what, I like to play a more reserved 1 to 5 in general and go for a level 6. Because if she goes on you and you ulti her combo, a big thing about Riven is her CC is her self peel. Having W, Q3, and E, there's so much ways to peel you off of him. But when you have ulti, she loses that W and Q3 agency. And with exhaust, it's a lot easier to catch up to and stick onto him. So I like a full HP versus full HP all in, level 6. And tabbies is really good in this one. So that's usually what I play for against the good Riven players. Now, the Rumble matchup's definitely the lane I studied the most this year, because the champion is so overpowered in Korea and picked every game. And the 2 weaknesses of him that you want to exploit, his level 1's not that strong, and he's easily gankable. So for this one, I like to go for a wave 2 crash, because if you go for a wave 3 crash, a good Rumble will poke you down the whole time and try to kill you level 3 with overheat before you crash that wave and ignite. It is very, very hard. So wave 2 crash while not losing much HP or mana, and then let the wave come back towards you. Some Olafs actually like to cheese from third bush and go for an extended trade, and I'll look for that. But if Rumble doesn't walk up like an idiot and start ordering the wave, it's pretty hard to get it. So usually I like a wave 2 crash and not having to base, let the wave come all the way back to your side, and then you go for 2 trades. 1 to burn phase rush, 1 to kill. If he doesn't have phase, you can just go for that kill and try to get your jungler involved as much as possible. There's also a really good matchup to rush Hexdrinker in. You can also go full Morn if they have more AP on their comp, but there's a great matchup for that. Level 6 full HP versus full HP with Hexdrinker. To be honest, it's pretty close. If you're a little bit low and he has Ignite, he can win. So this matchup, if I get through lane and I'm not super far behind, if I'm even farm, I'm pretty happy. Because full item versus full item, you can't beat him. I like Rev Hydra in this one, but he is essentially a ranged champion, so I will go Stride Breaker if their comp is quite slippery. This is kind of 50-50 on what teammate item is better. So you have to use the 3 melee rule Rev Hydra, 3 range rule Stride Breaker to be the difference maker for you. Now, the Ryze matchup is not really a lane you should expect to solo kill him unless he does something dumb or unless you get jungle help. Because pre-6 with his root and his phase rush, not really much you can do. Post-6, even if you ulti his W and attack him when his phase rush is on cooldown, he can just ulti away and you can't stop him. So this is what I'd call a non-interactive lane. I like to get priority because Ryze at level 1's not that strong, and just go for a wave 3 crash and to reset. That's the best way to play this lane. And then you do have that one time at level 4 versus 4. 1 trade to bait phase rush, 1 trade to try kill him, but that relies on him disrespecting when phase rush is on cooldown, but always look for that one. And then 6 onwards, I'm not a fan of queuing him and popping ghost and him ulting away, so I try to never use summoner spells when his ulti is available, because just going to ulti away, it's very, very cringe, not a big fan. Try to get your jungler involved. Ryze, if your jungler has a CC spell, he has no escape, he's nowhere to live, so mainly play for that, but other than that, I just rush Tiamat, one-shot waves while I'm getting shit on by him, and then just get a lot of resets off, and at Stride Breaker, he does become a lot easier to kill. Now, the set matchup's quite an interesting one for this one. If he has TP, you can get priority. If he has Ignite, which he should, you must give push, and I recommend playing very passive 1 to 3. You don't want to make this volatile and you're both low HP, because you're the one that will get one shot by EW. You win the extended trade at level 3, when you're both full HP, so that's what you want to play for. You let him push you in early, and it doesn't matter if you're down 6-7 CS, he doesn't have any ways to poke you, so you have to respect his E, of course, but after you kill the wave under your tower, and the wave's bouncing back to him, that's when I go for my all-in. To hit the Q, wait out the bone plating if he has it, and then go on to him. But don't just stand there and right-click him and tank a full grit EW on the wave. Normally when it's around half, I like to kite out, wait out the grid a little bit, and then go back in for round 2. Or if he uses EW early, when he has low grit, you'll win. You only lose if he gets a kind of full grit EW onto you. So kite out, wait for the grit bar to dissipate, and then go back in. That's a really good way to do it. Because he's slowed and you're sped up and you have Ghost, so you can space him out quite easily there. You just don't want to tank a full EW on the wave. If he doesn't have access to the wave, you can go for an all-in. If he can't stun you, because you can always flash the W, that's very effective. But waiting out the grit bar, and then going onto him, and sort of beating him up, and then flashing the W if he starts cutting away into the bushes and you chase him, that's sort of it's really volatile, it's really fun, very exciting matchup. So just really hone in on cutting out that grit bar. And level 6 onwards, your ulti counters his ulti. He'll still move, it's kind of funny, but your ulti will stop yourself from being lifted away, which is okay. And then level 6 is really good in this matchup because you can R and then flash his EW combo, or R and Ghost out the way. If he doesn't have flash, that can be very effective as well. The 1 to 5, you shouldn't be doing your best work. I talked about the level 3 scenario. That's just bound to happen. It's guaranteed in this matchup if they're both Chads playing. But level 6 onwards, it does get a lot easier, so I like to play for that. And with Tabbies, he can't really one-shot you, and you do win that extended trade. Now, for the Shen matchup, this champion's really good 1 to 5, and then terrible for the rest of the lane. So I like to play a more reserved early game. I mainly just play for wave. I don't really like to trade with him. If he comes onto my side, I will. Just make sure you space out his Q pull. Never pull the Q through you. Make sure you don't hit him onto his shield. And just play 2 purely for wave control, getting that early reset down. Ignite Shen is no joke early game. But once you got that reset down, when you have Longsword D-Blade, even though he has Ignite, if the wave's on your side level 4, you can kill him. You want long trades, he wants short trades, but you don't want to give him push. Because level 2 versus 1, he's just going to completely shit on you. So you get priority, get the first reset, and then play for that level 4 long trade. That's the way to go. But no matter what, 6 onwards, rush your Tiamat, keep him stuck under tower, proxy against him. His champ becomes very easy because if he taunts on you, he will just die. So there's not much agency he has past level 6 as long as you don't give him a solo kill 1 to 5. Now, the Shyvana match is pretty straightforward. This champion doesn't do anything, so go for an all-in level 1 if he tries to touch the wave. If he doesn't touch the wave, go for a 3-wave crash into proxy wave 4 base, and then get a free solo kill hand delivered when the wave is outside your tower. This matchup is pretty simple. I recommend going Tiamat for it. After you get your early game advantage, you just sort of push, proxy, attack jungle, proxy attack mid, later on proxy TP bottom. It's all about getting that early game advantage, that level 2 kill or level 4 kill, and even if you don't get a kill, you zone him from golden XP on your level 4 freeze, and then later on it's more about spreading that impact around the map. Now the Singe matchup can be very hard to solo kill this guy, so I mainly play for perfect CS. This is definitely a 10 or 11 CS per minute matchup. You get agency of the wave, so just hit the wave a lot. You can get priority, but he can also kill the wave. So you mainly just play for good farm. Level 1, if he goes near you, can get an extended trade onto him before he flips you away. So try to get priority if you can. And then for this one, just maintain push with your Tiamat. If he proxies, you just proxy as well. This match is pretty relaxing. I just found playing purely for CS. Back timers attacking the map is the way to go. But if he trolls early game, level 1 or level 6, you can go for that kill. 2 to 5, you're not really going to be able to kill him unless he walks at you with no flip for no reason. Now, the style matchup, the most important thing is cleanly crashing your waves. If the wave's stuck outside his tower and he's poking you down with his 3 range abilities, it can get very, very frustrating. So I like to go for a level 1 all-in if he goes near me. If he respects, I go for a wave 3 crash. If you get your all-in level 1, go for a wave 2 crash into wave 4 and base, because you're going to use a lot of mana beating up this meatball brick wall of a champ. So early game reset is really important. Wave 3, 4, or 5 depends on how the game goes, and then you can go for that level 4 kill with the wave on your side. And later on in this matchup, it's just all about getting Tiamat, proxying, attacking the map, maintaining perfect CS, jungle tracking. But anytime the wave's on your side, if you hit Q, you can go for that all-in. Just make sure you ulti before you get hit by Q knockup, or before you get hit by R knockup. Because remember, ulti doesn't work properly on knockups, you still get knocked up. You need an ulti before the knockup hits you, so really keep that in mind. But level 5 Sion with Bramble Vest, you can't really kill that champ unless he does something really dumb. So you mainly just play for good farm, basing, proxying, and don't really worry too much about the 1v1. Next we have the Tarn matchup, and for this one, the number one thing to keep in mind is try not to get too bored. This is a very boring matchup. You cannot kill him, and he also can't kill you. Your ulti kind of counters his, you jump out of his stomach, but his W counters our whole kit. Let's imagine you're level 6, you hit that axe onto him, you pop Ghost ulti, you know you'll win the 1v1, he's just going to W away him, and then you can't do anything. So this matchup, unless he's really dumb and W's onto you at level 6 or something stupid, you cannot kill him. This matchup's all about getting priority early game, playing for high CS, so a lot of mental stack towards farming, not much towards trading, proxying if you can, getting the first reset off, and mainly just playing for 10 sets per minute and attacking mid, attacking jungle, really impacting the map as best you can. But the 1v1 element of it, very, very boring. So try not to get too carried away and overforce a kill or anything stupid like that. Now for team mode, this is definitely a matchup that's really good for Olaf below Masters, but if you verse a GM, Chell, Teemo, OTP, it's borderline unplayable. He'll go Swifties rush, he's got phase rush, it's very hard for you to do anything. So against a good Teemo, I mainly play to stay healthy early game, utilizing the bushes, let the wave come back in. If he doesn't have phase or he procs his phase on accident, and I hit an axe and I'm 80% HP, I will pop Ghost level 3-4 and go for that all in. But let's imagine versus a good Teemo, you're mainly playing for just high CS, get a reset off, and maybe level 6, if his phase is on cooldown, you hit an axe, you go for that kill. But even versus Swifty Boots, no phase rush Teemo, it can be quite tricky. So for this one, I'm mainly trying to get stride breakers even or slightly behind or slightly ahead as possible. But versus a bad Teemo that just walks up and I hit an axe onto him and I'm healthy, you go for that all in, and level 6 onwards, a bad Teemo is a free kill. If he doesn't rush Swifties, or if he doesn't, even if he doesn't take phase, if he doesn't take Swifties, just a free kill. So make sure you're always trying to actively punish him, because a bad Teemo is pretty much free kills if you hit that axe at level 6. Next we have the Trundle matchup. Now for this one, you want to completely chuck that long trade mindset out the window. Against Trundle, he wants long trades and you want short trades. So he should get priority. Your goal in this one is to use the range advantage of your Q and your E to just poke him down as he's pushing you in. Pre-6, if he's way lower than you, you can go for an all-in, of course, but most of the time, this matchup's just about poking him down with QE and trying to kill him when he's low HP. Do not take an auto-attack battle against him, you will get obliterated, so this matchup can be a little bit annoying. I'm not going to say it's like a hard counter, it used to be, but modern day, you just sort of poke him down, stay healthy, and don't do anything too crazy, and play for ganks as well. Trundle's really easy to have gank set up against, he has no mobility, no escape, so really easy to play that way. But versus a good Trundle, you're not going to kill him, he's not really going to kill you. You mainly just play to give him push, stay healthy, poke him down. Those are sort of the clear reference points for this matchup here. Next we have the Tryndamere matchup, and this one's definitely one of my least favorite lanes to play as Olaf. He just has way too much sustain and mobility to get away from you. You want to play for priority in this one, don't really interact with him that much. Again, sustain gap, play for priority, get that reset off. I like to go longsword first base or cloth armor if it's AD top jungle, and then get tabbies on that second recall. Now this one, don't really expect to kill him. If he is onto you and he's pre-6, you can win the all-in and kill him. But this champion's just going to run up to you, auto you, you'll QE him, he'll spin away. It's kind of boring, you may need to just play for wave control, good CS, good backtimers, and punishing his mistakes if he has a bad E or anything like that. Next up we have the Udyr matchup, and for this one I like to give him priority level 1, while still hitting the wave a bunch and not giving him full priority, so that I get level 2 at a similar time. Because level 2 with my W, I can win that extended trade against him, run him down the lane. But a Ghost Udyr, they get Swifty Boots early, kind of hard to kill him, hard for him to kill you. So think of him more of a meatball matchup, where if you don't get that kill early game, you're mainly playing for farming. Just keep in mind, you win long trades. He only wants short trades, so if the wave is on your side, and you're level 2 or level 4, level 5, 6, doesn't matter, hit that axe and you're both healthy, you will win that extended trade, so don't be afraid to go for them if he sort of makes a positioning error or plays too aggressive against you. Next we have the Urgot matchup, and there are two strategies for this lane. The first one is all-inning him level 1 and dodging his flip with your flash. I'd recommend doing that in below Masters against the bad Urgots, but against good ones, I mainly just play to conserve HP early game, and mainly play for a level 6 all-in or a level 3 when the wave is going back towards him. So if you do the second option, play super respectful, don't take any unnecessary damage, give 5-6 minions if you have to, because Urgot level 1 is broken. If you do the first option, hit him with Q, pop that Ghost, flash his E, and then you should win that all in. But a phase rush Urgot makes it a lot harder, so you might have to just play the second strategy, letting the wave come back towards you if he takes phase. But again, bad Urgots probably aren't going to take the rush in this matchup here. Now, keep in mind, no matter what, this matchup's free at level 6. 1 to 5 is dicey, 6 onwards it's free. Hit Q, pop Ghost, ulti is flip. Nothing you can do, you can't even use ulti or E onto you at level 6, so a lot of this matchup is just waiting till 6, hitting that axe, and collecting your free kill. Next we have the Vayne matchup, and for this one, I highly recommend utilizing bush control level 1. She should get priority, or you'll take too much damage hitting the wave, so use bush control, come in and out, get as much CS as you can, but try not to get too chunked, because level 3, we do want to look for a play before she gets tier 2 boots. If you hit an axe, don't use Ghost straight away. Walk towards her when the wave's bouncing back towards her. Level 3, of course, not with the waves coming into him. Walk towards her, bait her to use her E. If he doesn't use your E, just use your E on her, pick up the Axe, keep bashing her, make her use Condemn, and then when her Condemn's on cooldown, if you hit an Axe, you pop that Ghost and run her down. If she's good and she heavily respects, while her E's on cooldown, just keep bashing the wave, keep lifestealing, and build this big-ass wave yourself, and then use that big-ass wave to crash and base. And then when you come back with that item advantage, you look for a kill on that timer, because you don't want her to have Swifty Boots. Swifty Boots goes unplayable, so if you let her just do whatever she wants and get a clean reset with Swifties, you're going to have a bad time. So make sure level 3 onwards, when the wave's pushing back towards her, you really try to create something and make some magic happen, because if you don't, and you just stay under your tower until level 5 and she has Swifties, you're not going to get an opportunity again. Next we have Vladimir, and Vladimir is a pretty weak early game level 1 champion, so I always recommend playing for priority. So number 1 rule versus Vlad, never tank a Q2. Unless you are killing him for it, I never want to see any type of trade or CS where you give him a Q2. It's way too efficient of a spell, too much damage, too much healing, so never give him Q2. I don't have to care if you have to give a cannon minion for it. Do not give him that bad boy, but hopefully you farm that cannon with your Q. So for this one, I like to go for either a wave 2 crash into a wave 4, or just a wave 3 crash cheater. I prefer the second one. Depends on what he does. If he walks up like an idiot and I get a level 1 all in, I will 2 wave crash. If he doesn't, if he just chills back, uses his range advantage, wave 3 crash base, because you'll be poked by then, and then go for an all in with the waves on your side. If he has phase rush, you have to do 2 trades. 1 to burn phase, 1 to kill. And then later on in this matchup, it's all about just Tiamat rushing, keeping him stuck under the tower. He has terrible wave clear, so just one-shot waves in base whenever you want, and proxy if you get an opportunity. Next, we have the Volibear matchup, and this one, you do win the level 1. Just make sure you don't get hit by his E no matter what. You should never tank that ability unless you're stunned, and level 1 he can't do both. And also don't fight him in the shield. So you must get priority in this one. You can take exhaust if you want, but I prefer double subs. Ghost Flash, way better in my opinion. But if you're still learning Olaf, you know, exhaust could definitely help you get by. Now, you get priority in this lane, so what I like to do is secure a 3-wave crash, so just be very gentle with the wave. You want to do a little bit more damage than him, so you get level 2 before him, crash wave 3, base, extra item advantage, and then when you come back, you're hunting for that all in. Now, you can't just right-click him and take your hand off the keyboard. You need to sort of bait this combo. I really like to bait him to use his Q by walking towards him, clicking back, or hitting him with Q, walk at him, click back, he Qs towards you, and if you can space it out, then it's go time. Because with no stun, he cannot guarantee hit his E. So it's a really easy all-in if you can space and bait out that Q. Now, it's harder to bait out than other abilities, but if you can do it, you get a massive timer to run him down. Feels very, very good. So I always recommend trying to do that. Next, we have the Warwick matchup, which is one of my least favorite Olaf matchups, as you have to play very sackless the entire time. But for this one, I recommend giving priority. Walk in with the wave level 1, ward the bush, so if he sees you, the minions chase him in there, the wave comes back towards you nicely, and don't interact with him. You do not interact with this champion pre-first recall. He's going to out-sustain all the damage you do and keep you stuck in lane. You mainly play for farm. If he goes on to you, just QE, click backwards. Don't go for an extended trade or anything. This champ's not killable early game. Mainly play for ganks. But after you base, always try to base around level 5 with 950 gold for execution as refill. Or if you have 850, execution is 1 potion is okay as well. And then when you have execution is 3 points in Q, then your damage can start to stick a little bit more. So poke him down a bit with Qs, QEs, you know, little trades like that. And then when he gets low HP, you can go for that all-in when your ulti will negate his ulti and his W. But 1 to 5, mega passive in this one. For the Wukong matchup, I mainly like to play for priority, but if he goes near me, I will go for an extended trade. Because if he is onto you, hit Q, you can ghost him down the lane. But I don't really like to chase him on his side and make it too volatile, get both of us low, versus like Wukong. There's mainly a matchup where you're playing for the wave control, and then go on him if he goes near you. So for this one, you can go for a wave 2 crash into a wave 4 into base. I'm a big fan of that strategy in Wukong matchup. Come back, and then level 4 vs 4, hit that axe, pop that ghost, you can kill him pretty consistently. This matchup, the only thing to watch out for is if you're both low HP, he can burst you through Ignite. So you're mainly playing for wave state, and for extended trades, try not to take too many small ones. If he takes a short trade onto you, make sure you try to counter trade. Against Yasuo, if he has lethal tempo Ignite, I do like to give him priority and play for a level 3 all-in. So play the bushes, stay healthy early, respect his level 2 really hard, and then when I'm level 3 with high HP, 80 to 90%, then I'll go for that all-in. If he doesn't have Ignite, I'll play for priority. Make sure you do 1 Q to break his shield, and don't go on him. Wait for the shield to drop off, and then pick up your axe to get the full reset, and then you can go on him when his shield is freshly on cooldown. That's the best way around it. So with Ignite, you have to respect. With TP, you don't. And this matchup gets a lot easier at level 6, so don't feel pressure to kill level 2 or anything crazy. You can just play for waves, CS, clean backtimers, and then at level 6 when you hit that Q pop that ghost, he is dead. Just make sure you try to fight him away from the wave. It's really hard to Q's on him if he's dashing around the wave, so let's say you catch him by the bushes. Try not to ulti, because he's just going to kite you out by dashing through all the creeps. So be very, very careful using your ulti far away from the wave so he can't maneuver. If not, you can just hold your ulti and wait for the right time to utilize it. Now, for the Yone matchup, if I can get a Q onto him and go for an extended trade before he even has Q1 stacked, I'll always try to do that. But if he's playing max range, walking with the wave, warding the bush, max range queuing, then I just play to get priority, bash the wave down, and try to get a level 2 versus 1 trade against him. That's very, very effective. And just make sure you get the first reset off. Then when you're back, level 4, you can go for that extended trade against him, abusing that long lane. It's pretty hard for him to disengage you, because you can always dodge that Q3 with Ghost, Approach Velocity, all of that good stuff, and you do win the low HP versus low HP fights. Now later on, try really hard not to get your ulti kited there. By his Q3, by his E1, E2, you have to have a lot of ulti discipline. Don't just use it whenever. If he Q3s onto you, it's a good time to use it. Hit that axe, bash him, and sort of hold the axe a little bit, wait for him to E1. You don't want him to just E and you miss an axe. You pick it up, and then he snaps back, you miss a second one, so on and so forth. It can get quite annoying, so make sure you have very high Q discipline in this matchup. And Tabby's Rush also works very, very well, so you can dodge his Qs and absorb that damage. Next, we have the Yorick matchup, which is a relatively easy one in my opinion. You want to go for an extended trade level 1. If he gives it to you, then go for a wave 2 crash. If you don't get that level 1 trade, go for a wave 3 and get that first reset off. Then when the wave's coming back towards you, we go for that extended all-in level 4 versus 4. He cannot survive you. Ghost Flash, you can always flash out of the cage if you want, but if you hit Q and you have approach velocity and Ghost, you shouldn't be able to get hit by the cage. Keep in mind, the cage is a skill shot. You can dodge it, so when you're running at him, anticipate it, move off to the side, don't let him cage you very easily. You can auto W the cage, but I don't like doing that because you lose your auto reset onto him, and that means you have to W early when you have high HP, and sometimes Yoriks have Ignite and Conquer him, so they can fight you if you waste your W, so I prefer just to flash out of it or dodge it, of course, ideally. Then later on, level 6, what I actually like to do is poke down the Maiden. So farm and hit the Maiden, or ideally the Maiden and Yorick at the same time with X's, level 5 onwards, and then, because 3 points Q, does a lot of damage, and poking it down with Tiamat active as well, chip away it, and then when the Maiden's low, you can go for a more so all-in, because if he walks to fight you and guards his Maiden, you can kill the Maiden, while hitting axes on him at the same time and Tiamatting, and then you can finish him off. Make sure the Maiden's low though, you can't do that if it's full HP, so I actually like to play for the Maiden in this matchup later on, but you always want to try to get that level 1 to 4 solo kill, very, very important, and I would go Rev Hydra pretty much every game in this matchup, because beating Yorick in side lane 1v1 is so important, so even if Stridebreaker is a little bit better for the comp, I'll still want to go Rev so I can beat him inside, have all of that 1v1 agency. Next we have the Zac matchup, which is another one that I really like to go Executioners in. But for this one, you must get priority, and you can take a level 1 extended trade if he goes near you, but if his spacing's pretty good, I like to mainly play for the wave as this champ has way too much sustain. I don't like to make this too volatile, because I don't want to base for a longsword refill. I will if I have to, keep that in mind. If I crash wave 3 or 4, and I'm low HP, low mana, I will. Don't force the healing cup by too much, but ideally I like to stay in this lane till level 4 or 5, get 800 gold, and base for Executioner's 1 pot or Executioner's refill, and then you can go for a kill with the wave coming back towards you, level 5 or 6. Really good time to strike. Just make sure you don't get your ulti kited out by his E, but his E is really short range early game, so a lot of the time, if he starts Eing, you can sort of pre-run in the direction he's going to E with your Ghost, and still hit him with an axe when he lands, so you can get a lot of kills. This matchup is not as easy as it would sound. I'm not going to say it's difficult, but an Ignite Zac can press you quite hard 1 to 4, so be very careful. Mainly play for the wave as opposed to the trades, as his sustain is way too high, and then later on, level 5 onwards with Executioners, that's when you collect your solo kills. And finally, we have the Zahin matchup, and I tried a bunch of different approaches in this lane, and my favorite is going for a wave 3 crash, so being very gentle with the early waves. It's very hard to get a level 1 all-in against him, because if you Q him and run at him, he'll auto-Q, walk away, auto-Q2, and that knock-up gives him enough distance to space you. It's very, very awkward. Yes, if he runs up with no Q up, you can get that trade, but I found just playing for the waves and short trading, so QE or Q auto if he goes near you, not chasing him down the lane is better, because D-Shield second wins the Hen Q will outperform your damage, and it can be very hard to crash your wave cleanly if you make it too volatile. Then after crashing wave 3, base if you're not healthy, so if you're like 60% and below, or you need some mana, base, get longsword refill, and try to kill him level 4 vs 4 with the wave on your side. It can be hard if he's got Conquer Ignite, but if he's not full HP, you can still go for it, so that's your best avenue to get a kill in this lane, because you do enough damage that he can't get 12 stacks in time. But after that, when he's got ulti and a bit tankier with Phage components, Phage or Tabbies, it gets a lot harder because he'll just ulti when you go on him. So I actually like going Bramble Vest in this one some games, not every game. It depends how much gold I base with, if I can conveniently get it. If not, I'll just do normal Rev Hydro Rush. And then later on, it's mainly about playing waves and good back timers, sneaking in proxies if you can. This champion is pretty hard to kill later on, so make sure you're not over-forcing too much against a full HP Zahin level 7 onwards. Moving on to the mid-game, I'm going to be breaking down a couple of full mid-game examples from recent games of mine to give you a good overview of what mid-game macro looks like on this champion. So in this game here, I'm playing up against a Ryze, so it's pretty hard for me to kill him. He can just Ryze ulti when I pop ulti onto him, he's got phase rush, so it's really hard for me to make that progress 1v1, so of course I'm going to be looking to spread that lead across the map. So on Olaf, typically, when I have my first item, I am constantly looking for mid-roams, for TP's bottom, because I'm the strongest unit on the map by far, in most cases, at the spikes. I'm always looking. So here you can see, just one-shot the wave, start walking mid. If Hui overextends, I'll kill. If he doesn't, straight back to top. And here he did overextend, so I went for it here. So ulti is ulti, break his stride, and kill. One shot the wave, base, straight back to top here. So I'm always looking to be as proactive as possible on this champion. You don't win the game through 1v1ing side lane, collecting tier 2 towers. That's not really Olaf's win condition. Some games I'll do it if it's free. I even think in this game I break a tier 2, but it really depends on the situation. In most cases, I'm perma looking bottom to TP. One thing you'll notice as well is I didn't use my TP back to lane. Never use this fake TP, the 7-minute cooldown one, to get back to lane. Never. I give us an entire wave. I'd rather lose an entire wave than use this TP. It's way too valuable. You want to use it to attack the map as much as possible. Every Olaf game I'm playing, I'm permanently looking bottom for opportunities to TP in. So, but here I don't need to because we're playing for Herald. So here I'm looking to play for the fight. I've got no ulti, so I want to play it relatively slow here. Olaf without ulti is not a champion, as you remember. We are a cannon minion for 15 seconds. So I'm sort of waiting. You see pinging my ulti in the chat. Waiting. There I tried to get a little fish onto Ryze, see if Poppy had an angle, but he did not there. So playing it slow, burns the flash, and this fight just doesn't end up being good. Take a bit too much free damage, we actually get the kill into Ryze, and then I just have to back out here. You can see really disciplined with my flash here, just lifestealing off the wave, really don't want to use it. But I think Talia forces my hand here, so I just had to. Base, instantly straight back to bottom. So now people are still playing for Herald, so you want to be on the opposite side of the objective. So if Herald's the next one, you want to play bottom. If Dragon's the next one we're fighting, you want to be top. That's sort of the lane that you're in charge of. Stops here, recall with barrier. That's actually pretty smart. And this is where I'll hit a tower, right? So my default is I want to fight. But right now I don't have ulti, I don't have sums, and I have TP, so I can just play for this tower here. So I'm watching the fight, but I don't have a good TP ward. So I just sort of sacrifice them here. One thing to keep in mind, you'll see later on in this game, I will never take this risk of letting my team fight without me if it's related to Baron or Dragon Soul or Elder, anything like that. Never ever. But because it's just a Rift Herald, I'm okay to take bot tower and sort of hold my TP for a better opportunity. So you can just see here, my goal here is to take as many tower shots as possible, I guess, just to get a couple plates, draw a bit of pressure, and get the second item here. I'm still looking, I really want to TP and fight that. The only reason I didn't, there was no good TP ward, so the fight didn't look good. And this is one of the most important Olaf skills by far. Knowing when to pull the trigger. Not just with your TP, but with your summoner spells. When you dive into the backline with ulti, it kind of applies to every important aspect of Olaf. When to go and when not to. The reason that previous one was bad is I didn't have a good TP ward, so I couldn't really get that involved. So now we're going to be fighting for dragons. You can see I'm pinging the TF. Come here right now. I really want to fight this dragon. Trying to get him involved. Because Olaf carries games through fighting. I've been in side lane a little bit too much. I'm feeling a bit antsy. Even though it was the best play for me. I'm feeling a bit uncomfortable because I want to use the spike. Right now I'm the strongest champion in the game. 3, 4, 5 items I'm definitely not going to be. So I need to use the spike now. So we go for a nice flank here. Get the sweeper going. Maybe I should have, but I didn't there. And now we go. So we go into them, burn all the flashes, kill this guy, and kite out here. So because TF didn't come, the fight ended up being losing, even though we pinged him. But again, you can't fully control your teammates. Unfortunately, they have a mind of their own. So the fight ended up just being kind of even. But we back out straight away, because remember, Olaf without ulti is not a champion. So here I'm just sort of hovering just in case. But when I see the fight's lost, we boost away and base here. So definitely a hard game. Here I decided to go for more second because they're triple AP topside, of course. And then I just went for Bandle Pipes because it's cheap and it also has a bit of MR as well. And their comp was like 5 range champions, something like that. So extra mobility, always nice there. So there I try to stop Ryze's base. Okay, my goal here. I want to create pressure bottom, pull either Ryze or Hueda bottom, probably Ryze, and then TP to this Baron and make a 5v4. Olaf wins games by Baron. The 21-22 minute Baron fight is where you do your best work. This is where you actually carry the game on Olaf. Just because you carried the 18-minute Dragon fight doesn't mean you deserve to win the game. Because Dragon is trash. You need to secure Baron. So yeah, I'm constantly looking for this opportunity. All of my energy, all of my mental stack is towards being at this Baron fight. I do not care about killing this Ryze. I hope I don't kill him as I say that, but I only care about this Baron. So you see he runs past me, I just ignore him. I actually don't care at all. He's unkillable for my champion anyway. Olaf really hates Ryze top and Ryze mid. So you can see I'm perma-looking. I don't care about side lane, Ryze, the waves. I want to TP to this fight. And there I see an opportunity. Okay, Sivir's out of position. Let me rotate over. You can see I'm pinging the Baron all in. Because the Sivir's dead, which means if Talia didn't int right now, not ulti, if she didn't int right now, we can force a fight. Because Sivir's dead, if we rock up to Baron, they are forced to fight us. If you don't fight us, we're going to take Baron. So, and then even though we're going to be tanking Baron, I'm Olaf with 2.5 items, I will completely 1v9 the fight. But luckily, this Talia inted for us, so we get the Baron for free. But you can see before this opportunity, I was obsessed with this Baron, panning my camera, always looking to TP. Where a big mistake a lot of Olaf and Darius players especially make is trying to kill side 1v1, burning summoner spells in their ulti and inside, playing for tier 2 tower. I'm looking for that dragon fight before, trying to get my Twisted Fate involved with pings, that Baron fight, the exact same thing. Really trying to get everyone to work there. And now with Baron, I want to play mid to bottom, just sort of shrinking the map a bit. I want to play 2 lanes and fight this dragon. I'm a 3-item Olaf with Ghost. I know I'm going to 1v9. So the reason I'm flanking this game, even though Olaf's not the best flanker, is because they have a super mobile backline. Play Talia Sivir, 3 no mobility champions. It's a very easy game to flank. Where if they have like an Akali or a Sylas, they can kind of go on me and piss me off. It's really hard to flank them. Someone that can mark you. So we get a nice flank. And we just beat everyone up here. Eventually. The race is on. We eventually beat her up. Beat her up there. Oh, she actually got away. What a beast. Never mind. Okay, so one more play here. Mid to bottom, same thing. Mid to top actually here, because top tier 2 is easier to take than bot tier 3. I'm trying to get everyone involved here, pinging them, assist me. Look at my pings here. I need them to come top side. I want them to come top side. I'm not going to say I'm pressured. I'm just playing the game correctly. Because Olaf, you are the king. 1 to 2 items. You are completely Thanos, right? If I take the game chill, like, oh, I'm ahead, I can just play for fun, and just sort of relax, and a couple throws happen, all of a sudden I'm just a 4-item Ryze and Sivir. My champion's value goes down significantly when everyone starts to get 3, 4, 5 items. So that's why I'm so... bus drivey is the perfect adjective. I'm driving the bus here, trying to get everyone involved. This is why it's harder for players in, let's just say, lower ranks, gold and below, to play strong spiking champs like Renekton, like Olaf. I think it's a lot harder for them because they're not used to being assertive and taking charge here. And I'm not saying you have to do it to climb Olaf, you know, to Emerald or Diamond or whatever. But for higher rank games, it's definitely really important. So I'm trying to get them involved here, get them in the top jungle, fully take this over, and then we can play it for this tower here. Just maintaining push, and looks like we're going to have to play for this next Baron. You can actually see I haven't used my TP this game. There are some games where my best play is not using TP. And that's exactly what I did there. I'm looking for someone's flash timer, by the way. That's why I'm scrolling the chat. I'm not looking for toxicity, I promise. But there are some games where I don't use my TP at all. Because it's very rare, of course. I pretty much always use it. But my point is, it's better to not use it than to waste it. So now I still have TP, so I can use it for this Baron. So here... I try to go on the way there, which is a mistake, waste of time, and then rock up to the Baron. So push and bot, make way answer, and play for the Baron, but here my Poppy got an angle, so of course we are going to take it. If Poppy did not get that angle, we would start Baron and make them fight us. Baron is the ultimate engage. So we get the kills here, and then the game is pretty much over after this next Baron. So definitely I'd say main takeaways from this example here was just how involved I was for literally every single objective. The Herald, every Dragons, every Baron. I was very involved with my decision making, my pre-planning, my TPs, getting my teammates involved, all of that stuff. Because Olaf wins the game through team fighting objectives. Because Olaf has shit picks, shit engage. You can't just gank people on mid very often. And I guess I did do it this game, but it's pretty rare. And make picks like a Camille or like a Malphite in the mid game. It's really, really hard. In the early game, it's a bit easier because they're so focused on laning and they don't have a support warding for them. But it's pretty hard to make picks around mid and in the jungle and stuff like that on Olaf. So you're mainly wanting to win the game through these big objective fights. So you can see I barely cared about side lane. I still maintained good farm and XP. You can see relatively good CS here. And I was still pressuring side and making people answer me. But I wasn't just trying to win the game through side. I was purely trying to win the game through objective fights. And then we'll show the last sequence here, where I'm just so strong from this mountain cell that I can just 1v9, right? Just beat them all up here. Keep the ulti going. Kill her. Kite back. Just keep slapping. Don't let that ulti drop. Don't let it drop. And kill him. And then the game basically is here. Now, for this next example, this is actually my favorite example to show on Olaf. It's a really good showcase of situations where your opponent doesn't int, where your opponent doesn't let you use your power. Because like I said, Olaf 1-2 item spike, especially when you're ahead, you can run everyone into the dirt. You are so untouchable in a fight. However, what if they play around that? Your champion doesn't have any dash, any engage ability, no CC. So what if they play around where you are on the map? They're tracking you, they're respecting when you rock up. And I know a lot of people feel super uncomfortable during that time because you feel like you're not really making progress 1v1, and it can feel very, very frustrating. So this is a perfect example of that. So here, my mindset is, quest is done. I want to TP bottom as quickly as possible. I'm looking, I'm assist pinging. Please get your ward down. You can see 2 games in a row. Look how involved I am. Because my champion, we don't have the luxury of just playing a Aphelios, putting our feet up, last sitting 2-3 items and carrying fights. No, we're playing a real role here. We need to be involved in the decision making and the communication. I'm really trying to get my wards down there. 80 character ward for me so I can TP bottom. And because that happened, look what we got here. A perfect TP ward for when the enemy bot lane plays aggressive. So I go in here. Try to go on the big Yuntara here, stride break and run away because I see the echo will kill him for me. So I don't need to. Instead, we go on the Karma and then base instantly. The second the play is done, we base and go back to side as soon as possible. That's how high rank players maintain high CS while still making plays. You can see him just double killed bottom and I'm already back to top. Barely lost any farm there. So here, just quickly trying to stop this ring. I wouldn't normally kill this guy, he's already far behind, but I didn't want him to proxy that wave. We just take him out, push in top, and here I wasn't able to be at that dragon, but it is worth it. I TP bottom and double killed them. That's why I wasn't able to be at the dragon. If that didn't happen, if Yuntara didn't dash in and give me the TP opportunity, I would have used my TP for this dragon 100% of the time. So here, just sort of farming and looking mid. So on this time, I saw the AD carry and support playing quite aggressive, so I sort of hovered mid for one timer, just in case the engage happened. But nothing happened, so straight back to top. Not the end of the world here. Bad axe, just kill this guy. And push in top. So here I see, okay, Kha'Zix and Galio are playing for bot tower, trying to dive the Ezreal here. So this is a situation where I will play for a tier 2. Again, I'm not Malphite, I'm not just going to run around ARAM with the boys and engage on everyone. There will be times where you can break tier 2, and that is when there is no good alternative. Let's say I had TP and I could TP bottom and fight everyone here. I wouldn't do in this exact situation, let's just say as an example, like Echo and Ryze were coming and it was a good fight, I would choose that TP over this tower here. You need to prioritize favorable fights over individual selfishness, but here, I don't have an alternative. I can't make it to their bot lane, so my best play is breaking this tier 2. Base, second item, and straight to mid here, sort of hovering, looking for a fight here. So this is where my Summoner Spell Discipline comes into play. This Galio is not worth my ghost. I'm a level 14 Olaf. I'm the king of this game. Look how close the game is, by the way, up top. If I waste my Summoner Spells, that can be the difference maker. Trust me, there are plenty of games in GM Chell lobbies that I could have won. There were really hard-fought losses that if I just used my Summoner Spells a little bit better. And this is a cool example. My ghost is more valuable than this guy's life. He gets to live. Who cares? Straight back to side here. So push in top. If you're curious about the build, this game, Kha'Zix and Rengar are kind of fake melees. They're pretty hard to hit, so Stride Breaker is a little bit better. And then Yunara, Karma, very, very slippery comp. Rev Hydra would have been okay this game. but Stridebreaker is slightly better, and then Hexplate for a bit more threat, because I'm snowballing here. Maybe in a game where I'm 0-0, I would go Death Dance, because Kha'Zix's Rengar, quite a lot of AD there. So push in top and rotate down. So this is what I mean, they're respecting me. I haven't gotten the dopamine of hitting champions yet. I'm rotating down, on my way, they see me on vision, and they all kite away. Maybe I could have popped Ghost and killed Gallo, but again, my Ghost is more valuable than that one kill. But even the threat of me coming and them having to all kite away from me, I guarantee there's a bunch of back pings about the direction I'm coming. That also impacts the game in some way. Your game impact's not always going to be as easy to see as damaged out to champions. Some games it's going to be pressure created. So here, I'm wanting to fight this dragon. So I decided, okay, I don't want to push them bottom. They're playing quite aggressive here. I'm prioritizing the fight over my individual CS there. So chase the Kha'Zix out of the red. Push them bot wave. And now looking for a fight. So sweeping my way through the jungle. I always recommend swapping the sweeper on Olaf. So sweeping my way through. But they decided to give the dragon. Another cool example. I got to dragon early, wanting them to come fight us. If you fight us, I can pentakill you. Because Olaf's not engaged, so you have to use the objective as engage. If you fight us at dragon, I can run you all over. If you don't, we get the dragon for free. And they knew they would lose because I'm too strong. So they gave the dragon, so I'm back to bottom. But keep in mind, no matter what, they can't give Baron. They've respected me this entire game, apart from my 1 TP flank forward bottom, which was pretty hard to respect, to be honest. But now that Baron's available, you can't just respect and give Baron. So it's exactly what you're going to see here. Push in bottom, I'm watching, and boom, insta TP. As soon as I see this guy's kind of out of position, insta TP. Worst case, they all got away. Let's say they all get away. Actually, they kind of did. Then at least we can use Baron to create the fight. This is a really, really good spot. So Echo goes in. Not the best engaged by him of all time. So this is a cool example. I TP'd in early to the Baron, and they saw me as well. Oh shit, Olaf's coming. They all ran away. They're making it really hard for me to do my job. So I go get a pink on the Baron, sweep the wards, and then we get this opportunity. Here we go. The team that gets to Baron first and gets full vision has such a big advantage. And I can finally get some dopamine, finally bash some champions, collect the Baron, and that was kind of the game-winning play there. You could see it felt pretty annoying not being able to get that fight that I wanted for a few minutes, but not making a play is of course better than making a bad one and wasting sums or wasting TP, all of that good stuff. And throwing your shutdown or anything like that. So push in bottom, mid to bot. You always want to do 2 lanes with Baron, like I talked about before. Push in bottom here, and then of course we can just close it out here. So definitely, I think this game was definitely my favorite example, because it's not always going to be as simple as get fed, run at them, and they just let you fight them and kill you. In lower ranks, of course, it's more easy to do that, but you can see in these high rank games, it is a lot harder to create the favorable fight you want if you're so strong that they don't want to fight you. But if you use the objectives, if you're constantly looking for TP plays bottom, for rocking up to dragons and creating fights, for rocking up to barons and doing the same thing, eventually you will get the opportunity to use your power. And if you can do it as early as possible, the better. Even though that baron fight was a little bit later than I would have liked to fight someone, I'm still a 2-item, 10 CS per minute Olaf. Of course, I'm still extremely cracked, very strong at this point in the game, but if I made a couple bad plays, didn't have my subs, gave a shutdown, completely different story. Moving on to team fighting, and if you think about Olaf's kit as a whole in a team fight, it's relatively straightforward. I'm not going to break down the ability usage too much. I'm going to break down the most important habits you can build on Olaf, the most important skills to work on that'll make you a good team fighter. Because if you're hitting your axes, not tossing into outer space, using your W on low HP, making sure your ulti doesn't drop off, you're going to have a good time here. So the most important skill by far is picking your moment to go in. Because when Olaf goes in, it can be very difficult to go out. So you have to pick a really clear moment to go in, the right time to strike, because Olaf is not engaged. And especially if you go in at the wrong time versus champs with a bit of mobility, and they kite out your ulti, you go from the King of the Rift to a cannon minion when your ulti drops off. So you have to pick your moment extremely well. You really have to pick your moment well. And it's a lot harder if you don't have engage on your team. So the rule of thumb is let them engage. If they have the Nautilus or if they have the Vine, wait for them to go in onto your AD carry and one-shot that guy before you pick your moment. So I'll show you an example here. Late game team fight, everyone one-shots each other, especially crit Olaf here. So I have to pick my moment extremely well. So you can see I get here early, get the vision, sort of holding this area, just staring. I don't want to get engaged on and have to burn my ulti versus like a Rao 1v1. Really impactful as well. So I'm just sort of chilling. Try not to get Ari charmed, I don't want to use my ulti for that. And my Fiddlesticks just fully into without ulting. And the engage was them killing my Fiddle. It wasn't my Fiddle getting a good ulti. It wasn't my Nautilus hooking anyone. These two players were terrible the whole game. It was them ulting onto my Fiddle. That was the engage of this fight. I was waiting for somebody not named Olaf to start the fight, and it doesn't really matter who. So he goes in, get the big Q onto them, bash him down, and one-shot the Yasuo. You always want to make sure you pick your priority target as well before the fight begins. In this game, it was the Yasuo. He was very, very strong, so he was my main target here. So I just got on the Yasuo, one-shot, and you normally prioritize the target with the most sustained damage. Because burst champions like Ari can't really kill Olaf very easily. So just kill the Yasuo as a straight away, because he's got lethal tempo, he can actually one-shot me. So I go onto him, then the Rel, and then keep my ulti going, and then bash, 1000 damage crit, nothing to see there. And the fight is over. This was a really hard game, by the way. This game, there's so many losing fights. We lost our inhib for a bit. So it's all about picking your moment to go. And this is the worst engage ever. Fiddle hexgated in, flashed out, and died without using Zhonya's or ulti. It's literally an Iron 4 Fiddle engage. But because I didn't go in early, because I picked the right moment to go in, I was able to get a ton of value from my champion. And it almost makes me wish I died, so I could see my damage down in that fight. But it probably would have been around 7k or something like that. So definitely picking your moments, the most important skill you can work on. When you're reviewing your Olaf team fighting, always bring it back to before the fight began and break down, was that really the right time to go in? Should I have waited a bit more? Should I have respected more so they couldn't engage on me? Because you really don't want to be the one going in first most of the time. And this next example also showcases a very important Olaf teamfighting skill, and my favorite way to explain it is teamfighting on Olaf is exactly like playing the claw machine. And for those of you who are veterans of the claw machine such as myself, what I mean by that is you can't get attached to one specific plushie. You can't be fixated on your favorite plushie in the machine, especially if they're in a bad position. And the same thing applies to a team fight. You can't be so fixated on one champion that you go on them no matter what. They might be respecting, they might flash away, and you have to be willing to sacrifice your favorite target or your favorite plushie to go on the one that's just easy to grab. So in this example, Aphelios is the strongest champion. He is my favorite plushie that I want to grab, but the Cassiopeia is the easier target. She has no flash, she's low HP, so I sacrifice not sacrifice, but I choose not to go on the Aphelios. Instead, I just go on this nice, easy collection, and the Thresh as well. I like the Aphelios more than the Thresh, but here without Ghost, it's a little bit awkward to go on Aphelios, especially I'm pretty sure he has flash, so I just bash down this Thresh and take the easy to collect reward there, and then click away. So you can kind of see there, I even got the Aphelios kill in the end, but my main mindset heading into it was, okay, Aphelios is my priority target, but he's not quite out of position. Let me just go on the easy to reach targets here, the easy to grab plushies and collect those kills, and just sort of do as much as I can in the fight without dying, because that's the most important thing. Killing one guy is not the most important priority, it's just getting as much value, doing as much damage, soaking as much spells as possible while surviving. And for our final teamfighting skill, we have axe management, making sure you throw every single axe with intention so that you can pick it up when you need to. This is a skill that every Olaf player should be permanently working on, even myself now. I'm always trying to get 1% better at this every time, because there are still some fights where I lose track of my axe. It's really important that you throw every single axe with the intention that you can pick it up while chasing the target that you go on. So here you can see I don't toss my axe on the Teemo or the Alistair there. I don't want to go on them. I'm holding it, and you can see now I'm still holding it, beat this guy up, and then boom. Collateral into the backline as well. This is a really good way to use your axe. So you hit the first target you're on, while pre-planning after this guy, I'm going to go on the people behind him. So I've already preloaded my approach velocity and my slow onto them, and the area where I go to fight them, my axe is really easy to pick up. As I say that, I remember I actually didn't pick it up here. I got the high ground, low ground thing. Usually you can pick up your axe just on the very edge of it. You don't have to step onto it. Because it was high ground, low ground, I got a little bit baited. But you can kind of see the intention there. The muscle memory betrayed me a little bit. But you can see holding X, and now, okay, I'm going to go on them after, which means like it's really easy for me to pick up my axe afterwards. If they were someone else, let's say I was standing on this side, and I had to axe him and like someone down there, and then go on them, you could see it'd be very, very awkward. So I sort of held it at the beginning, or a better example would be, if I tossed it at him now, like a max range axe that hit him and the axe went there. GG. I'll lose so much threat, so much value in this fight. But because I held it and sort of preloaded my next targets, it was really easy to keep the axe management going if I just stepped a little bit more there. And there's one more example as well. Even here you can see him. Or this axe here over the wall because I know I'm chasing him that way anyway. Pick up the next one. Toss it as well. pick up the next one. You can kind of see and then miss that one for fun, but you can kind of see the cycling there. And one more, I think I TP'd mid. Same thing as well. So I TP in here. Time for some X management. Boom. Hold my X, hold my X, hold my X. And then Q this guy. Miss it again, actually. Why did I pick this example? You can kind of see the intention, though. You can see the intention behind it. I'm not using my X straight away. The millisecond the fight begins. I think that's really common from Olaf players to just toss it out. Imagine I threw my X through here, killed him. Then I have to choose between going on Teemo or picking up my X. It's very awkward. Better to hold my X and beat them up. This is way easier with Stride Breaker, that you can hold your X for a bit longer. Sometimes with Rav Hydra, it can be tricky. But even here, with Rav Hydra, I could have killed this guy with Ghost Ulti and Hexplate, no shot, I mean, no sweat, and then use my X afterwards. You can kind of see the intention there, and I'm always trying to X in a direction where I'm heading towards there anyway. So here, trying to go pick up the X, go on him, and then, yeah, burn his flash. I can keep picking up the X. You can kind of see the pattern there. So beat this guy up. Again, you can see I'm always picking up my X. I probably picked up my X like 5 times this fight, held it there, didn't just toss it through him, through the wall or anything like that. Holding your X where you're kind of unsure. It's better to walk towards them, lead with movement, hold that X, then waste it, because once you drop it, you're not getting that back for a while there. Next up, we have common mistakes, where I'm quickly going to be breaking down the most impactful mistakes that I see from my OLAF students, or just OLAF players in general, so that you know exactly what to avoid and what to work on if this sounds like a bit of you during your OLAF games. So starting with the top 3 most common laning mistakes, the first one being throwing your Q to outer space. Your OLAF Q is a spell that you need to think a lot about the placement. You can't just toss it at them willy-nilly and hope you're going to have a good time. You need to toss it the exact amount of distance that you need. Don't max range it every time. You need to throw it in a direction where you can pick it up if you need to. You don't want to be tossing it way too far away, especially in skirmishes and team fights. You need a lot of intention. I feel like some OLAF players that are more experienced are good at queuing in lane, but when it gets to a team fight, they just hoof their Q, pop their Ghost, and they lose track of where their X is. Maybe a big champion like Cho'Gath steps on it, but you need to be keeping tabs on it and throwing it exactly where you need it to go so that you can pick it up during the fight. Next one being rushing your Qs and your Ws. If you use your Q, you're spamming it as you're fighting them, and you find sometimes they dodge your Q. That's because you're not holding it for long enough. If they're in melee range of you, and you're bashing them down, it's good to hold that Q for that half a second, 1 second, to make sure they don't juke and dodge it, because you lose so much DPS if you miss even one Q, and missing one Q makes it harder to hit the next one, because you lose the slow, you lose the approach velocity, so it's kind of a really big snowball effect. Even missing one Q can lead into 2 or 3, so don't rush it. Don't hold it too long though, because it's a very efficient spell. Toss, pick up, toss, pick up. They don't want to hold it for 3-4 seconds, but that extra half a second can make a big difference. Now that this applies to the W as well, this is more so for the OLAF students that have their first 50 to 100 games. Your W is used for the shield at below 30% HP. Don't just toss it up during the fight for attack speed. The base shield is very, very terrible, so you don't want to use it like that. You want to use it for extended trades when you're low HP. And the final one, solo kill addiction being greater than jungle tracking. Getting ganked and dying, or getting ganked and losing double sums, is brutal on OLAF. Dying on a normal champion, let's just say like Garen, not amazing, but you're still going to be fine. Dying and losing Ghost, or losing Ghost Flash, or both on OLAF. Now you're not a champion till your sums are back off cooldown, so very, very impactful there. Now, for the mid-game mistakes. So the number one is, of course, playing too hard in side lane. This is the most common one I see from newer OLAF players. You do not win games through split pushing. You pressure side lane and you min-max your farm CS through side lane, but then you use that pressure to create favorable fights. Let's say you win games on this champion. And of course, if you split push too much, you have that risk of getting ganked and losing your spells. Next one being, and I'm going to highlight this one, committing to a fight that doesn't look good and wasting sums. You're probably going to hear me say the word summoner spells every single section, because this champion is very summoner spell reliant. So if you go to the wrong fight, even if you don't die, even if you just pop Ghost Flash and kill one guy and the fight's still losing or whatever, some average looking fight, and you waste your spells there, that can end the game. I've had games where my team is bad and I'm playing really well, and I can win if I play perfectly, and there's maybe one fight where I use my Ghost where I shouldn't have, and that can be the difference maker. So it's really important that you only choose fights that look good, and only use your summoner spells if you have to, and not using them on low value kills or anything like that. And finally, playing too relaxed with your lead. OLAF is a champion where if you're good, you're going to get leads pretty often, more often than you don't. So if you play too relaxed and you let the game go too long, or you, again, bring it back to the previous one, you pick one fight that doesn't look that good. I'd say the big games that my free wins that I lost on OLAF was either I got caught inside and lost summoner spells, or I was going to a fight that looked good, my teammate did something dumb, now the fight doesn't look good anymore, but I still kind of overforced it a little bit. Kind of those two things is what cost me the game. So playing too relaxed, just because you're here doesn't mean you're automatically going to win the game. You need to lock in, really think about the fight you're choosing, have a lot of intention, because if you just autopilot and make one mistake on this champion, that costs you summoner spells or your shutdown or something like that, it matters a lot more than if you made a mistake on maybe a champion like Camille or Fiora. Of course, making mistakes is never great, dying in a fight's never good, but on a champ like Olaf, who's so tied to summoner spells and so tied to that early game 1 to 2 item spike, mistakes in the mid game can be very, very brutal for you. So make sure you're not playing too relaxed, you're locked in. Let's close these games out cleanly. Next up, I'm going to be covering Olaf's champion identity and the mindset you should have when piloting this champion. Starting off with the identity. So we've talked a bit about this in the laning sections, but Olaf is the extended trading king. Very few champions in top lane will beat Olaf in an extended trade. There are some exceptions, champs like Trundle of course, but most of the time, if the trade goes for an extended period of time, you will win. So going for high HP versus high HP all-ins when even or ahead is very, very favorable if you take a bunch of short trades, especially versus champs like Ambessa or Rumble or Jayce. Not going to be a great time for you. Now, the champion spikes extremely hard at 1 to 2 items, so you want to be very proactive. Most bruises alongside Olaf, Renekton, Aatrox, Ambessa, champs like that, 1 to 2 items, while all the AD carry and mid laners have weak lane items. That's when you want to be really pushing the pace of the game, making proactive plays. A TP bottom, when you have 1 item level 11 and you've got double sums up, you will completely take over the game. Really, really impactful. If you take too long and you have 3-4 items and the Jinx has IE Mortal Reminder, it's going to be a hard time for you. So you want to be very impactful during that 1 to 2 items, and a lot of games on Olaf are won on the Baron section. Around Baron with 2 items, early Baron fights, this is what Olaf loves. So try to be very impactful during that early game. 1 to 2 item spike is huge for you, especially when your summoner spells are available. Don't waste time just trying to kill enemy top and lane in 16-17 minutes. You need to be getting work done. Now, in terms of identity and team fights, Olaf is a diver. It's pretty straightforward. He excels and thrives at killing backliners, especially immobile ones like Xerath or Hui or Syndra, or from AD carry like Ashe or Varus. You know, all of those champs have CC. Olaf doesn't care. This is Olaf's kind of strength. Really killing champions who's kind of balanced. Their identity is balanced around self-peel with CC. Champs like Syndra or Varus, if they didn't have Varus ulti or Syndra E, would be horrible. They need CC to self-peel. Olaf breaks the rules there and he completely runs them over. So that's sort of where you excel in team fights. You don't really play front to back that much on this champion. The exceptions are kind of what we're going to talk about in the team fight section, into carry divers. The more CC on the enemy team, the better, which means when you want to pick Olaf, if they have champions whose whole kit is CC, like Leona or a Mumu or champs like that, this is amazing for Olaf. So the more CC and the less mobility they have, the stronger Olaf's value goes. In my opinion, Olaf, it's almost impossible to lose if you pick him in the right game. If they have a whole comp of like Varus AD carry with Nautilus support, a Mumu jungle, like a mega low mobility CC comp, it's almost unlosable no matter how terrible your teammates are. Olaf really thrives. The more CC and less mobility, the more stocks Olaf increases there. Olaf also functions really well in volatile, low HP 1v1s and skirmishes. You need to be very confident when you play this champion. You need to be willing to int a little bit at the start of your Olaf journey, because Olaf does really well fighting at low HP, abusing W, cookies, potion, Olaf lifesteal passive, all of that good stuff. Olaf is an amazing fighter and 1v1 and skirmisher in these low HP duels there, because you can just out-sustain a lot of their damage, especially in skirmishes against burst champions who kind of burst you to low, but you just keep fighting from that low HP threshold. Really, really strong for you. Final point, for your identity, you are extremely summoner spell reliant. If right now summoner spells were removed from the game, Olaf would never be played. Pretty much never be played. He is so summoner spell reliant, which means you need to value them as if they're your children. You need to value these spells really highly. You cannot use Ghost on a 0-5 Ashe. It's not worth it. It's better for her to limp away and survive than you waste it. Sometimes even if you get caught and die, if you're like 0-0 or something, it's probably better to die than lose Ghost and Flash at 20-22 minutes, because then you won't have those for a big Baron fight or something like that. So these spells, these summoner spells, very, very important for you. You cannot toss them into the wind like that. Now, we're going to be covering his mindset as well. So the mindset I want you to have when you're playing Olaf, your Q, the first point is your Q is all of your threat. Remember, you don't want to throw your Q into outer space. Your Q needs to be catchable at all times. You need to be able to pick it up during the long trade, pick it up during the team fight. You don't want to toss it so far away to the point where you can't really pick it up, Because with Olaf, your ulti, you need to maintain it with autos and with E. So if your Q is far away and you go pick it up, your ulti drops off, GG. So you need to be really, really deliberate, a lot of intention about where you throw your Q. Picking your moment to commit. Now, in team fights and skirmish, even 1v1s, it's all about picking your moment well. I'd say if you played Olaf right now and I was in your ear and I just said, go, now, and I was just picking the moments when you go in, you'd probably do pretty well most of the time if you knew what the spells did, because that's one of the most important skills on the champion, knowing when you win that all in, knowing when to go in the team fight, because if you just see a fight, you just pop Ghost and go in straight away and tank all their bursts or they kite you out, you're going to be useless. You need to pick your moments very, very well. It's one of the most important Olaf skills by far. So if you ever go in, and it's bad, you need to go back, review, go back 10 seconds before. Why did I go in there? Why did I think it was good? And then really start to fine tune that skill there. This is one of the most important skills for you to develop as an Olaf player. Now, side laning. So you need to play very cautious and side lane on Olaf. Not because you're easily killable, but you need to use summoner spells if you get ganked. Olaf doesn't win the game through side. You don't really kill your opponent 1v1 inside and block the tier 2 in front of them. You win through skirmishing and team fighting, not through split pushing. This is a key point. You are winning games through fights, not through side laning. A lot of people that I see, a lot of students on Olaf and Darius especially, they get stuck in the lane autopilot, where they kill their opponent 3-4 times, and they keep doing that at 17-18 minutes by the tier 2, get ganked, die, lose sums, GG. So you need to be very, very impactful. Like I said before, your spells, your summoner spells are your children. If you get a call inside, you're going to lose your children. You cannot afford to have that happen. You're using side lane as a way to get farm, XP, and pressure. But you're using your spells and your power in these skirmishes and team fights. So really careful that you need to play in side lane, very, very cautious. You do not want to get caught and lose your summoner spells. I have lost so many games that I've lost, I would say, that I should be able to win. I should be able to carry these hard games with bad teammates. It's 1 or 2 moments where I use my sums at the wrong time, maybe got caught once and lost sums. So these are the situations that you need to be very critical on yourself on. Even if your teammates are bad, if you make one mistake that costs you Ghost Flash, even if you don't die, it can be very, very impactful for the game, especially in those hard games that you want to carry. As soon as you hit your first item, you want to spread your power across the map. So every game, as soon as I got that Rev Hydra, that Stride Breaker, I'm looking to be involved. One-shot waves, attack mid, one-shot waves, TP bottom. Because by the time you have your first item, hopefully your quest is done. I would hope so. I don't see how it wouldn't be. And you want to be using that to attack the rest of the map. Don't get locked in the 1v1 so much. Yes, if my opponent goes on me and I can just kill them with Rev Hydra, I will. But most of the time, I'm looking to spread that lead around the map. You can proxy really well with your first item as well. So really, really good synergy there. Remember, 1 to 2 item spike, like we talked about in the identity, that is when no one can kill you. That is when mid 80 carry champions are terrible. 3-4 items, that's when it's a bit of a tough time. Of course, there are some Olaf games where even when they have high items, you're broken, like we talked about, Barasamumu or something. But in the average game, or hard Olaf games, 1 to 2 item spikes is your best bet to have high impact in the game. And our final mindset piece, I touched on it briefly, Baron intensity. This is a skill I like to teach my students where no matter how good, no matter how bad, no matter how average you're playing, when Baron is on the table, every click, every action you do is for that. Get your team, the team that gets the Baron first, gets all their vision down, has a massive advantage, especially if you just hit your 2 item spike at that point. Olaf with Rev Hydra Hexplate Tabbies, with a slight advantage hopefully from your lane, and the 80 carries got like 1.5 items, Noon Quiver, Yuntao arrows, all that bullshit that doesn't do any damage. At that point, you can completely 1v9 fights, and if you win a Baron fight, get Baron, you're going to explode the game and be very, very ahead there. So you want to really make sure you're playing heavily for early Barons. That doesn't mean Baron spawned, go right click it. It means get there, get vision, kill them if they overextend mid, kill them if they overextend top. If you have full vision in their jungle and they're doing nothing, then you can do the Baron, or if you win the fight, you can get it. Just make sure you're using your 2 item spike to create a favorable Baron. In some games, a 3rd Dragon or Dragon Soul fight, but mainly Baron, a favorable fight around there. That's how you really close and seal the deal on this champion. Next up, we have a full game review of a recent solo queue game I played on my Challenger account, and I'm going to be breaking down exactly what I was thinking throughout this entire game. And I tried to pick a game that was extremely difficult to win. Teammates weren't playing too hard, and even myself, I didn't really have a good early game, as we can tell by that first failed axe. My lane phase wasn't played that well. So for example, in this matchup, it's not really that good to go for an extended trade like this, because D-Shield and second wind as Camille will outperform, and it's pretty hard to maintain pressure the whole time. It would have been better for me to play more so for wave control here. So that's the mistake I made there, but my mindset is, going into it, was bait out her passive, get bone plating with the Q, bait out her passive, and then go for an extended trade. trying to really min-max some form of advantage. But because I missed that first Q and didn't get the bone plating, this trade didn't end up being worth it. So that's why I should have adapted after missing that first Q there. But it's still going to be perfectly fine. So typically you get priority in this matchup. I'm thinking I want to do a wave 2 crash in this game. Because chasing her down the lane did piss off the minion wave there, so a 2-wave crash is optimal. And remember, if you get your wave stuck between the towers, just outside the tower, your Nexus will explode, so we need to one-shot this wave as quickly as possible. You can see we're just hard pushing it here. And 11 out of 12 CS, including the trade we got level 1, so not too bad of a start. But the reason I don't like that trade, it's pretty hard to crash wave 4 with the current resources I have in this matchup, as you'll see very shortly. So I'm just bashing the wave, trying to use my lifesteal here. That's why all I'm doing is auto-attacking here, trying to get that lifesteal up and running. So here I'm trying to bait her to use E. I try to get my approach velocity going, and then give her sort of E range on the wall. But good Camille player, didn't want to waste her E there, because if I dodge her E, I have a lot of freedom and safety to play aggressive in the lane. But she didn't fall for my tricks that easily. She waited for me to go for that minion, so really good by her. You can see what I mean? If I had just 200 HP more from not taking that big level 1 trade, I'd be able to get this wave 4 in, but because I don't, I cannot. So here what I have to do is take the small L. This season, taking small losses is really effective. As the home guards, you don't really lose that much. I don't want to look at the wave though. I know I lost quite a lot there, but it's really hard to play that out. So that's why it's Olaf I recommend 1 to 4 high consistency. The main problem here is I didn't adapt to failing to proc that bone plating. And just in general on this matchup, from what I've learned from playing it a couple times recently, I find it a bit better to mainly just play for the wave against good Camille players. So coming back, trying to get an extended trade. So here she wants to base. So I'm going to keep bashing the wave down, to get my lifesteal going and not let it come back into me. Because if I let it come in, she's going to base and TP, and I really don't want her to reset here. So I'm beating her up. I'm making it hard for her to base. That's why I'm queuing the whole wave here. I'm sort of putting pressure on her. If you stay, I'm going to crash this wave, and I mean, if you base, sorry, I'm going to crash this wave and base myself and get a stronger buy than you. So I'm putting and make you miss CS, of course. So I really don't want her to base here, and I'm trying to get my Gragas involved for a tower dive. So you can see I'm hitting her and the wave at the same time with Q, and just perma hitting the wave, perma bashing it down, getting that lifesteal up and going. And then she decides to stay, because she's not really diveable 1v1, and I think her jungler was topside. So trying to hit her and the wave same time with Q. Trying to set her up for this dive here. Just playing it nice and slow, waiting for Gragas. But to be honest, watching this back, it's not really a good looking dive. I think we can kill if he just uses eat a minion. That's what happened. I actually didn't realize this on my first review that he eat the minion wave. Very interesting. So yeah, this was definitely a doable dive because it's Ignite Camille with no flash. And I think I got her E before the dive happened. Where was it? I got her passive, sorry. Yeah, there it is. So we definitely could have dove this, but because he hit the wave, we had to call it off there. So perfectly fine. But that's a risky call for a dive, to be honest. Looking at it back, would have been better just to take the reset there. So kiting out, and this is where I sort of turn the game in my favor. Well, turn my game in my favor. So kiting out, boom, auto WE. You see waiting that couple seconds for the Q. So I get the insta reset before I flash onto it. So you get a full Q reset there. If you pick it up too early, you don't get the full reset. And beat up this Viego too. Remember, Olaf's the king of fighting from low HP. This is exactly what we did there. But now you can see mid getting shit on, mid jungle getting rolled, bot lane struggling, so I'm the only human in this game, and this Camille did not let me farm her, unfortunately. So she's just respecting, she knows I win the long trade, so I'm trying to go for a trade here before she gets access to her E, the Camille zone. So beat her up a little bit there, and then just slow pushing. You can see I'm always trying to farm the wave and hit her at the same time. Bring it back to our laning reference point. If your Q can hit the level 5, you can use your Q for poke. And if you can farm the wave and hit them at the same time, really, really important trade pattern there. There we're just bashing the wave down. If you touch this cannon minion, I'm going to attack. Pretty straightforward. And then boom, hit the wave and her at the same time. Some hard pushing while poking. And of course, we got to go for that crust. We get a tower play. Here, I'm just trying to poke her under tower. A little bit risky. Burn out the passive, and then try to poke her while her passive is down. So I'm just guarding the creeps here. So there we go. Get the E. Fail the Q. It's a bit of a risky trade. Not really worth it, to be honest there. But that's all the mindset. Just trying to poke her as much as I can. Just so, because Gragas was pathing up, I want to set him up for a dive if possible. So Viego defends the dive. You know, good on him. UE, and then back to lane. Hard shove and base. Consistency, right? Olaf, in my opinion, in my experience, low def, high CS is a really good default to have on him. So here, even though, maybe I could have stayed and gone to play, your back time has to be your top priority. I cannot risk it there. So we come back to lane, get the bone plating with Tiamat, the classic, space out the Q. Maybe not. And then beat her up a little bit. So you see we're actually a little bit behind in XP. We're not having an amazing game just because of level 2, level 3. We missed out on that wave. So lane was actually quite boring, so we will skip a lot of it. I'm just sort of playing for crusts here. Just sort of taking short trades, poking her down, playing for crust. You see poking her with Tiamat, buffer Q through her either. Get an E as well. And they're just bashing the wave, and base. Consistency. I'm half HP, half mana, no potions. It's really good to get a base off on this type of timer. So skip the lane. Here I started proxying. So around this time, most games I start proxying around level 9 because you one-shot the wave and you get access to TP really shortly. So I want to use a TP bottom. I know in this game, if I don't TP bottom, we are not going to win. Or the chance we win is low. That doesn't mean I'm going to force a bad TP. I want to make that super clear. I'm only going to TP if it looks good. So what I'm going to do is push in mid, push in top, look to gank mid, or look to TP bottom. I need to spread my power. Look at the kill score. I'm the only human on our team. I need to attack mid. I need to attack bottom. I need to get involved. So I push in top, float down mid, and I was able to get a good angle here. If Vex was sitting under tower respecting me, back to top, proxy a wave, and look again. You would be surprised if you do proxy wave attack mid, proxy wave look mid, proxy wave look mid, you will get a kill most games. Because your mid laner, the enemy mid does not want to sit under tower the whole time, especially when they're winning. When you're winning, you know from experience playing top lane, you don't want to sit under tower respecting. No way. So exactly the same as this Vex. He wants to shit on my Yasuo like he's been doing the whole game. So I get an angle because I was looking. I wasn't trying to kill Camille or break the tower. The time when I proxy is kind of different every game, but most games, level 9 onwards, I'm always looking to proxy if I can. And spread that power across the map. Even if I'm behind, a level 9 Olaf can just run over everything as we just saw here. So we get a couple kills, insta reset. The second the play is done, you base. If you attack mid or TP bottom, the second that play is done, I want to base and go straight back to top. So we run back top, and you can see I'm watching bottom. I check the bush to make sure Camille wouldn't stop me, and boom. Right now they're out of position. If Alistair got at his Q. So you can just see, judging by the caliber of my Gragas and Alistair, that this will be a tough game. So TP in, kill the Varus, flash out, and base straight away. Soraka stopped me, but you can see the plays I make are very, very quick. You can see the second we finish that play mid, insta reset. The second I finish the play bottom, tried to insta reset, got cancelled, but base as quickly as I can realistically. So this is a really, really good game. Example where me even making, me having bad tempo, making a couple of mistakes can cost us. Now that doesn't mean I played this game perfectly. There is a mistake or two coming up, but most of my decision making in this game was very, very clean. So this is my first major mistake. I still feel kind of that pressure. Okay, the whole game's exploding without me. I want to attack mid, but that shouldn't change my formula. The formula is always you push in the wave, you look mid, but you only commit if it looks good. The way he's pathing, it doesn't look good. If I went back to top right now, I'd be playing well. But I felt a little bit pressure to overforce it. And all I get was Vex's flash. I don't die, but I lose so much top, and it doesn't really amount to much except mid lane flash. So definitely not worth it there. And I didn't have ulti for this next player. So what I'm thinking here, my Alistair wants to make a play top, but my Alistair's not a human born on the same planet as me, so I don't really trust any call he's going to make. You're going to tell by my body language when he goes, that's actually what I was thinking in this game. This, pretty much to summarize, I was thinking this guy's not a human, be very careful. Be careful following him into battle. So here he goes. I'm just like, no, this looks terrible. I don't have ulti, you're not useful. And then I see Soraka coming, so I just back out. You see, he's being assist me. A lot of people would commit to this fight. Just because everyone's circling around, it looks action-packed, you're fed. But I don't have ulti. I'm not fighting. Olaf without ulti is not a champion. So I'm just not participating in this at all. You see, I pinged be cautious and wait my ulti 17 seconds. Really, really important. You can see there, if I move out of the way a little bit. I refuse to fight this. So we're just waiting. Here, I still don't have ulti. I refuse to fight. And this is where my mistake kind of came in. What I should do is say, okay, Gragas got shit on. Let me just run back to tier 2, back ping. This is my second mistake. I think after those two mistakes, the fake roam and the failed roam and then this play here, we started playing a bit well. I should just ran back to tier 2 as soon as Gragas got caught out there. Would have been the best play. Sacrifice your inting teammate. And here you can see the kill score of everyone. This is why I thought this would be a cool review. So we push in top. And I'm trying to choose Vex here. So every objective, you either want to fight it or give it. This game I want to give the dragon, because our whole team is very far behind. So we're trying to make a play on top side. So I'm pinging assist me, trying to get my team involved to kill this Vex. As you remember from earlier, she had no flash. So I really want to punish their fed Vex while he has no flash there. So trying to ping people to come up. Really trying to get people involved. You see assist ping on the Gragas as well. Trying to really get everyone involved. Your support jungle should be a little kill squad of 2, so that's what I try to create here. And then here we go. Boom. My plan paid off. Kill Vex, ulti just in case I get fed. Get the tier 1, push in the wave, and base straight away. You kind of see, very quick basing. Now I'm going for the crit build here. Partly because I'm the only human on my team, but it is a good crit build game. The enemy top jungle, melee carries that are coming into us. Very easy to hit them. And a mobile AD carrier. Mid's kind of a mobile, kind of not. There are some fights where she flies away. It's really annoying. But a mobile comp, melee carry divers, perfect crit build game. Even if I was 0-0, I'd probably still build crit in this game. Just because it's so good into their comp. So we go top. So now my plan, right? This dragon fight, I'm pretty strong. I'm pretty confident that we could win a fight right now, but I don't want to fight this dragon because we don't have any control at the moment. So I'd rather just give this dragon and take a fight when I have Ghost and Flash to sort of play around my double sums. So push in top. Actually, I spoke too soon. One more mini mistake here. Push in top, rotate down. So I thought this fight would be doable. So just going on the Vex here. So what I should do is click away. She flashed over the wall. That's fine. Fight done. I didn't account to Soraka. I don't really verse Soraka that much, to be honest, so I didn't know that she would out-heal my damage there. I thought there was a chance I could win this. So that's sort of my mistake there. Would have been better to click away, farm the wave, and call out of it there, as soon as the Vex flashed away. But not a major mistake, I would say. So Baron coming in. I really didn't want to give Baron. So here, I'm just trying to get some exit kills. So go on Camille. Pick up my axe, go for the Soraka here. And then I think Viego came and, yeah, the Kaiser got killed there. But I still feel like the game is fine. I still feel I'm so strong that the game is okay. This is third dragon, not Soul, so we're okay to give this one, so we do. Now I'm just trying to farm my item, but I will TP if it looks good. So they're going in. This doesn't look that good to me. Why does it not look good? Because Alistar's engage looks disgustingly bad. That's why, but specifically, he's by himself. He failed his combo, and no one's really ready. Like, Gragas not ready, Yasuo's not ready, I don't have a TP ward, so I'm just backpinging everyone and sacrificing this Alistar yet again. It's really important on Olaf to not get involved with your TP, your 7-minute cooldown TP, or your sums, or commit to a bad fight. Remember what I talked about. Choosing the right moment to go in, choosing the right moment to fight on Olaf is one of the most important skills. So you need to read if your teammates are just fully sending it incorrectly or not. So now, I just got my third item. That's why I'm trying to bring Gragas here. Like, come, assist me. We can win. I'm so strong. I've got my third item spike. When you spike on Olaf, you want to fight as soon as possible, before everyone else has a chance to get stronger items, especially mid-AD carry champs. So I really wanted to fight on that timer, but Gragas was dancing in the alcove or something. Pushing bottom. So here we're just trying to make a creative play. They're playing on my side, which I like. Our best chance is to get a fight right now while I'm on my 3-item spike. I'm trying to bait them in a little bit, not make it too obvious. Trying to really pick my moment here. Kill the ward, so the minion there, so it doesn't show Alistar. And then, boom. Right onto the Soraka. Insta-kill her. And we get that moment to strike. So the reason I was so confident in this game, even though our whole team was playing badly, we have pretty easy comp to play. Like, even though that guy, I think, his first time not playing many Gragas games, just playing because he has Yasuo. Gragas Alistar, I think it's just a lot of hard engage, really easy to execute here. We're playing it slow. Camille goes in. Dodge the Camille W. Kill her here. And base straight away. Really quick resets, you can see them. That's how high rank players maintain good farm while fighting everything. I've fought almost every good fight in this game and died for 3 times as well, and my farm's still relatively okay. Could be a little bit better if I played the early lane better. Could be on like 220 or something. But still definitely solid for how much we've fought this game. Okay, so this is Dragon Soul next, so we cannot give Soul no matter what. Here we're trying to make a creative play with the Alistair. So we're trying to pretend he's not here. And then boom, instantly gone the Vex. The Zhonya's is really, really annoying for Olaf, so you lose your ulti. But still fine, we still one-shot everything. And then here I should just back out right away. Got too hungry for this guy, but Shield Bow makes him pretty unkillable. And because my ulti dropped, I couldn't really keep it going. But I think we still live here. So not the end of the world, just wasting flash. Ghost was well used there, but not the flash. So you kind of see my mindset even watching my own game back for a second time now. You're always trying to min-max how you use your summoner spell. So there, using Ghost was good, using Flash was bad. The fight with Vex Flash over the wall, using Flash was bad, and so on. You always want to be trying to fine-tune that skill. So this is Dragon Soul. I have to fight this no matter what, but I have TP. So I'm really ready to TP if it looks good. So I'll kill this wave and TP straight away. When it comes to Soul or Baron or Elder, you can't take any chances. You have to be here for the fight if there's even like a 1% chance they're going to fight it. The Gragas gets engaged on. Get the Vex Flash there. Play it slow. Waiting for my time to strike. And then boom, Alistair goes in. That's our time to strike. The one-shot Vex. And base runs straight to mid. Because Baron's up. I can't go bottom. I don't have TP. This Baron fight is the most valuable thing that can happen in this game. So I have to be here for it. So Camille ints there. Very nice of her. Gets the Varus flash. Pretty sure. Nope. Just gets the Varus. 1 HP. And then we force Baron. Because Camille's dead. Varus is low HP. And I've got ulti. And really good thing about this Olaf crit build is your ulti cooldown gets so low. Already got it back after the dragon fight. And your Baron damage is really, really high as well. So one-shotting Baron, ready to turn if they come in. Really ready to turn on them if they come in. So here you can see I start running. Don't want to give Viego any chance to steal. I don't trust my Gragas at all. So now you can kind of see the momentum of the game is shifting. The best way to untilt your teammates is always playing well, like we've done. And you can see now they're starting to make some good plays. Really good work, boys. So I went Maw as my 4th item. Because even though I want to build a crit item and it would be pretty fun, I don't need armor pin that badly. Back then, I need it now. And the Vex just had so much damage and it was AP Varus as well. So if I survived their burst, I felt like I could kill everything. As talked about in the item build section, you cannot ego Maw. You can't ego it. If I went in a crit item, let's say I went Mortal Reminder 4th item, I could get one shot by Varus Vex combo. But 80 carry bruises like Viego and Camille, they don't really hit you. They're mainly diving onto your teammates. But AP champs, I'm killing them, so they're going to hit me back. So yeah, you can never really ego more. And look at my armor with just tabbies, 146. I have a full MR item, and I have 20 more armor than MR, so you just can't ego more. You're just too squishy to magic damage. Pushing in bottom, but my next item will be Mortal Reminder, of course, healing cut for Soraka, and everyone has really high armor at this point in the game. So Q onto her, cut out, just trying to lifesteal as much as I can. I feel like I could have maybe lived this if I lifestealed off the cannon a bit. Now it's a pretty fresh ignite, maybe not, but would have been my best bet. But it's okay. I sort of expected them to be cheesing. I walked a little bit too far forward in hindsight. I should cut out a little bit more. Wait for Gragas to be in position, like 1 or 2 seconds difference. But it's still fine. They committed every spell onto me. They overcommitted. So it's of course a favorable fight. Perfect. Okay. I think it's going to be the last fight soon. Dragon Soul, we cannot give this no matter what. So straight down mid. Late game is just all about the team fights. You can see I barely go side lane anymore unless my TP was up. Because you just can't take that risk of going bottom and your team taking a Dragon Soul or a Baron fight with value. Late game is all about that team fighting. So at this point the game just pretty much ends by itself. Nothing too special here. Just sort of cheesing them on the way out as well. I think this was the game winning play. Yeah. Okay. So main takeaways from this game. First of all, any game's winnable. That's not true, but it's the right mindset to have. This game would have been such an easy FF back after I made my first death, right? To be honest, I even considered it. That's why I didn't vote no instantly. I'm pressing tab and thinking about it, and I realized, like, no, we can win this one. It's a pretty good Olaf game, and our comp, even though no one knows how to play their champion, our comp is pretty easy to play. So I felt confident to win this game, and the main reason I did was I spread my lead around the map. The time when I ganked mid and the time where I TP'd bottom, that stopped the bleeding so much, and gave a lot of momentum and kind of morale to the team as well. So spreading that lead around the map is one of the most important Olaf skills because you're just so strong during that one item spike. They gank mid, that TP bottom. They couldn't do anything, even though they had like 5 kills mid, 5-0 mid, 5-0 Varus. They can't really do anything against you at that point in the game. But you can see later on in the game, it's kind of a bit more team reliant. So I sort of held my team until the late game, and yeah, I can still play fights well and I can influence the later game, but it's because of my good decisions in the early to mid game that we had a fighting chance in this game. And also, I'd say one more thing that was a difference maker was my intensity towards big objectives, towards Baron, towards Dragon Soul. I didn't allow a single situation where my team could have got caught and lost Baron or Soul. I didn't allow that to happen. I was only sidelined if I had TP. If not, I got there early, helped get control, killed them when they walked in. Really important skill on Olaf, where you mainly win all your games through team fighting. Next up, we have drafting. Now, typically drafting in solo queue, it doesn't really matter that much for a champion, but on Olaf, it matters a lot. There are some games where Olaf is Thanos 1v9 unbeatable champion, and there are other games where Olaf is borderline unplayable, so it is really important to know those situations and conditions of when Olaf is best or worst. So we'll be starting off with the bans. What are the best bans for this champion? I get this question quite a lot. Now, high-low bans, the best bans I do every time, I always ban Jayce. If Jayce is already banned or something like that, or my jungler wants to play him, I'll ban Rumble instead. Because those are two of the best top laners in the game. They obliterate Olaf, and the reason I picked Jayce over Rumble is just because Jayce is a flex and very OP in the jungle. But those are very, very hard matchups for Olaf that are very commonly picked. That's usually what you want to ban. Champions that are really good into your chat and commonly picked. So for Emerald and Diamond, you can ban Jax or Kayle. Now, I'm a big fan of the Olaf Jax matchup. I actually like it, but a lot of Olaf players, especially my Olaf students in Diamond and Master, they don't like that matchup very much. So you can ban Jax as it's a very common pick. And Kayle is just a champ where you're kind of on a timer and you have to execute really well. There's not that much room for error, and it can just be a little bit annoying overall. So you can just ban Kayle if you wanted to as well. Now, for below Emerald, I'd recommend just banning Garen. Garen or Kayle, but probably Garen, because a phase rush Garen, even a Conqueror Garen, can be quite annoying for Olaf. One mistake and you get chunked and he can just all in your level 6. It is quite annoying. And mid to late game team fighting, Olaf loves fighting from low HP. But not versus Garen, one button and you're just dead. So I'm not a fan. I don't really like playing that matchup. I would never ban it personally, but because Garen is picked in half the games from below Emerald, I'd recommend banning him there. Now, good with. What is Olaf good with on your team? So on your team, so let's just say you're playing Clash with the boys or a little amateur tournament or something, you want to play with dive. So from jungle, that's our Vyze, our Ambessas, our Zax, even Ivern is okay with him if you don't want to play full dive, because Ivern kind of facilitates your dive. He can be good as well, but mainly just champs that go in, especially champs that go in first, like a Zac or a Vine. Really amazing with Olaf there. Now for mid, pretty similar. You've got your Gallios, your Aries, your Akalis, or champions like Ryze, who are very kind of self-sufficient, can roam to your lane, stuff like that. They can be quite good as well. But usually dive buddies aren't the way to go there. The reason why I really like a champ like Ryze is because Olaf, you're diving, so you're not really peeling most of the time. Ryze doesn't need peel, he's unkillable and one-shots everything, and he's very balanced, I promise, but it's just a good champion to have. You don't really have to peel him like you might have to do for a Victor or something like that. Now for AD carry, again, self-sufficient or dive buddies, we've got our Kaisers, our Yuntara, Israel, Tristana. Those guys feel really good. Playing Olaf with like a Varus or an Ashe or a Jhin doesn't really feel as good. And for support, pretty easy. If they go in, I'm happy. If they sit back and do nothing, I'm not happy. So Rel, Alistar, Leona, even like a Rakan, really, really good here. Now, bad with. What would you see on your team? Or, what would you pick with your teammates you don't want to play them with? It would be champs like Graves or Kayn or Kindred in the jungle. Even like a Nidalee. Just no CC, no frontline. I know no one likes to play with those champs anyway, but if you're Renekton Nidalee, doesn't feel as bad. Or if you're like Ornn with a Graves, doesn't feel bad. Olaf here, he hates all of those jungle champs that don't do anything. Now for mid, similar like a Zed or champions that are like Zoe or Xerath that sit back and poke and need a bit of peel, or even like a Yasuo, just too much AD, not enough CC, can feel quite cringe there. Now for AD carry, champs that are normally slow pace scaling, because we talked a bit about Olaf, 1 to 2 items, you're pushing the pace of the game. If you have a Kog'Maw or a Smolder, they're not, so it doesn't really feel that good. Or champs that need a bit of peel like an Ashe or maybe a Caitlyn or something. Now for support, champs that just sit back and do nothing, like I said. I actually don't mind playing with enchanters that much, like a Lulu or something. Soraka feels pretty good, but like a Thresh or a Pyke, Senna, Morgana, all useless, especially Morgana, gives you a spell shield, but you can't be CC'd anyway, so it doesn't really do anything there. But it's one thing to keep in mind as we keep it going. You'll never not pick Olaf because of your teammates' champs. It's only really what you're playing against is the most important thing. So the more you're playing against, the most important thing, what you're good against. So for jungle, it is CC champions. Sejuani or a Mumu, they don't do any damage, and they are all CC. Like, all their abilities are stuns or snares or slows or something. So those champs feel amazing for Olaf to play into. Even like a Vi or a Diana, merely hard engaged, go on in, you just bash them down with your Rev Hydra, they feel great as well. Champs that aren't that slippery. Now for mid lane, Galio or TF, it's just GG. It feels so good if you verse champs like that, or like a Talia or a Malzahar. No mobility, they peel themselves with their CC. Talia not as good as Malz because Talia's take phase rush, but still not as bad as versing something a bit more slippery. And then for AD carry, like an Ashe or a Varus, if you see Ashe and like a melee support, Ashe Nautilus or something, the game's over. If you see Ashe or Varus with a all CC support, and especially a jungler, the game is just a free win. Let's just say you verse Vi, Varus, Alistar. You cannot lose that game. It's such a good game for the life. The reason why Nautilus, Rell, and Leona are highlighted and Alistar's not. Alistar's take phase rush sometimes. That's kind of the only reason why he's not as good to verse as the rest of them. Now, bad against. This section is very important to know as well. And I'm going to start with the worst champion to verse in the game as Olaf, and that is Kindred. This is a nightmare. Back when I was not like maining Olaf and I had him in my pool, even if it was a good top matchup and the rest of their comp looked good, if they pick Kindred, I'm not playing him. It just makes the game so hard. And there were some seasons where Olaf was a pocket pick. I wouldn't blind pick him into Kindred players, Kindred jungle players, because the matchup's just that terrible. It's so hard to play. The ulti just completely counters you. And of course, just range DPS, mobility, everything Olaf hates there. Avoid Kindred at all costs. Now, Master Yi is similar, not as bad. He doesn't have that Kindred ulti. Master Yi or like a Lilia is annoying, and a champ not quite on the same level, but a Zyra is bad. Even though Zyra, you're thinking, like, she peels herself with CC, why is that bad? But Zyra is broken when people run into her. Olaf runs into everyone, so you just kind of get one shot there. It doesn't feel so good. Even with more, that champ just does a million damage to you. Now, for mid, champs like Akali or Ryze or Cassiopeia or Azir, very slippery. Two of them have phase rush. Two of them you just can't reach. It's just so awkward, so uncomfortable. And they have a lot of DPS or burst. It's hard for you to really do anything into them. So those champs are hard. But I'd say mid lane is the least important section when you're picking Olaf. And for AD carry. So for AD carry, it's going to be champs like Aphelios, champs like Kai'Sa, champs like Vayne, or champs like Kog'Maw. Aphelios is a big one, just because he's really popular and strong at the moment, but Aphelios, Lulu, you just kind of get one shot. It's very, very annoying. So high DPS or high mobility or both, that is really hard for Olaf. And then for support, Lulu and Braum are my two least favorite, because Lulu just makes it so you can't really kill the AD carry that well, especially if they're playing a hyper carry. Braum blocks your axe. It's very, very cringe, and he doesn't go in, so it's like you kind of have to engage, but he's really good disengage. So Olaf, so Lulu and Braum are my two most hated supports. And then Rakan and Taric, because Rakan is fake hard engage. He just goes in, goes out, goes in, goes out. 5,000 heals and shields. Champs is OP, but no support is good enough to play him, so he's annoying too. And then Taric, the Taric ulti kind of counters you as well. So you might be wondering why I didn't put top laners in here. If you're interested in the top laners, just check out the top lane tier list section. If you verse Malphite or Cho'Gath or Gragas or something, probably going to be pretty good. If you verse something that destroys Olaf in lane like a Rumble or Ambessa, probably going to be pretty bad. This is mainly for the comps. The comps that you see, especially if you're blind picking on blue, if you see champions in the good against section, even if you play the hardest Olaf matchup, even if you play versus Rumble or Akali, if you see they have by TF, your champ's going to be broken no matter what. So the matchup is important on every champ, of course, but when you're picking Olaf, it's more about good Olaf games or bad Olaf games as opposed to your matchup, because in my opinion, Olaf's quite a good blind pick. You're fine into pretty much anything. It's mainly the comps that are more of a problem, so it is important to understand the best situations where to play this champion. And finally, we have the main takeaways. As a reward for those of you who have made it this far, respect into this 3-hour movie, I'm going to be breaking down the top 5 most impactful things that we've learned today. Starting off with axe management. You must throw every axe with intention. Olaf's kill shot, Olaf's Q is a big deal. We're not playing a champion like Syndra, some easy mid laner where we can just toss out our Q. If it misses, big deal, we'll hit the next one. If you toss out your Q and you can't pick it up and cycle it, you lose so much DPS, sticking power, the ability to maintain your ulti. You can't touch the wave while your Q's down in a lot of matchups. You must throw every axe with intention. You cannot just toss it into outer space. You need to keep it close by and safe. Do not toss it into a direction where you can't get it anymore, and make sure you're not max ranging it every time, just toss it as far as you need it, so hit your opponent, but it's not in another universe there. Now, our summoner spells. Your summoner spells are extremely valuable. Even wasting Ghost at a key moment, or losing your Ghost Flash from getting caught one time can cost you even or winning games. They are so important to you. So much of your champion's threat is tied into your sums. You would not be surprised you might be surprised how many fights where if you just had your Ghost up that you wasted 2 minutes ago, you would have pentakilled everything, but without it, the AD carry just got away from you, just carded you 1 HP, and you weren't able to take them out. It is so important that you really min-max how you use your summoner spells and optimize as much as you can. Now, extended trading mindset. So for lane, you're always planning to manipulate your waves and trade in a way that allows the trade to be extended. Yes, sometimes if we just QE them, or even just Q them at level 5 or something, and get free damage, not the end of the world. I'm talking short trades where they hit you, you hit them, you shake hands and call it a day. Olaf hates that. You want to get multiple rotations of Qs and ideally ease off, and get those extended trades going. So you're always playing your lane in a way that allows you to get that long trade that you're looking for. Early game consistency. So I would say Olaf in the past was more about making it super volatile level 1, catching people off guard, even I'd say cheesing in a way, because people weren't used to it. I'd say now, because Olaf's mana cost is so high, there's so much sustain in the game, there are so many broken champions in the game, it's all about that 1 to 5 consistency. In games where I can just get my level 4, long sword refill, full HP, clean reset, not missing anything, if I do that 9 out of 10 games, which is sort of where my Olaf's at right now, I would say almost every Olaf game I play recently, my 1 to 5 is consistent. I'm not killing them or getting killed, I have good CS, clean back timing, and that's where the magic happens. Level 5, level 7, usually where I'm gaining my big advantage there. So your 1 to 4 wants to be very, very consistent, playing for high CS, planning your wave management out, getting a clean first reset, really important on this champion. It's not about level 1 fight to the death, you're both low HP. Of course, some games I will get level 1 trades, depends on the matchup, depends how my opponent plays it, but on average, early game consistency is the way to go. And finally, Olaf is all about picking your moments to all in. This applies for solo kills, skirmishing, team fightings, everything. This is a skill you're always going to be developing. Even now, I keep developing it every time I play Olaf, because this is sort of an infinite skill ceiling skill. Nobody's perfect on it, on any champ, but on Olaf, picking the wrong moment to go in is way more disastrous than on other champions. If you do a bad Ambessa ulti and die, not great, but it's not the end of the world. If you pop Ghost Flash on Olaf and it's a losing fight, your Nexus will explode. Going back to that summoner spell management in games that are maybe hard to win, or even games, or slightly winning games, one bad fight where you waste both summoner spells can actually be that difference maker, because not only is your champion very summoner spell reliant, but you're also spike reliant. That 1 to 2 item spike where you want to make all the magic happen. If you make a few mistakes there, now later on it's 4 items. You have to hope your AD carry is a human. 1 to 2 items, it doesn't matter what species or what planet they're from, you can carry it with good choosing of the moment. So it's all about assessing the fight, assessing the champions you're versing, and you're ready to pick that moment to go in. Olaf's not really engaged, remember, so it really depends. When you feel like you've got an angle, you can hit an axe, pop that ghost, they can't peel you off, you can kill them before they kill you. This is a skill you're always going to be developing, so make sure if you are planning to play Olaf long term or put him in your champion pool, you're always working on this. Alright team, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this Olaf guide / movie. As you could probably expect, these guys take a ton of time and effort to get made, so any support is greatly appreciated. Of course, let me know in the comments what guide you'd like to see me cover next, and I'll see you all for the next one.